Chapter 881. Five-Finger Fist Heart Sword. Bam bam bam. Countless immortal killer moves were showcased by Lang Ya Land Spirit. Wood path, fire path, water path, ice path, time path, space path, all sorts of attacks resembled fireworks in the sky. They were fatal yet extremely beautiful. Even the strong Qin Bai Sheng could only defend himself, he could not fight back at the moment. Is this still a land spirit? He is simply too fierce. He Cheng saw that Qin Bai Sheng was being pushed back as Lang Ya Land Spirit chased after him relentlessly, feeling dry in his throat. Are you done fooling around? A moment later, Qin Bai Sheng shouted loudly. In the air, golden light resembling a sun burst out. The golden light was simply too bright, everyone could not look at it directly. A vast amount of radiation accompanied the golden light and burst out, filling the entire world. Temperature rose rapidly, as if the world was getting roasted. Soul Path and Metal Path. Dual Immortal Killer Move, Burning Soul Supreme Gold. Lang Ya Land Spirit was very unique, he was not afraid of the effect of soul burning, but Burning Soul Supreme Gold was an extremely rare immortal killer move that combined both offense and defense. Once he used this move, Qin Bai Sheng turned into a miniature sun, he shined brightly in this world, it was almost as if he became the ruler of the world. Lang Ya Land Spirit's attacks were all disrupted or resisted. If it were an ordinary opponent, facing the land spirit's insane outburst, there was a possibility of him killing the opponent through mere brute force. But his opponent was not an ordinary GU immortal, he was the vice envoy of Shadow Sect, Qin Bai Sheng. Qin Bai Sheng resisted countless killer moves, he managed to catch a breather as he found a chance to attack. Once he attacked, Lang Ya Land Spirit's wave of attacks faltered, as he received an intense counter-attack immediately. Compared to him, even though Lang Ya Land Spirit had many advantages and a deep foundation, he was not a GU immortal, his wisdom in fighting was very low. For example, when he used these immortal killer moves, even though it was a magnificent sight, none of the moves worked together, they even disrupted each other and caused much of the strength to be wasted. In this regard, Fang Yuan was much better than him. Be it the coordination between Star Cloud Grindstone and Star Snake Ropes, or 6 illusion star bodies and position star swap, Lang Ya Land Spirit had much to learn. The land spirit was only an obsession left behind after a GU immortal died, after all, a special existence formed by fusing obsession with heavenly power. If the land spirit had Fang Yuan's intelligence, once he had the advantage like earlier, Qin Bai Sheng would not be able to fight back. But the land spirit was not Fang Yuan, Qin Bai Sheng managed to find a chance to counterattack. Burning Soul Supreme Gold became the turning point of the battle. Lang Ya Land Spirit's attacks were obstructed, as Qin Bai Sheng regained the initiative and did not hand over that initiative again. The battle situation turned around at this moment. Lang Ya Land Spirit was forced to retreat, suppressed by Qin Bai Sheng's attacks. Qin Bai Sheng attacked with 1/10 of the frequency of Lang Ya Land Spirit, but each of his attacks, each immortal killer move he used had great coordination with each other. He set layers of traps and caused Lang Ya Land Spirit to feel deeply restrained. The more he sank, the harder it was for him to turn this around, he had no chances left. Qin Bai Sheng had rich battle experience, his methods were ruthless and steady. Fang Yuan, He Cheng, and Mo Tansang were staring with trembling eyelids. What do we do? It is guaranteed that the land spirit loses. Mo Tansang looked towards Fang Yuan with an anxious expression. Fang Yuan did not answer, he was hesitant. Lang Ya Land Spirit charged out without saying a word, putting himself in danger, he was simply being stupid. Land spirits were not afraid of Qin Bai Sheng's soul suppression, but Fang Yuan and Mo Tansang were susceptible to this attack. Unless they had a way to overcome it, or a method that could resist this soul path killer move. At once, Fang Yuan fell into another situation where he was powerless, when he used 6 illusion star bodies and position star swap to stall for time with Wei Fengzi and He Langzi. Mo Tansang looked at Fang Yuan, seeing that this unknown GU immortal had no intentions of joining the fight, he started to feel anxious. Even though Lang Ya Land Spirit was not quite reasonable and had absurd ambitions, wanting to enslave all the Inkmen. But Mo Tansang was a formidable person. In Fang Yuan's previous life, he made use of Ma Hongyun's rise to power and ensured that his Inkman tribe grew. So what if Lang Ya Land Spirit's intentions were 100 times as absurd? To Mo Tansang, the new Lang Ya Land Spirit was much more useful for the benefits of the Inkman tribe than the previous land spirit. Working with him had much greater prospects. Mo Tansang was moved. But Qin Bai Sheng was overly powerful. Mo Tansang did not want to die here, but he was wary of Qin Bai Sheng, he wanted to drag Fang Yuan into this. Fang Yuan was unmoved. Lang Ya Land Spirit changed so drastically. For Fang Yuan, this was also an opportunity. But Fang Yuan was used to being vigilant, he did not want to take an excessive risk. In the past, he took risks because he had no choice, and the rewards were also too immense. But now, it was an opportunity to save the land spirit, but the risks were too great. He was different from Mo Tansang. Once the land spirit died, Mo Tansang would be trapped here, he had no choice but to fight. But Fang Yuan had fixed immortal travel, he could leave at any time, thus he decided to sit on the fence and observe the situation. Boom! Lang Ya land spirit was hit directly by Qin Bai Sheng's attack, he was like a rubber ball that was tossed away, rapidly crashing into the cloud soil on the thick ground. The cloud soil was very soft, Lang Ya land spirit sank deep into the soil, creating a huge pit. He wanted to teleport away, but he found that there was a golden chain coiling around his body. The land spirit struggled intensely, but he could not move. It is over. Qin Bai Sheng's expression was stern, he slowly flew towards the sky above the land spirit, looking down with a cold expression. Qin Bai Sheng retracted his entire aura, his arms gathered at his chest, his palms placed together, he was like a meditating old monk, at the same time, he slowly shut his eyes and lowered his head. He is trying to do something, now is the best time to save the land spirit. Mo Tansang felt something amiss, he shouted loudly. Fang Yuan ignored him completely, he stared fixedly at Qin Bai Sheng, feeling shock inwardly. This posture, is this the legendary that move? Earlier during battle, Qin Bai Sheng was as fierce as a tiger out of the mountain, a heavenly dragon ravaging the seas, he was unstoppable as he charged forward. But right now, his palms were placed together as he lowered his head and shut his eyes, he was like a piece of dead wood, without any life in him. These two conditions of his formed a clear contrast. Slowly, Qin Bai Sheng's right hand, which was in contact with his left hand, moved, it was like he was trying to pull out something precious, as his right hand slowly clenched into a fist. Afterwards, his left hand was still at the original position, but his tightly clenched right fist was lifted, above his chest and shoulder, above his head, until it was fixed right above his head. Qin Bai Sheng's eyes were shut, there were no emotions on his face, his head was lowered as his aura was completely retracted into his body. His left hand was open, at the center of his chest, his right hand was clenched into a fist, raised high up in the sky. Mo Tansang did not know why this was happening, but he understood that Qin Bai Sheng would not make such an action unnecessarily. Once he attacked, it would be a devastating blow, it would shake the earth. Lang Ya land spirit could feel an immense sense of danger, he struggled intensely, the golden chains around him started breaking as numerous cracks appeared on them. But it was too late. That's right, it is that move. Sword Immortal Bo Qing's legendary move, widely renowned in Central Continent. Qin Bai Sheng is a Northern Plains GU Immortal, how can he possess this move? Fang Yuan gulped as he felt a heavy feeling, he did not dare to save the land spirit. Sword Path Immortal Killer Move, 5-Finger Fist Heart Sword. First finger, Qin Bai Sheng raised the thumb of his right hand. From the right fist that he held high in the air, a sword light shot out. Fast, 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 the speed of the sword light was beyond belief. The moment it was shot out, it pierced Lang Ya land spirit's forehead. Lang Ya land spirit, who was struggling intensely, had his skull penetrated by this sword light in an instant. His movements came to a halt, he was still like a statue as he stared blankly at Qin Bai Sheng, who was in the sky. At the next moment, Lang Ya land spirit struggled even more intensely like he was jolted by lightning. If it were Fang Yuan who suffered this blow, even if he was an immortal zombie, he would have died. But Lang Ya land spirit was a special existence, there were no weakness or fatal points on his body. But this blow did deal severe damage to him. His head, which was originally clear and compact, started to become blurry. Second finger, Qin Bai Sheng raised his index finger. The second sword light shot out from his hand, it was just as fast as before. The sword light pierced Lang Ya land spirit's right arm, the land spirit shouted in pain as his right arm became blurry and unclear. Third finger, the third sword light pierced Lang Ya land spirit's left arm, he cried out in agony as his left arm also started to fade. Save him, quick, once the land spirit dies, we are all finished. Mo Tansang saw this situation and shouted in anxiety. Fang Yuan's gaze was heavy, but his body was still as a mountain, he did not make any attempt to save him. A lump of star cloud grindstone appeared in front of Fang Yuan. If the situation did not turn around, Fang Yuan had decided to use fixed immortal travel to escape from Lang Ya blessed land. Fourth finger. At this moment, Qin Bai Sheng raised the ring finger of his right hand. Save me. Lang Ya land spirit could not stay calm, he shouted in panic. Let's risk it. Mo Tansang shouted at Fang Yuan, charging out and using his killer move, attacking from afar. But the fourth sword light had already shot out. Clang! A sharp noise of collision could be heard from within the pit. A figure appeared in front of Lang Yalan's spirit, blocking the fourth sword light. This aura, it is a rank 7 GU Immortal. Fang Yuan was still inside the cloud building, sensing that an unknown aura had appeared, brilliance flashed across his eyes. This was the change. As he had expected, Lang Ya Blessed Land still had trump cards left. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Soon, 8 more figures appeared out of nowhere, piercing the air and landing around the pit, protecting Lang Ya Land's spirit. Mo Tansang quickly stopped in his tracks, he focused and looked, shouting in surprise, so many hairy man GU Immortals. The reinforcements were here. The 9 GU Immortals that came were all hairy men. The hairy man GU Immortal that saved Lang Ya Land's spirit was the only rank 7, the rest of them were all rank 6. He Cheng's expression changed, he said in disbelief, how can this be? There were so many hairy man GU Immortals, the numbers had completely flipped around. Mo Tansang showed joy in his face. But Fang Yuan frowned. To receive the protection of so many hairy man GU Immortals, it seems this really is Lang Ya Land's spirit. But he is completely different from the previous land spirit. Qin Bai Sheng slowly opened his eyes, he lowered his arms as he dispelled the 5-finger fist heart sword. His lips curled into a smile as he showed a confident smile of victory. From the start, he had no intentions of killing Lang Ya Land's spirit. What he wanted was for these hairy man GU Immortals to appear. Something's wrong. Fang Yuan's forehead was wrinkled from his frown. The two land spirits are completely different in personality, but the former would not leave such immense battle strength aside and yet request for help from an outsider like me no matter how stupid he was. Fang Yuan's eyes shined with inspiration, he realized Qin Bai Sheng's motive, unless the enemy's true goal was not Lang Ya Blessed Land in the first place. Chapter 882, The Real Lang Ya Blessed Land. Lang Ya Blessed Land was concealing so many hairy man GU Immortals, but why did the previous Lang Ya Land spirit not take them out even in such a dangerous situation? Fang Yuan guessed the reason for this was the rank 8 Immortal GU House Refinement Cauldron. The Lang Ya Land spirit in the form of an elderly human had probably arranged all the hairy man GU Immortals to be in Refinement Cauldron. Long Hair Ancestor's true identity was a hairy man, Lang Ya Land spirit loved hairy men like they were his own children. In accordance with these thoughts, he did not want to let hairy man GU Immortals die, thus he arranged them in Refinement Cauldron. More importantly, the Immortal GU House also required GU Immortals to control it, and the more GU Immortals there were, the more power the Immortal GU House could unleash. When Tai Bai Yunsheng had attacked Yulu Blessed Land and met a predicament, all the GU Immortals had combined their strengths to activate an Immortal GU House, Profound Ice House. This amplified the strength of Profound Ice House, to the extent that it was enough to break through the battlefield killer move and move all the GU Immortals to safety. The more hairy man GU Immortals in Refinement Cauldron, the more powerful it would be and the faster it could refine the Immortal GU of others. Fang Yuan was almost certain that in the previous 3 invading waves, Lang Ya Land Spirit had arranged the hairy men in there and refined the invading GU Immortals Immortal GU, thus being able to capture them alive. This was the 4th wave of attack and the enemies were strong beyond expectation. The human form Lang Ya Land Spirit could not resolve this problem, and had no choice but to let the other obsession take control over the body to resolve the issue. However, this hairy man Land Spirit also has a defect in his mind. Going personally to battle and only at the crucial moment between life and death, he summoned the hairy man GU Immortals. Fang Yuan inwardly shook his head before paying attention to the battlefield. Qin Bai Sheng, He Cheng and the hairy man GU Immortals fell into a stalemate. Plop! Suddenly, that rank 7 hairy man GU Immortal who blocked a strike from 5-finger fist heart sword for Lang Ya Land Spirit fell to the ground. First hair. The hairy man GU Immortals were in a commotion, as they cast concerned gazes while exclaiming in shock. First hair, what's wrong with you? First hair. A female hairy man GU Immortal knelt down beside First hair, hugging his chest, but she found his body was already filled with sword energy and could not be any more dead. First hair, you can't die, First hair. The female hairy man GU Immortal started crying, her mind completely collapsed. Second hair, don't cry. Maybe Lord Land Spirit has a way. Second hair, if you cry, we will also want to cry. Boo hoo hoo. Many hairy man GU Immortals unexpectedly turned away from Qin Bai Sheng, and approached GU Immortal Second Hair, consoling her in a soft voice. Some hairy man GU Immortals also started crying or choked while sobbing. Fang Yuan and Mo Tansang were dazed. At this moment, they finally understood why Lang Yalan's spirit did not send these hairy men to the battle and arrange them in refinement cauldron. Because the ability of these hairy men in battle was simply at the dregs. No, calling them dregs would be too flattering. Faced with mortal enemies, they actually were weakening themselves, crying and letting their minds collapse. It seemed like these hairy Man-Gu immortals were raised as purely refinement assistants by Lang Yalan's spirit. It was certain they were experts in refining Gu, and even more certain that they were not specialized in battle. Lang Yalan's spirit's face was ashen. He got rid of the restraint and approached and inspected the dead hairy Man-Gu immortal. He heaved a bitter sigh before closing the aggrieved eyelids of the rank 7 hairy Man-Gu immortal. No, the female hairy Man-Gu immortal, second hair, was completely broken. She gave a scream and fell down on first hair's corpse, her eyes turned as she fainted. Other hairy Man-Gu immortals rushed to treat her. Even more of them looked at Qin Bai Sheng with innocent tears in their eyes, accusing, heavens, why are there cruel and savage Gu immortals like you? We had no animosity between us, why would you attack us, why would you take an innocent Gu immortal's life? Isn't peaceful coexistence a good thing? Hearing these words, Mo Tansang and Fang Yuan completely lost all hope in these hairy men. These hairy Man-Gu immortals seemed to have been raised very protectively by Lang Yalan's spirit. Like greenhouse flowers, they had not experienced the baptism of the cruelty of the outside world. They had fully been invested into cultivating refinement path while there was a giant hole in their fighting aspects. Hand over the immortal Gu house, refinement cauldron, and I won't harm you. Qin Bai Sheng sneered. Impossible, don't even think of it. Lang Yalan's spirit furiously stared at Qin Bai Sheng, refusing directly. His attitude was firm with no signs of hesitation. HMPH, you want to rely on refinement cauldron to forcibly refine our immortal Gu. Don't expect such naive thoughts to work on me, I simply won't give you the time to use it. Qin Bai Sheng scoffed before pausing for a moment, as if he sensed something. He mumbled to himself, then continued, oh, did you already prepare, then let's begin. This hindrance, I shall break it first. He raised his voice, his gaze directed at the cloud building. Immortal killer move, city-crushing hammer. A giant hammer came crashing down onto the building. Fang Yuan's mind moved rapidly, deciding to move away and not stand out at this moment. However, Lang Yalan's spirit's situation was still not at its extremes, so Fang Yuan did not plan to escape. Rumble. The cloud building behind him was crumbled apart, like a translucent screen, by the city-crushing hammer. Fang Yuan flew out in a miserable state, and when he appeared in front of everyone, his appearance had already changed once more. He had transformed into a hairy man. Qin Bai Sheng snorted, giving a meaningful look at Fang Yuan before looking elsewhere. The cloud building was destroyed, the boundless fog immediately dispersed. This had been the last cloud building, the other one had been found by Wei Fengzi and was already destroyed. By now, all the 5 buildings that had remained when Fang Yuan came as support were already destroyed. 12-wave cloud confusion formation was broken. There was white sky and white ground. The sky was pure white and the ground was white cloud soil. Qin Bai Sheng looked around, disdainfully smiling, a laughable disguise. The next moment, he looked at the sky with a look of exultation. He suddenly grabbed at the sky and shouted with a longing tone, "Come, refinement cauldron." At the same time, in another 2 locations, the mysterious black-robed Gu Immortal and Fairy Zhongyu also followed the suit. However, they grabbed at the cloud soil on the ground. Crackle. The sky erupted with thunder, lightning flashed, clouds surged, and space broke apart. A loud sound reverberated as if a formless colossal monster was using its sharp claws to tear the cloud soil. A giant crack appeared on the thick cloud soil like it was cotton. The crack ran through from east to west, extending to the end of all the immortals' vision. This is... Mo Tansang's pupils contracted. So this is the true Langya blessed land. This is a really extravagant setup. Everything that I had seen so far was only the surface. Right now, even Fang Yuan was greatly startled. The immortals gazed down the giant crack and saw a boundless ocean below the cloud soil. The ocean actually had 3 enormous continents. On these 3 continents, there were dense forests, steep mountains, vast prairies, foggy swamps. Countless beings were living on the continents. The sky had birds and giant dragons, the ocean had sea monsters and fish, the earth had ants, tiger elephants. There were all kinds of living beings forming an unusual food chain on the 3 continents. In these 3 continents, the hairy men were the only rulers, occupying the dominant position. Countless villages and cities were spread in the mountains, prairies and river banks of the 3 continents. There were even many hairy men exploring the ocean, their traces all over the many islands in the ocean. Here, the hairy men got up and worked when the day began and rested when night fell. They refined GU and competed with each other fairly, living a life where they were the top position in the food chain. So the place I had been standing on until now, was no more than the clouds in the sky of the blessed land. Mo Tansang's whole body shook. How is this possible? With such a large space, this is still a blessed land. Even ordinary grotto heavens don't have such a huge space. This Langya blessed land has already surpassed the majority of grotto heavens. He Cheng was thoroughly shocked. How did he achieve this? Langya blessed land, this is simply another world. This far surpasses blessed lands and ordinary grotto heavens. Fang Yuan was full of doubts. At this moment, the countless hairy men on the lands below raised their heads and looked at the cloud layer where Fang Yuan and others were at. The cloud covering the continents are changing. This rumored continent in the air seems to have been ripped in half. Quick, report this situation to the elders. Millions upon millions of hairy men fell into panic. When immortals fight, mortals panic. This population, Fang Yuan's eyes opened wide, licking his lips as he shouted inwardly, how huge of a fortune is this? Breathtaking, truly breathtaking. No wonder Langya land spirit has an ambition to make hairy men dominate the world. This is simply a hairy man empire. No wonder there are so many hairy man GU immortals, they should have been chosen from these endless hairy men. Rumble. The thunder in the sky became louder and louder. Countless lightning bolts cut through the sky, forming a net that quickly spread. Amidst the strong wind, Qin Bai Sheng stood straight and proud like a spear. His clothes fluttered in the wind like a battle flag. The space ruptured, and GU worms showed up in the rupture. They were the constituent parts of refinement cauldron. At this sight, Langya land spirit knew he could not delay any longer and shouted decisively, want to seize refinement cauldron. Dream on. Assemble the battle formation. Yes, Lord Land Spirit. The hairy man GU immortals replied together. At the same time, Langya land spirit secretly transmitted his voice. Mo Tansang, Fang Yuan, you guys also enter the formation quickly. Don't count on these hairy man GU immortals. The main forces will be us 3. As long as we can hold on for a while, these invaders will all die. Chapter 883. Ancient Battle Formation, Heavenly Giant Cellar. Hearing Langya land spirit's call, Fang Yuan's gaze flickered, he hesitated inwardly. But in the end, he still approached the land spirit and the hairy man GU immortals. Mo Tansang made the same decision as him. Assemble the battle formation, Heavenly Giant Cellar. Langya land spirit shouted, countless GU worms flickered as they were teleported over by him, all of the hairy man GU immortals and the land spirit were covered by the GU worms entirely. Soon after, these tens of thousands of GU worms that suddenly appeared burst out with bright silver light. The silver light was dazzling, no one could look into it directly. Mo Tansang had a firmer attitude as he went to the land spirit. Seeing this small hill-like silver light, he did not hesitate, he went inside immediately. Fang Yuan went in after him. Once they entered the silver light, Fang Yuan was directed by Langya land spirit, towards the centermost area together with Mo Tansang. The land spirit's expression was grim, he nodded at Fang Yuan and Mo Tansang. Mo Tansang quickly expressed his loyalty. Lord Land Spirit, don't worry, I, Mo Tansang, will represent the Northern Plains Inkman City in this battle, I will fight with all my ability, I will stay by your side no matter what. Fang Yuan was silent, he only nodded back at Langya land spirit to express his intent. The other hairy man GU immortals were surrounding them. They did not put much attention on Mo Tansang, instead, they were assessing Fang Yuan who was also a hairy man GU immortal. They sent him curious, kind, and perplexed gazes. At the crucial moment, Langya land spirit did not criticize Fang Yuan for turning into a hairy man GU immortal. In fact, he felt a bit of joy in his heart. After all, this meant that Fang Yuan was showing a proactive and positive stance regarding the hairy men. There is no time to chit-chat, the 3 of us will be the main fighting force in the battle ahead. Langya land spirit said. Before his words finished, the silver light around everyone had condensed to its limits, it turned into silvery metal liquid. Langya land spirit suddenly jumped and danced around, shouting loudly, Heavenly Giant Cellar, Heavenly Giant Cellar, Heavenly Giant Cellar. When he finished shouting it 3 times, the surrounding silver liquid burst out and created a space with the size of a courtyard. In the air, straight lines of light of all sizes gathered and formed into a 3-dimensional giant GU formation. All the GU Immortals were allocated to their positions by Lang Yalan's spirit. They were separated at their respective formation cores, each having their own spot in the GU formation. At the same time, a faint silvery light glow appeared on Fang Yuan, Mo Tan Sang, the land spirit, and the hairy man GU Immortals' bodies. Outside, the GU Immortal He Cheng could only see that Lang Yalan's spirit set up the formation extremely quickly. First the silver light shot out, next the silver liquid spouted upwards, moving rapidly on the outside. Eventually, this silver liquid stopped circulating, becoming solid in an instant, as a metal giant that was tens of meters tall with 3 heads and 6 arms appeared with a silvery shiny body. The giant opened its eyes. It was like the awakening of a demonic god. A formless aura burst out, enveloping the surrounding sky. This is actually an ancient battle formation. Fang Yuan was in the space created by the silver giant. His vision was synchronized with the giant. He first saw He Cheng's shocked expression, followed by Qin Bai Sheng's slightly surprised face. Lang Yalan's spirit, who was at the central formation core, laughed smugly. He said proudly, "My heavenly giant solar battle formation was the second strongest battle formation in the world even during the olden antiquity era. It was merely second to golden heavenly saint. Within this formation, all of our strengths are combined. We are one entity. The foundations of our souls are added up, and our immortal essence can be used interchangeably. We can communicate freely with thoughts, everyone else can instantly sense them. This way, they would not fear Qin Bai Sheng's immortal killer move, soul suppression." Qin Bai Sheng's soul suppression killer move used his own soul foundation to suppress others. But now, Fang Yuan and the others were controlling the heavenly giant solar, their souls were all added together. Even if Qin Bai Sheng's soul suppression was still usable, it would no longer have such a decisive effect. Interesting, heavenly giant solar, to think that it was in long hair ancestors' hands. Qin Bai Sheng looked at the giant forming and did not strike. His reaction was strange. He stared at the giant as he showed some appreciation in his gaze. This is an ancient battle formation, among the pinnacle of formation path. It can allow GU Immortals to work together and add up their battle strength. But because of historical reasons, these types of battle formations have already been buried within the river of time. To think that today, I would be able to see it personally. He Cheng sighed. But it is not strange. Long hair ancestor was a famous person throughout history. He had the power to collect such an ancient battle formation. Stop sighing, go and deal with it. Qin Bai Sheng ordered him after letting out a deep breath. He Cheng's expression froze. He stared at Qin Bai Sheng in disbelief. You want me to block this giant alone? We all know that there are more than 10 GU Immortals working together, creating this giant with their collective power. Qin Bai Sheng snorted. You know this, I am trying to obtain the immortal GU House Refinement Cauldron now, I cannot strike. Now is the time you show your worth. I am not asking you to defeat the giant, just stall it for a while. You have an immortal GU House, Dark Prison, with you, this should not be difficult. If we succeed, not only will I heal all your injuries, I will also alleviate your current lifespan crisis, you will regain a huge amount of lifespan. Qin Bai Sheng's tone was filled with pressure and threat. At the same time, there was a benefit that He Cheng could not resist. He Cheng squinted as his breathing became rougher. He was very brilliant, he had a deep shrewdness, he knew that Qin Bai Sheng was using him like a pawn. Towards this, He Cheng felt extremely angry, and also helpless. Because his weakness was currently grasped by Qin Bai Sheng. With such immense benefits, He Cheng had to obey him. Send your immortal essence into the battle formation. Lang Yalan's spirit instructed as he shouted. Heavenly giant solar, attack. The huge silver giant moved soundlessly, directly crashing towards Qin Bai Sheng. Qin Bai Sheng seemed to be unable to move easily, because he was trying to take the rank 8 immortal GU House Refinement Cauldron. He stood on the spot. Seeing that the silver giant was about to hit him, at this time, He Cheng appeared in front of Qin Bai Sheng. He Cheng looked at the silver giant with a heavy expression. He waved his hand. In his hand, there was a black pearl. It was about the size of the base of a rice bowl, black and shiny, like a black crystal. On the surface of this translucent pearl, one could see a boar-shaped animal sleeping inside. The boar was the ancient desolate beast sharp-tusked boar. It had the battle strength of a rank 7 GU immortal. In addition, this black pearl was the rank 6 immortal GU House of He tribe, Dark Prison. He Cheng first let out the sharp-tusked boar and then entered the immortal GU House Dark Prison himself. Boom! With a loud bang, the silver giant collided with the sharp-tusked boar. The immense force generated caused the air to explode, as a strong air current spread out around the place. The ancient desolate beast sharp-tusked boar cried out. Its boar head was full of blood, one of its sharp tusks was broken. In contrast, the silver giant took a few steps back, there was a dent in its chest. But soon, with the appearance of some fluctuating silver light, the dent was fixed, there were no injuries on it. Fang Yuan and the other immortals manipulating the silver giant could feel that several beads of immortal essence were expended in the process. This damned previous version of myself, he turned all these proper GU immortals into idiots. Damn it, Lang Yalan's spirit was unhappy, he scolded, himself, unhappily. He was very unhappy with this hit. Even though the silver giant had the advantage, the consumed immortal essence was too much. The impact earlier did not display the true power of the silver giant, primarily because these hairy man GU immortals were holding them back. Mo Tan sang, you will be the main attacker this time. Lang Yalan's spirit shouted angrily, he instructed in a ruthless tone, use your signature killer move. Understood, Mo Tan sang replied as his expression turned serious. After 3 breaths of time, he used his attacking method in the formation. Chi Path Immortal Killer Move, Blasting Chi Roar. In He Cheng's vision, he saw the silver giant's neck turning at an angle as one of its heads was aimed at the sharp-tusked boar. The silver giant had 3 heads and 6 arms, silvery fluctuations appeared on the right head, in the blink of an eye, it transformed into a black head that was as dark as ink. On the head, crystals that were sharp as spears grew, frost energy was oozing. The head's expression also changed. Its brows were standing up as its eyes popped out, it stared at the sharp-tusked boar angrily. Seeing this head, He Cheng felt a strong sense of danger rising inside him. He Cheng wanted to recall the sharp-tusked boar back to his side, when the black head opened its mouth. Roar! A thunderous sound burst out, the sound reverberated over part of the world. Air was pushed out as sound waves spread to the surroundings wildly, most of the force was focused on the sharp-tusked boar. Bam! Blood and flesh flew into the air, broken bones and organs splattered everywhere. The sharp-tusked boar, an ancient desolate beast, having rank 7 GU immortal battle strength, only lasted 3 breaths of time under the attack of the sound wave, before exploding and dying a terrible death. Such power! He Cheng's expression changed. Fang Yuan was moved. An incredible ancient battle formation. It can amplify the power of an immortal killer move to such an extent. Mo Tan sang and the hairy man GU immortals went into intense joy after the initial shock. They saw hopes of victory. Even though this attack used up several beads of their immortal essence again, the result of the attack was very much worth it. He Cheng's heart turned cold. Facing this silver giant, even if he used Dark Arrow Immortal GU, there would be little effect. But soon, hatred and determination appeared on his face. Even though the sharp-tusked boar is dead, I still have the Immortal GU House Dark Prison. He Cheng growled, he controlled Dark Prison, it flew like a meteor, bursting the air as it crashed towards the silver giant. An Immortal GU House had both offense and defense, it was a war fortress, it could not be underestimated. Immortal Killer Move, Star Cloud Grindstone. Immortal Killer Move, Forceful Mountain Shield. Immortal Killer Move, Heavenly Stem Earth Veil. Inside the silver giant, 3 GU immortals used 3 defensive immortal killer moves together. At once, 3 arms of the silver giant transformed at the same time. Chapter 884, Fatal Undercover Agents. Shortly, the Immortal GU House Dark Prison would be crashing upon the silver giant like a meteor. At this time, on 3 arms of the silver giant, a change occurred. On one of the arms, the hand opened up as a lump of a star cloud spiral appeared on the palm. The spiral became larger and larger, it soon grew to 5 or 6 times the size of an ordinary star cloud grindstone, it spun 50 to 60% faster than usual. Another arm was folded in front of its chest, as the forearm changed, conjuring a huge navy blue shield. This shield was so huge that even with the silver giant's height of several tens of meters, half of it was covered. The final arm was hanging by its side, it seemed to be grasping onto a translucent light yellow veil, it was less eye-catching than the other 2 moves. Immortal GU House Dark Prison tore through the air, it was right in front of the giant. The silver giant pushed forward with the star cloud grindstone. A loud bang erupted from Dark Prison, as it was sucked into the star cloud grindstone. The star cloud grindstone started to grind and emitted a loud sound, its shape expanded and shrunk at times, after several rounds of movement, it exploded. The star cloud was destroyed. Within the fragments of blue light, Immortal GU House Dark Prison charged out like a wild bull. The silver giant used its navy blue shield to block it. Dark Prison crashed into the shield. After several breaths of time, huge amounts of cracks appeared on the shield at the area where it was in contact with Dark Prison, the shield broke soon after. But after these two defenses, Dark Prison only had less than 30% of its original power. Eventually, when Dark Prison crashed into the heavenly stem Earth Veil, it was weak and powerless. It was like an arrow that had used up its energy. It hit the silver giant's chest and only caused inconsequential damage to the latter. Even though Dark Prison was an immortal GU house, He Cheng was the only GU immortal activating it. In this aspect, the ancient battle formation, Heavenly Giant Suller, was quite similar to an immortal GU house. The more GU immortals were involved in activating them, the more power they could unleash. But there was a difference between the two. Immortal GU houses did not have any requirements towards the GU immortals' paths and cultivation levels. In contrast, a battle formation did. For example, Heavenly Giant Suller battle formation would work best if all the GU immortals inside were from the same path. That would make the silver giant stronger, and it would be more agile when manipulated. Looking at the battle now, Fang Yuan was Star Path, Mo Tan Sang was Chi Path, Lang Ya Land Spirit was a unique existence, while the remaining Hairy Man GU Immortals were Refinement Path GU Immortals. This caused Heavenly Giant Suller to not reach its maximum power. Thankfully, there were a lot of hairy men to set the foundation, otherwise, with so many different paths, the Silver Giant would not be able to form. This was only the requirement of Heavenly Giant Suller. Heavenly Giant Suller was the second most acclaimed battle formation among ancient battle formations. It did not have very strict requirements. According to historical records, many other battle formations had very strict or strange requirements. Normally speaking, it was hard to fulfill those conditions and create the battle formation. This weakness of battle formations was also a reason why they had vanished over history. As a similar pinnacle achievement of formation path, immortal GU houses were much more convenient than battle formations. This was a display of improvements over generations of time. Throughout history, from ancient times to the present, each era had countless heroes and conquerors, talents and geniuses. The accumulations and wisdom of these people superimposed on one another, forming the current GU cultivation era of numerous flourishing paths. Even though many natural materials, treasures, fierce beasts and plants from the olden antiquity era and remote antiquity era were extinct already, generally speaking, the current era surpassed the ancient times. There was continuous progress. Materials and GU worms were only the foundation, the wisdom of GU cultivators was the crucial point. Boom, 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 Qin Bai Sheng placed almost all of his attention on the sky. His gaze was heated, he raised both hands as he grabbed at the sky time and time again. Following his actions, thunder resounded in the sky, pieces of the space broke like a mirror, one after another, GU worms were exposed. Then, under a mysterious and profound force, these GU worms were pulled down, landing in Qin Bai Sheng's hands. Qin Bai Sheng showed imposing might, he snatched these GU worms like they were there for him to take. At this moment, his demeanor was overwhelming, he looked like a heavenly deity, he was grabbing at the stars and the moon, he gave off a feeling of being invincible and unmatched. There were two other people collecting GU worms along with him at different locations. They were the mysterious black-robed GU Immortal and Fairy Zhang Yu. They are trying to take my immortal GU house, Refinement Cauldron, we cannot let them succeed. Otherwise, a huge amount of land in Langya Blessed Land would collapse. At the center of the battle formation, Langya Land Spirit was screaming anxiously. But it was no use. Even though the Silver Giant blocked the charge of the immortal GU house Dark Prison, it could not stop Dark Prison from interrupting it. Many times, the Silver Giant, under the Land Spirit's control, tried to get close to Qin Bai Sheng, but He Cheng blocked it desperately. Boom! At this time, with a loud bang, lightning flashed in the sky as an immortal GU appeared in the broken space for the first time. Good! Qin Bai Sheng saw this and cried out unconsciously, his expression was full of joy. He stretched his hand to grab it, although in fact, this immortal GU belonged to Langya Land Spirit, but it could not resist as Qin Bai Sheng easily captured it, keeping it in his storage. Evidently, Qin Bai Sheng possessed some special method to take immortal GU from others. Once this immortal GU was lost, a huge impact occurred. Langya Blessed Land shook intensely as huge waves appeared on the vast sea, crashing into the three continents. Far away, at a corner of the world, an intense collapse occurred. Space shrunk as the seawater and living beings in this area were forced towards the center of the sea area. Qin Bai Sheng obtained only one immortal GU, but it caused such a huge change in the Blessed Land. Fang Yuan saw this and felt shock, he immediately had a vague guess over this. Stop! Quickly stop! Langya Land Spirit shouted anxiously. The other hairy man GU immortals were also very worried. With the immortal GU taken away, there were huge repercussions to Langya blessed land. The lives of the endless hairy men in the 3 continents were severely threatened. But Dark Prison blocked the silver giant. Qin Bai Sheng had set up defensive measures around himself and could not be easily disrupted. As immortal GU were taken away by Qin Bai Sheng one after another, Langya blessed land started collapsing everywhere. Tsunamis, hurricanes, floods, all these natural disasters formed. Countless hairy men in the continents died. This was a classic case of mortals suffering from a fight between immortals. Fang Yuan saw this and affirmed his guess even more. Langya blessed land's true space had far exceeded that of a conventional blessed land. It could match an outstanding grotto heaven. But Langya blessed land was merely a blessed land. So how did Langya land spirit achieve that? Fang Yuan already knew that the environment inside an immortal aperture was greatly affected by the Tao marks contained in the immortal aperture. Thus, he naturally thought, Langya land spirit seems to have a unique method to fuse immortal GU into the world of this immortal aperture. This way, the Tao mark fragments in the immortal GU would become the immortal apertures, and that would allow the immortal aperture to expand greatly. But now that Qin Bai Sheng is forcefully taking the rank 8 immortal GU house refinement cauldron, when the immortal GU were lost, Langya blessed land lost a large amount of Tao marks. This caused the environment to change, and the space inside to shrink. Fang Yuan guessed correctly. It was due to this immortal GU house, refinement cauldron, being embedded into the world that Langya blessed land could use the ample Tao marks inside the immortal GU to create a huge space and generate countless resources, having an immensely abundant foundation. Much credit was to be given to the previous Langya land spirit. After refinement cauldron was fused into the immortal aperture world, it was as if the entire immortal aperture was the inside of refinement cauldron. All of the living beings inside the immortal aperture were inside the refinement range of refinement cauldron. It was because of refinement cauldron's help that the previous Langya land spirit could nurture a large number of hairy man GU immortals. But doing that had a huge drawback. Firstly, refinement cauldron could not be moved. It was stuck inside the blessed land. Once it was moved, the environment inside the immortal aperture would shrink drastically. Great amounts of losses and deaths were sure to occur. This was also the reason why Langya land spirit would rather use the ancient battle formation than summon the immortal GU house refinement cauldron to battle. Get lost. The silver giant raised its hand and slapped Dark Prison away. Taking huge strides, the silver giant charged towards Qin Bai Sheng. But at the next moment, Dark Prison flew back again, crashing into the silver giant's shoulder and making it lose its balance. Such a thing had already happened more than a dozen times. He Cheng was dragged into this. He could not stay out of this mess anymore. He had to risk it all. Even though Dark Prison suffered huge losses in the battle and was badly damaged, He Cheng had to grit his teeth and endure it. It is useless. I can still hold on for a long time. An immortal GU house is made from a small number of immortal GU and countless mortal GU. As long as the immortal GU remain intact, no matter how many mortal GU are consumed, I can replenish them. If an immortal GU house can be destroyed so easily, can it still be called an immortal GU house? He Cheng's screams from inside the immortal GU house could be heard. You are correct, Langya land spirit spoke, agreeing with He Cheng's words. He Cheng stared blankly, before his expression changed. He found that in Dark Prison, many GU worms had been forcefully refined by Langya land spirit, including 2 immortal GU. He Cheng was right. If an immortal GU house could be destroyed so easily, could they still be called an immortal GU house? Thus, even though the rank 8 immortal GU house, refinement cauldron, lost many GU worms, and even lost a number of immortal GU, as long as the core remained intact, it would only become weaker. The ability to refine GU worms of others could still be used. Ha ha ha, 15 minutes is up. You have all lost. You have lost pathetically. My refinement cauldron still has 2 hairy man GU immortals, with them standing guard. How can you steal my immortal GU house? Langya land spirit shouted, declaring his victory. Langya blessed land had a truly deep foundation. After fighting to this extent, there were still hairy man GU immortals that had not shown up yet. But it was reasonable. Refinement cauldron had great importance. There had to be strength remaining to defend it. But at this moment, Qin Bai Sheng smiled coldly. Are you sure about that? Before his words were finished, 2 hairy man GU immortals descended from the sky. They paid their respects to Qin Bai Sheng. Greetings to Lord Vice Envoy. These 2 hairy man GU immortals that were left behind to guard refinement cauldron were actually undercover agents left in Langya blessed land by Shadow Sect. With their cooperation, attacking from both the inside and outside, it was a foregone conclusion that the rank 8 Immortal GU House, Refinement Cauldron, would be lost. Chapter 885. Anticlimactic Battle of Offense and Defense. Lang Yalan's spirit's expression changed, he stared at this scene in disbelief. 12th Hair, 13th Hair, what are you doing? The hairy man GU Immortals were shocked and furious, one of them shouted loudly. As hairy men, you are actually helping the enemy and betraying your kin. This is unforgivable. Impossible. 12th Hair and 13th Hair are hairy men that grew up in the blessed land, how could they betray us? This has to be an illusion, everyone, don't be fooled by this. Some of the hairy man GU Immortals refused to believe this. The attentions of everyone were on those two hairy man GU Immortals. They had an arrogant attitude as they surrounded Qin Bai Sheng protectively, they showed looks of pride and had no intentions to explain themselves. Their betrayal was a fatal blow towards Lang Yalan's spirit's side. Especially those hairy man GU Immortals, their hearts were in chaos, they could not manipulate the battle formation easily. He Cheng obtained a precious chance to catch a breather. Qin Bai Sheng's speed of gathering the GU worms became quicker with the cooperation of the hairy man traders. Lang Yalan's spirit's face was as dark as the bottom of a pan. He spoke, squeezing his words from between gritted teeth. Kill them all. Kill these two hairy man traitors. Even if they betrayed us and caused trouble, Refinement Cauldron still has my will, it has not stopped working yet. It can still function. Everyone, Lang Ya blessed land is at a moment between life and death, it will depend on all of you, we have no other way but to fight now, kill. Lang Yalan's spirit tried his best to spur on morale. No matter how naive the hairy man GU Immortals were, they noticed the current desperate situation, and hardened their determination to resist with their full strengths one after another. The silver giant had an imposing aura as it moved forward again, fighting the Immortal GU House Dark Prison. After a few rounds, Dark Prison was defeated repeatedly. Inside Dark Prison, He Cheng's hair was messy and his eyes were bloodshot, he felt dizzy as he had already used Dark Prison to its limits. In fact, this ancient battle formation had another drawback. That was, in order to unleash the full power of the battle formation, the GU Immortals inside needed to have a lot of practice beforehand. However, this was the first time Fang Yuan and the others were working together. Inside the ancient battle formation Heavenly Giant Suller, even though there were many GU Immortals, the real attackers were only Fang Yuan, Mo Tan Sang, and Lang Yalan's spirit. This was like a person having two fists and yet only using 3 fingers to fight. The hairy man GU Immortals were not skilled at fighting, they were holding Fang Yuan and the others back, causing the silver giant to look very clumsy, even though there were many opportunities, it could not use them. But during the intense fight, the Immortals had gotten more familiar with controlling it, they had gained a trace of coordination between themselves. With this coordination, the silver giant managed to find 2 opportunities to send Dark Prison flying. He Cheng had to retreat. The 2 hairy man GU Immortals went to guard Qin Bai Sheng. But the silver giant charged forward, it only stopped for a moment before its gigantic body approached Qin Bai Sheng to slam at him. Qin Bai Sheng spat out a mouthful of blood as the collection process was interrupted, he had to dodge, his body flew into the air. Chase, Lang Yalan's spirit ordered. The silver giant chased after Qin Bai Sheng, but Dark Prison came again at a quick speed and peculiar angle. The defending hairy man GU Immortals were caught off guard, they could not react in time and the silver giant was knocked away. The silver giant attacked fiercely and sent Dark Prison flying again. But this time, from afar, 2 figures came to help, they were Wei Fengzi and He Langzi. And at this moment, the 2 hairy man GU Immortals surrounded the massive silver giant like flies, moving quickly and attacking, doing their best to disturb it. 4 GU Immortals and a rank 6 Immortal GU House engaged in fierce battle with the ancient battle formation, Heavenly Giant Suller. As time passed, the Immortals on the land spirit's side became more and more well coordinated. The silver giant's battle strength rose, even though the enemy was attacking it desperately, they could not stop the giant's movement. Some of the true power of an ancient battle formation was finally released. Qin Bai Sheng was forced to stop the collection process 3 times, as he moved away and dodged the silver giant's assaults, his expression was becoming more pale. Immortal killer move, myriad self-giant hand. In the fierce battle, Fang Yuan's eyes shined with brilliance, he attacked suddenly. He had kept a low profile for a while, at this moment, he bared his fangs, using his trump card. 4 arms of the silver giant rose up, slamming down fiercely. Bam 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 bam. A loud sound of an intense explosion occurred, the air burst as 4 strength path hands slammed at the ground with an immense force. At this moment, the GU Immortals in the battle formation expended 100 beads of immortal essence. Amplified by the ancient battle formation, Strength Path Giant Hand's power reached an unprecedented level. Oh no, Wei Fengzi immediately used Wind Escape, desperately fleeing for his life. He Langzi turned into a giant wolf, quickly retreating. The Strength Path Giant Hands barely grazed him, but the giant wolf let out a pained growl. The bones in the part of its body that had been in contact with the hand broke completely, the flesh there turned into meat paste. He Cheng hesitated slightly. Two Strength Path Giant Hands clapped together, as if hitting a fly from either side, but instead, it was Dark Prison that was squashed by the palms. Rumble. With a loud sound, two Strength Path Giant Hands disintegrated. Immortal GU House Dark Prison, which resembled a black meteor, swayed and shook as it flew away. The Immortal GU House was not a fly, it would not collapse from that. But Dark Prison's current condition made all of the GU Immortals present suck in a deep breath of cold air. This Immortal GU House's appearance changed drastically, the round ball was squeezed from both sides, a huge crack formed around Dark Prison. Thick smoke emerged from this crack, as lumps of sparks erupted in the black smoke. It is that rank 7 GU Immortal who killed Shui Songzi. Wei Fengzi was indeed among the fastest in northern plains. After he escaped, he looked back at the battlefield, feeling lingering fear towards the giant hands. Inside the silver giant, the hairy man GU Immortals were stunned before erupting into a cheer. Lang Yalan's spirit was at first joyful, but soon, his gaze flashed as he thought of something, looking at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan's expression was pale, sweat gathered on his forehead. He was almost unable to stand, his body was shaking and swaying, he showed an expression of facing a fierce backlash after overexerting himself. Lang Yalan's spirit's suspicions were lifted, he turned his attention towards the main enemy, Qin Bai Sheng. Qin Bai Sheng was no longer at his original spot, because a Strength Path Giant Hand was coming after him, he had to interrupt the GU collection process and dodge. Now, his expression did not look good, it seemed like his past injuries had accumulated and achieved a qualitative change. In Fang Yuan and the others' opinions, Qin Bai Sheng no longer had his previous domineering aura, he was extremely weak now. I will stop here today, next time I come, it will not end like this. HMPH. Qin Bai Sheng spoke a sentence before flying away. He seemed to be heavily injured, he gave up on the remaining parts of Refinement Cauldron as he left the battlefield. Lang Yalan's spirit growled angrily as he chased. Qin Bai Sheng and the others were adequately prepared. After they gathered together, they tore through space and escaped from Lang Ya Blessed Land. Lang Yalan's spirit could not fly out of the Blessed Land, he could only watch with anger and hatred as Qin Bai Sheng and the others flew away with half of Refinement Cauldron. Why are we retreating? We have not obtained Refinement Cauldron entirely, this is different from our plans. The group flew rapidly in the sky as Fairy Zhongyu transmitted to Qin Bai Sheng. Qin Bai Sheng's expression was grave. The situation has changed, Luopo Valley is currently under attack. We have to return. That Immortal GU is still being nurtured, it is soon to be completely formed. If we lose it, there will be huge repercussions in our crucial plan. Fairy Zhongyu's heart shook, she asked, then what about Lang Ya Blessed Land? I would advise that we leave it alone for now, the hairy men inside have huge value. At this time, the two hairy man GU Immortals joined in the discussions. As long as we have the Immortal Killer Move Soul Replacement, we can go into Undergo Possession and lurk, it is not a problem to create a few more undercover agents. Unfortunately, there is not enough time, we only managed to accumulate 3 hairy man GU Immortal moles. Now the 2 of us are exposed, if we want to accumulate more undercover agents, we will need at least 300 years. Even though we did not expose anything, the previous Lang Ya Land spirit might have sensed something. He generally only let us GU Immortals refine GU, he did not give us the freedom to move about or opportunities to raise our battle strength by dueling. The 2 hairy man GU Immortals spoke one after another. Qin Bai Sheng thought about it before speaking. Forget it, even though we still have 1 mole left, the important matter now is to protect Luopo Valley until that Immortal GU is formed. This Immortal GU is crucial to our plans, it cannot be lost. As for the Immortal GU House, Refinement Cauldron, we took over half of it, it can be considered an incomplete Immortal GU House. Even though we did not reach our goal, we can use Dark Prison to make up for it. Alright, when there is a good chance, we will make our move together. The people from Shadow Sect gave subtle glances towards He Cheng, no longer transmitting their thoughts. Move, we have to relocate. At this moment, inside Lang Ya Blessed Land, Lang Ya Land's spirit muttered as he made up his mind. Long-hair ancestor had died long ago. Langya blessed land was an ownerless blessed land, yet it could actually be moved. This went against conventional reasoning. I have my ways to relocate the entire blessed land. But during the process of movement, heaven and earth chi would be very unstable, the price to pay is huge. Langya land spirit explained to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan sighed inwardly. Long-hair ancestor's foundation was so deep, he gained a new understanding regarding it. This time, we could repel the enemy. The two of you put in much effort, especially you, Fang Yuan. Langya land spirit said. Mo Tansang stared with wide-opened eyes, looking at Fang Yuan in shock. By now, he finally learned that this person in front of him was the Fang Yuan that he was familiar with. Fang Yuan felt no awkwardness regarding his identity being exposed. He smiled lightly at Mo Tansang. Oh, Langya land spirit sighed. It seems that it will be very hard for us hairy men to rise up. The road is filled with difficulties, twists and turns, but the future is bright. If you follow me, it will definitely be the right choice. This time, I am very pleased with your performance. I will reward you greatly. Immediately afterwards, he said, without proper grass, no horse would move for you. Even a dog needs to be given a bone for it to be enthusiastic. Oh no, why did I say my thoughts out loud again? Chapter 886, Crying Miniman. Northern Plains, in a certain secluded area, Luopo Valley. Souls were wailing, thunder roared and lightning struck down. The light of fire shined everywhere, and explosions rang out continuously. A huge, intense battle was ongoing. The defending side was Shadow Sect, whose members had resolutely abandoned Langya blessed land and came back, Qin Bai Sheng, Fairy Zhongyu, Wei Fengzi, Helang Zi and others. Immortal killer move, soul suppression. Qin Bai Sheng grunted, stepping forward in the endless light and fire. Bam bam bam. 3 intense explosions sounded out. Qin Bai Sheng had forced back 3 invading GU immortals with an overwhelming momentum, giving a feeling of an impenetrable fortress. The Grand Chen Zhen Kai, actually lost 3 times in a row against a single GU immortal, and in one move each time. The GU immortal from Myriad Dragon Dock, Chen Zhen Kai, stabilized himself with difficulty and looked at Qin Bai Sheng with shock and fury. Damn it, it was not easy to organize a wave of offense, and it was actually broken by him so easily. Bu Fei Yan gritted her teeth as blood seeped out of her lips. This soul path killer move is really too strong. Who could have expected Qin Bai Sheng's true strength to be so strong? Old Oracle's deduction was really correct. This guy is very likely to be the culprit of 88 Truyong buildings' destruction. Old Man Tian Long thought. The group that was attacking Luopo Valley was none other than the group of GU immortals from Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects. When their objectives could not be achieved in snowy mountain blessed land, Feng Juzhe was not discouraged and directed them appropriately, finding many secrets and clues. After going through Old Oracle's deduction, the group of immortals found the location of Luopo Valley and hurried over. However, Luopo Valley had already been in Shadow Sect's possession for a long time, and had a powerful defensive GU formation. While Central Continent's GU immortals were being delayed by this, Qin Bai Sheng and the others had retreated from Langya blessed land, coming to reinforce immediately. Thus, the current situation was formed. Both sides were in a deadlock. Central Continent's group wanted to invade Luopo Valley, while Shadow Sect's group was defending their base tightly. Transformation Path Killer Move, Fragrant Sorcerer Yin Statue Wolf Transformation. Wind Path Killer Move, Death Wind Flying Blade. Helang Zi and Wei Fengzi saw the Central Continent GU immortals suffering setbacks, immediately grasping the opportunity to counterattack incisively. Fairy Ling Mei and Fairy Ao Shui from Heaven's Envy Manor were no match against the intense attacks, and could only retreat without any power to fight back. Immortal Killer Move, Green Jade Song. At the crucial moment, Feng Juzhe took action, using an extraordinary sound path killer move. Helang Zi and Wei Fengzi suffered intense damage and fell back. Wei Fengzi retreated back to the defensive GU formation, spitting out over 10 mouthfuls of blood in succession. This blood had changed into a deep green jade color. Helang Zi's injuries were even more severe. The fragrant sorcerer Yin statue wolf he had transformed into had mostly changed into jade stones. He was extremely shocked. What immortal killer move is this? It seems to restrain transformation path. I am actually not able to change back to human form. It looks like I have to resolve this injury before I can transform again. Feng Juzhe, Qin Bai Sheng shouted furiously, his voice spreading over the whole battlefield. Qin Bai Sheng, I underestimated you. Previously I was actually deceived by you. I am far beneath you in terms of acting skills. Fortunately, my side has a wisdom path Gu Immortal, and without stinting on the expenditure of lifespan, he was able to successfully deduce the location of this Luopo Valley. Feng Juzhe was still dressed in a red and white robe. His posture was straight, like a spear or sword. Right now, he was speaking with a slight smile, his tone was articulate and extremely graceful. Successful deduction, my ass. I have no relation with the destruction of 88 Truyong building. But since you came, your life will end here. Qin Baisheng slowly closed his eyes and lowered his head. He placed his hands together in front of his chest, then he grabbed his left palm with his right hand and formed a fist, which he raised high above his head. When they saw this stance, the expressions of the central continent Gu Immortals started changing to that of shock and bewilderment, and they started retreating. Only Feng Juzhe stood on the spot, like he was nailed between heaven and earth, and would not move even if a storm battered him. He looked at Qin Baisheng's stance with bright eyes. This move, could it be Sword Immortal Bo Qing's 5-finger fist heart sword? Correct, Qin Baisheng replied. Are you prepared to die? Feng Juzhe laughed heartily, his expression was one of excitement. Good, good, wonderful. Sword Immortal Bo Qing is my senior in Spirit Affinity House, he failed in his tribulation and his killer move inheritance also mysteriously disappeared. Spirit Affinity House did not obtain it, but it instead landed in a Northern Plains Gu Immortal's hands. But I have read relevant records in the sect, this 5-finger fist heart sword is extremely powerful and sharp. It is rumored that back then, Lord Sword Immortal Bo Qing felt the majesty of heaven and earth, and the difficulty of ascension, thus he created this move to show his courage and pride of resisting heaven and earth by himself. So this move's stance is quite peculiar, the person who uses it must confront heaven and earth, lowering their head and closing their eyes. It seems like an admission of defeat, but they are in truth using all their physical and mental strength to produce and unleash the sharpest attack. The fist above their head shows how incomparably bold Sword Immortal Bo Qing was. As the saying goes, I decide my own fate, not heaven, with a sword at my heart, I advance in sword path. Feng Juzhe was not the least bit nervous in facing the legendary killer move, instead he was speaking with confidence. The central continent Gu Immortals behind him were influenced by this, and the fear in their minds gradually dissipated. This made them have even more admiration of Feng Juzhe's temperament. HMPH, you know quite a lot, it seems you have a premonition of your defeat and death. Qin Baisheng sneered. Feng Juzhe shook his head and smiled brightly. By fortunate coincidence, I have created a sound path killer move, inspired during a certain time period. During my cultivation journey, I've discovered heaven and earth, faced heaven and earth, and revered heaven and earth. I felt the vastness of nature, felt how minute and weak I was. I named this song, Heaven and Earth Song. Heaven and earth is so vast, while humans are so insignificant. This song borrows the strength of heaven and earth, using an incomparable might to suppress all resistance. On one side was the vast might of heaven and earth, in accordance with the course of nature and with boundless force, while the other side was about defying heaven's will by oneself, with the will of sword path, pressing forward indomitably. These two moves were complete opposites of each other. In the end, would it be heaven and earth song or 5-finger fist heart sword that emerges victorious? The tempo of the whole battlefield slowed down for a moment. Everyone's gazes were on Feng Juzhe and Qin Baisheng. Even Qin Baisheng showed a peculiar look, and while still having his eyes closed, he spoke, "Oh. Then this fight is going to be truly interesting. Take this, first finger." Light illuminated heavenly court, eternal and indestructible. The giant image in the air, formed by the refinement path Gu formation, was no longer dazzling, its radiance was completely restrained. Good, the first stage is finished, all the materials have been processed. The second stage is to draw in heaven's will. Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord said after he inspected it once. Draw in heaven's will, Fairy Kang Shui mumbled. Lian Jusheng and Bai Chen Tian also bore serious expressions. Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord continued to explain. Heaven's will is also known as the will of heaven and earth. Humans have will, heaven and earth also has will. Compared to heaven and earth, humans are tiny like ants, lowly like sand, they are basically not worthy of being mentioned. Heaven's will is the most important immortal material to restore fate Gu. Now, it will be an extremely long and arduous process of managing this refinement path Gu formation. Because we need to resist heaven's will is boundless, we cannot let it ruin our minds, otherwise we will suffer extremely severe injuries or even die. Heavenly Court has lost quite a few rank 8 Gu immortals in this process. More preparation may quicken the speed of work, now we will take turns to rest and recover. Alright, Central Continent, who immortal blessed land. A piece of lamb that was as large as cattle was laid out in front of Fang Yuan, dripping in blood. Fang Yuan sat on the ground and tore a portion of the meat, and put it in his mouth. His basin-sized mouth chewed continuously for a moment before swallowing it. Trickles of blood flowed out from the gaps between his sharp teeth, and seeped out of his lips. Fang Yuan's face, however, showed a satisfied and happy expression. This lamb was not ordinary meat, but was the meat of a giant horned sheep. Fang Yuan had captured a live strength path desolate beast, giant horned sheep, previously in northern plains. Right now he was using Eat Strength Immortal GU to devour the meat and increase the strength path Dao marks on his body. I am a strength path GU Immortal after all, strength path Dao marks are my foundation. Fang Yuan kept eating while looking back mentally over the defensive battle of Langya Blessed Land. In this battle, Fang Yuan had first tested vaguely familiar face, deceiving almost everyone. The effect satisfied him. Secondly, he used Star Path killer moves in actual battle. Star Cloud Grindstone, Star Snake Rope, 6 Illusion Star Bodies and Position Star Swap. Actual battle was vastly different from normal practice. Fang Yuan was able to comprehend an additional layer of understanding regarding these 4 immortal killer moves through the battle. Naturally, Star Lord Wan Zhang's Star Path inheritance did not have just these 4 killer moves. However, Fang Yuan could only use these 4 currently. Because he only had 3 Star Path Immortal GU, Star Mark, Starlight and Star Shoot. These 3 Immortal GU were used in turns as the cores of the 4 Star Path killer moves. Star Lord Wanshang had 4 Immortal GU but 1 was destroyed in battle. Thus, only 3 ended up in Fang Yuan's hands. I had thought of using the Light of Wisdom to deduce some Strength Path Immortal killer moves to make up for my weak points. But these Star Path killer moves are quite good and can be of use for now. There is no need for me to waste my time and energy. Through this battle of defense in Langya Blessed Land, Fang Yuan was able to gain an even more clear understanding of his own battle strength. When considering Star Path killer moves, my battle strength is already firmly at the peak of rank 6. Just based on the offensive aspect, with Myriad Self, my battle strength can match rank 7. But I am still quite far away from being able to fight with veteran rank 7 GU Immortals, and can only try my best to pester and stall them. As for Qin Bai Sheng, I have no hope of matching him. He is a quasi-rank 8, an expert like Feng Zhuzhe. This battle made Fang Yuan truly recognize the power of Qin Bai Sheng. Due to this, in the entire battle, Fang Yuan generally did not use his full strength and was basically going with the flow. Only at the last juncture did he display Myriad Self Giant Hand. Under such a situation, being high profile was seeking death. From start to finish, Fang Yuan had placed some of his attention to controlling fixed immortal travel constantly. Once something went wrong, he was ready to immediately retreat. Who is this Qin Bai Sheng? His true strength is actually so great. He Cheng, Zhang Yu, Wei Fengzi, and the others, why are they together? Qin Bai Sheng seems to be their leader, and with He Cheng in their group, He Lulan's revenge is probably hopeless. Now that I think about it, the hidden details regarding Langya Blessed Land run very deep. There is more than meets the eye. In the memories of Fang Yuan's previous life, Langya Blessed Land had resisted 7 waves of attacks. But now, just in this 4th wave, there were signs of not being able to resist. What was the truth in history? Was it because of influence from Fang Yuan that Langya Blessed Land's situation had changed? A thick fog had appeared in front of Fang Yuan. Even if I was in perfect condition, when facing Qin Bai Sheng, especially that immortal killer move Soul Suppression, I simply wouldn't have any strength to strike back. Truly powerless. Fang Yuan gazed down at his hand was stained with blood. Compared to Qin Bai Sheng, Fang Yuan seemed like this giant horned sheep which could only allow itself to be slaughtered by another. Heaven and earth was vast, nature was boundless. The more one knew, the more they would find out how ignorant they are. The stronger one became, the more they would find how weak they are. Less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than had an interesting account. Boundless forest Samsara was separated from her father, Ren Zhu, and could only stay in ordinary abyss. She was heartbroken, and did not feel happy eating the fruits anymore. Every day, she would shed tears and weep incessantly, until she got tired and gradually fell asleep. In a dream of hers, she vaguely heard some extremely soft voices, and felt something small, like an ant was climbing her body. Immediately, she woke up and sat up, and saw a miniman was climbing on her body. Because of boundless forest Samsara's movement, this miniman's foothold became unstable and it fell to the ground. Who are you? There is actually such a small person like you in the world. Boundless Forest Samsara saw the miniman that was not even the size of her finger, and felt extremely curious, forgetting to cry for a moment. The miniman looked at the giant Boundless Forest Samsara with a stupefied look, and after the shock, he raised his head and started crying loudly. Hey hey hey, little person, I am not crying, what are you crying for? Boundless Forest Samsara was puzzled. The miniman spoke while crying. I am the tallest in my tribe, and I was brave, arrogant and proud because of this. Today, I intended to climb a mountain, but to think that this mountain was really a person. There are actually such giant people like you in the world, this is the first time I've seen someone like you, so I burst into tears. Almost every person who explored and grew up, would have such a mental journey. The more they saw, the more they realized their weaknesses. Sometimes they would sigh at the vastness of the world, and sometimes they would find how far their goal was, and to reach their goal, they had to go through an endless journey which they had not considered before. They would feel loss, bewilderment, discouragement, panic, even hopelessness. Thus, one could understand the miniman crying when it saw Boundless Forest Samsara. Thinking back to my previous life, I also was once perplexed and had cried. There are mountains beyond mountains, and experts beyond experts. There are always stronger existences than me, eternal life is too far away, how could my insignificant self achieve it? Fang Yuan gazed at his bloody palm and was lost in thought for a while. After a long time, he suddenly smiled, revealing his sharp fangs. Still too weak. Whether it was my previous life or this life, I am like that miniman that wanted to climb the mountain. But my insignificance won't be an excuse to stop chasing after the grandness. Only the cowardly and defeated will look for excuses. Even if tears are shed and snot flows out, I will continue to climb the mountain, this is the pleasure of life. As he thought of this, Fang Yuan ripped apart another portion of bloody meat and bit it. The sharp teeth ruthlessly chewed at the meat, trickles of fresh blood seeped out of his lips. Chapter 887, Short Break. Half a month later. In Fang Yuan's dead immortal aperture, two wills were in a fierce struggle. One will was like specks of starlight, flickering brightly. The other will was illusory, suddenly going in and retreating just as suddenly. They were a star will and a fake will. These two wills had already fought for 7 minutes. The star will was slowly unable to keep up with the fake will, and was showing signs of losing. However, with a shift of Fang Yuan's mind, a new portion of will descended from the sky and joined the battle like reinforcements, immediately changing the battle situation. In the end, the fake will was defeated miserably with only a few fragments of it remaining. Fang Yuan, you will die a terrible death, the fake will could not condense into any form, and used all its strength to curse in a stammering voice. A curse from such a weak being was simply of no importance. The star will won, it condensed into Fang Yuan's image and sneered while glancing at Mo Yao's fake will, before it flew to the sky and left the dead immortal aperture. I have already made large progress in battles of wills. Now, in a 1 versus 1, although I cannot defeat Mo Yao and am defeated every time, Mo Yao's will also doesn't have an easy time, and recently all her victories are achieved with difficulty. While Fang Yuan was evaluating himself inwardly, the star will entered his mind and the information received this time appeared in his mind. Fang Yuan originally had no expectations, but the information this time gave him a slight surprise. Spring Dream Fruit Tree. Fang Yuan's mind jolted. During her travels in the outside world, Mo Yao had once unexpectedly found a spring dream fruit tree near a nameless hamlet. At that time, the conceptualization of dream path was very minimal and there were no external manifestation of dream realms, even Heavenly Court's exploration of dream realms was extremely shallow. Mo Yao only felt the tree was somewhat strange, she did not recognize it, so she engraved it in her mind. She left this spring dream fruit tree in its place and did not move it. Spring dream fruit tree was not a desolate plant and looked ordinary, normal GU immortals would not be able to find anything wrong. It was only because Mo Yao's investigative killer move was rather unique that she discovered some strange points about the spring dream fruit tree. But she was only slightly curious, it was not an immortal material after all. Later, because of other matters, she did not visit that hamlet again. That spring dream fruit tree all along had been left there. Time brings great changes, so many years had gone by, who knew what had happened to that tree? Perhaps it was already cut down by mortals, maybe it was destroyed by fire or maybe it was still there. The possibilities were too many, it was anyone's guess. This old hag, Mo Yao, is still hard to deal with. She suppressed this memory in the deepest layers, until she could no longer hide it and I found it. But according to this state, almost all the things she knew have been squeezed out by me. Fang Yuan suppressed the thought to go and take the spring dream fruit tree. In fact, he had also obtained another valuable clue earlier. It was in regards to hibiscus stalactites. This was a genuine immortal material. However, when he had secretly gone to that place, he discovered the main area was already secretly occupied by Spirit Affinity House. Fang Yuan thought for a while before deciding not to go. Therefore, Fang Yuan did not hold much hope in regards to the Spring Dream Fruit Tree. Moreover, to retrieve the Spring Dream Fruits, he had to use special Dream Path methods and also make other preparations. If there truly are Spring Dream Fruits, they will be of huge help to me in refining Dream Path Mortal GU. After all, the materials used in refining Dream Path GU worms are truly scarce. Ever since he got the Immortal Killer move Unravel Dream, no matter how busy he was, Fang Yuan would spend some time almost every day to refine Dream Path Mortal GU. If he had Spring Dream Fruits, it would be of great help in refining these Dream Path Mortal GU. Even with a conservative estimation, the efficiency of refining the GU would multiply by at least times. The extremely weak Mo Yao's will was left in the dead immortal aperture to slowly recover. Fang Yuan opened his eyes and left his bed, moving to Dang Hun Palace's prison. Gu Fang Zheng was held captive here. He was lying on a stone bed, his eyes vacantly gazing at the ceiling without moving. Immortal Crane sect had abandoned him, and this to him was an extremely heavy impact. After the initial hysterical shouting and wailing, Fang Zheng had turned into this state. Fang Yuan began to speak. Even if his voice was filled with ridicule, or belittling and cursing Immortal Crane sect as well as Lord Sky Crane, Fang Zheng did not respond. Fang Yuan did not mind and continued to speak for a while before leaving. Re-educating his little brother required time and could not be done in one step. Fang Yuan had already expected this and also did not lack patience. Every set interval of time, he would take the initiative to visit Fang Zheng. In Dang Hun Palace, he could completely monitor Fang Zheng's every action from far away. The true intention behind Fang Yuan personally arriving was to let Fang Zheng know he had visited. Fang Yuan left the area and entered another prison. Up to this point, Fang Yuan's prisons had already held many prisoners. Other than Mo Yao's fake will and Gu Fang Zheng, there was Dong Fang Chong Fan's soul, the rank 7 Featherman Gu Immortal Zheng Ling's soul, and finally, Shui Song Zi's soul, which he had captured in the Battle of Langya Blessed Land. Dong Fang Chong Fan's soul was already completely searched by Fang Yuan and the only value it had left was the soul itself. Meanwhile, the souls of Zheng Ling and Shui Song Zi still had great value. Over these last days after returning from Langya Blessed Land, Fang Yuan had been constantly soul-searching these two. The gains were considerable, large numbers of Mortal GU recipes, many Mortal Killer moves, some Immortal Killer moves, a few Immortal GU recipes, as well as secret knowledge, many treasure troves and clues to inheritances. However, because Zheng Ling was a Wind Path GU Immortal and Shui Song Zi was a Snow Path GU Immortal, these were not suitable for Fang Yuan's Strength Path or Star Path. Before Fang Yuan got hold of Wind Path Immortal GU or Snow Path Immortal GU, these things could only increase his accumulation and strengthen his foundation. One thing worth noting was that Shui Song Zi's soul had been tampered with, and his most recent memories were erased. Thus, Fang Yuan did not know why Shui Song Zi and He Cheng were in cahoots with Qin Bai Sheng. Such a soul path method was extremely profound, making Fang Yuan lost in wonder and unable to do anything. Naturally, the souls of Zheng Ling and Shui Song Zi were still not completely searched, the future gains were still unknown variables. As for Langya Land Spirit's reward, it was indeed extremely bountiful. Fang Yuan not only received the previously agreed upon rank 6 Immortal GU recipe of all-out effort GU, moreover under Fang Yuan's persistence, Langya Land Spirit fully imparted the method to relocate a blessed land to Fang Yuan. These were only 2 rewards, but they had extremely huge value to Fang Yuan. There was no need to mention the value of all-out effort Gu's Immortal GU recipe, speaking instead of the method of relocating a blessed land. Whether it be Hu Immortal Blessed Land or Star Form Blessed Land, both needed to be moved urgently. But the cost of this method was extraordinary and would inflict huge damage to the blessed land itself, and it required using 12 Immortal GU at the same time. Langya Land Spirit had already prepared to relocate Langya Blessed Land. After the relocation, he would lend these Immortal GU to Fang Yuan for Fang Yuan to relocate his blessed lands. Naturally, the price of borrowing these GU was very high. Chapter 888, Entering Eastern Sea. 2 months later. At a certain place in Eastern Sea, Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yun Sheng stood quietly on a cloud, waiting for Shark Demon and others. The sun was setting now, causing a huge area of clouds with a burning red appearance to the west, even the sea underneath them was dyed red. Waves after waves appeared in the sea. Under such elegant turbulence, the last rays of light shone brightly onto these water droplets. They were bright and red. Together with the burning red-looking clouds, a beautiful scene was formed. Every time I see such a beautiful sight, I will stop and immerse myself in this atmosphere, sighing at the marvels of nature. Tai Bai Yunsheng had a deep gaze as he sighed. Right now, I am someone who has succeeded in immortal ascension, but I can feel that this world is still so grand and majestic. It makes one feel like they are an insignificant insect, having a great sense of inferiority. Comparing mankind to heaven, we are really insignificant. Maybe only rank 9 GU venerables would have the qualifications to contest with heaven and earth. I have no such hope. Fang Yuan laughed heartily. Brother Tai Bai, don't think too lowly of yourself. Do you remember from less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than, that story of the Miniman? When we recognize that we are tiny and insignificant, we have to try and get even stronger. We are tiny, but to stop being ignorant and become wise, you will feel pain, because that shows you are growing. Xing Shangzi, you still have such grand ambitions. Ha ha ha, Tai Bai Yunsheng was stunned for a moment before he laughed as well. The two were still conversing, when a GU immortal emerged from the sea below them. Who is this? Fang Yuan shouted. Lords, please calm down, my name is Sha Nanzhong. I was sent by Lord Shark Demon to invite both of you over. The person smiled as he introduced himself. Sha Nanyang's body rose up. In a few breaths of time, he arrived at Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng's location. He was a rank 6 immortal zombie. His body was strong and muscular. He had a bald head with a copper band on it. He had icy blue eyes and his skin was like old tree bark. His arms and legs were exposed on the outside, his fingers were webbed, his ears looked like fish fins, they were sharp and extended towards the back of his head. Fang Yuan twiddled his fingers, suddenly asking, Scenic blue travel immortal zombie body. Sha Nanyang's mild smile froze, he stared at Fang Yuan as he cupped his fists. Sir must be the wisdom path GU immortal Xing Shangzi. Impressive, my scenic blue travel immortal zombie body was self-created. I have just come out of closed cultivation, I have not told anybody. Sir only made a small deduction and actually found out its name. He. Fang Yuan chuckled. I am not a wisdom path GU immortal, I mainly cultivate star path, I only secondarily cultivate wisdom path. Earlier, I was just guessing randomly, I was lucky to have been correct. Fang Yuan was very humble. Tai Bai Yunsheng watched at the side, laughing to himself inwardly. This was the first time Tai Bai Yunsheng met this Sha Nanzhong. Thus, the scene earlier occurred. Sha Nanzhong used an immortal killer move to sneak over here. When he reached the sea beneath Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng, his traces were exposed by Fang Yuan. This was the probing of Sha Nanzhong. But soon, Fang Yuan retaliated and deduced the name of Sha Nanyang's immortal zombie body. When GU immortals interact, their strength was the most important thing. After some mutual probing, they could win each other's respect. Sha Nanzhong no longer dared to be careless, he showed a serious expression. He nodded to Fang Yuan, having a respectful expression, before turning his gaze to Tai Bai Yunsheng. Please follow me, Lord Shark Demon and the others are already attacking Yulu Blessed Land. A moment later, the three of them dived into the seawater and saw a door at the bottom of the sea. This door was circular and had a light color, it looked like porcelain or jade. Chains of water crystal pearls lined the top of the door as they hung, forming a veil and blocking the entrance. Fang Yuan's eyes showed a look of curiosity. He would definitely not think that this door that had suddenly appeared was made of jade. This was the entrance of Yulu Blessed Land, it only showed its outer appearance, but its true purpose was to act as the connection between Yulu Blessed Land and the outside world. The entrance was extremely significant to small worlds like Blessed Lands and Grotto Heavens. Once the entrance was closed, the immortal aperture world would become an enclosed small world, isolated from the outside world. If GU immortals from outside the immortal aperture wanted to enter, it would be extremely difficult. One could say, the entrance was the first difficulty to tackle when invading a blessed land. Back then, immortal crane sects Hefeng Yang and Fairy Kang Yu worked together to attack Fang Yuan's immortal blessed land. In order to solve the problem of the entrance, they used Fang Zheng and a blood path method to locate it. Only after locating the blessed land did they enter immortal blessed land. Qin Bai Sheng and the others invaded Langya Blessed Land. They also made use of the souls of the hairy man GU immortal undercover agents to locate it and enter Langya Blessed Land. Thus, even if Fang Yuan did not capture Fang Zheng to use blood deity, he would still need to be concerned about the safety of immortal Blessed Land and deal with Fang Zheng. In that case, there would be no way of tracking him. Even if they knew the location of immortal Blessed Land precisely, even if they could break the space between the two worlds, they could not connect to the inside of the Blessed Land. As the three arrived in front of the light jade door, Sha Nanzhong activated his GU worms as the crystal veil of the entrance lifted, and the door opened. "Sirs, please enter," Sha Nanzhong invited. Tai Bai Yunsheng saw this and smiled. "Your alliance has formidable methods, you can already control the entrance." Sha Nanzhong smiled lightly. Sir Tai Bai might not know, ever since the failure 2 months ago, Lord Shark Demon returned to the Zombie Alliance headquarters and spent a huge sum of contribution points to request for the help of a rank 7 Wisdom Path Immortal zombie. Right now, we have already gotten through the round of vanishing Immortal Essence Dissipation Rain, and entered deeper within. This entrance was also completely under our alliance's control since a month ago. Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng nodded. They stepped into Yulu Blessed Land. After entering the Blessed Land, they did not see Yulu Blessed Land's true appearance, instead they were inside a frozen world that was completely white. This is the third round after vanishing Immortal Essence Dissipation Rain. It is a battlefield killer move called Freezing Rain Frozen Earth. Every hour, there would be intense freezing rain, as well as attacks from snow monsters. Lord Shark Demon and the rest are just up ahead. Sha Nanzhong introduced. Freezing Rain Frozen Earth. Fang Yuan muttered lightly. He gazed around, showcasing huge interest regarding this battlefield killer move. He had already eliminated his earlier weakness after gaining several star path techniques. Be it attack, defense, movement, investigation, or healing, he had no apparent gaps. Even in terms of investigation, Fang Yuan had an immortal killer move. Not long ago, Sha Nanzhong was exposed by Fang Yuan. That was because of a star path investigative immortal killer move. His current battle strength was firmly at the peak of rank 6. If he used Myriad Self, he would reach rank 7 battle strength. What Fang Yuan lacked now was a battlefield killer move. If he had a battlefield killer move, he could kill a Northern Plains Zombie Alliance immortal zombie secretly, taking over their identity and infiltrating the place. For this goal, Fang Yuan sought Fairy Li Shan for help, but she rejected him. Fang Yuan racked his brains over it. He was an astute person. He found another method to take a step back and make an alternative goal. He decided to get into Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance's headquarters. Thus, he used the appearance and identity of an ordinary Star Path GU Immortal, Xingxiang Zi, and came to Eastern Sea with Tai Bai Yunsheng, intentionally getting close to Shark Demon and the others. "Brother Tai Bai, we meet again. Ha ha ha." A moment later, when everyone met, Shark Demon was extremely enthusiastic. He patted Tai Bai Yunsheng's shoulder and directed his gaze towards Fang Yuan. "Sir must be Brother Tai Bai's best friend, Xingxiang Zi. Since you are Brother Tai Bai's friend, you are also my friend. I am but a wandering lone cultivator, I would not dare to." Fang Yuan smiled humbly. He wore a large blue robe. His hair was white like snow, but his skin was tender like a baby's skin. He had a poised and sagely appearance. In fact, he looked more appealing than Tai Bai Yunsheng. One could not help but feel some fondness upon seeing him. Shark Demon's wife, Su Bai Man, asked, "Don't be so humble, Xingxiang Zi. I heard that Sir has quite an impressive wisdom path attainment level. Can we have a demonstration?" Fang Yuan looked towards her. Su Bai Man was an immortal zombie, but he could see her former beauty and elegance. As the saying goes, a beautiful woman leads to a hero's grave. It was no wonder that Shark Demon turned himself into a zombie, sacrificing his immense cultivation prospects to accompany Su Bai Man. Immediately, Fang Yuan replied to her without hesitation, "Then I will give it a try. Please do forgive me if I mess up." "Just go for it, Sir Xingxiang Zi. Even if you fail, nobody will blame you," Shark Demon replied. He had a ruthless and fierce nature. He usually looked at people coldly, but this was the first time he was meeting Fang Yuan, yet he was so warm and enthusiastic. Evidently, he was giving Tai Bai Yunsheng face. Or rather, he was giving face towards the man as before immortal GU that Tai Bai Yunsheng had. Fang Yuan raised his head and observed the surroundings. This world before him was a land of snow and ice. It was completely white. It indeed was a battlefield killer move. They were often known as quasi-blessed lands. Fang Yuan activated many Wisdom Path GU worms within his immortal aperture. He used several Wisdom Path investigative killer moves in front of everyone. But he saw no flaws. The entire battlefield was completely unchanged and intact. He could not finding a point of weakness. But Fang Yuan was not anxious, even though he had studied very hard over the last 2 months, becoming proficient with many Wisdom Path techniques. The battlefield killer move in front of him was not simple. It was created by Fairy Yulu. Fairy Yulu was a remarkable person. She had an impressive origin, being a disciple of Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable. He was the one who left behind the #1 battlefield killer move inheritance in the entire history of humanity. Fairy Yulu's battlefield killer move was certain to be extraordinary. Impressive. This battlefield killer move is completely fused with Yulu Blessed Land. It seems that it was created using the Tao marks in the Blessed Land. Such methods are much more advanced than Langya Blessed Land. Fang Yuan observed for a long time. He gradually found some interesting points. Langya Land Spirit did not dare to set up a battlefield killer move in his Blessed Land to deal with Qin Bai Sheng. He only used the 12-wave cloud confusion GU formation to deal with them. Langya Land Spirit was afraid that the temporary Tao marks created in setting up a battlefield killer move would harm the Blessed Land greatly. In fact, in the current cultivation world, most GU immortals would not dare to use a battlefield killer move in their Blessed Lands or Grotto Heavens. Once the temporary Tao marks made by the battlefield killer move clashed with the Tao marks in the Immortal Aperture Small World, the battlefield killer move would fail, and the GU immortal would face a backlash. In the worst-case scenario, the Tao marks will conflict with each other, unleashing terrifying strength that could destroy the Blessed Land and kill the GU immortal on the spot. This had the same principle with the backlash of refining GU. But Fairy Yulu was indeed a great expert in battlefield killer moves. She directly countered this weakness by using incredible techniques that were out of Fang Yuan's imagination. She even greatly surpassed a fossil like Langya Land Spirit in this regard. Fang Yuan was secretly in admiration and anticipation. It would be great if I can obtain Fairy Yulu's inheritance. Even if I get only one battlefield killer move that suits me, it would be a wonderful thing. Chapter 889, Freezing Rain Frozen Earth. Within the battlefield killer move Freezing Rain Frozen Earth, Fang Yuan used wisdom path techniques one after another, making continuous deductions. Freezing Rain Frozen Earth was made using the Tao marks inside Yulu Blessed Land. They were not temporary Tao marks. This made it very troublesome to deal with. Shark Demon and the others could not break this battlefield killer move forcefully. If they destroyed it, they would be destroying the Tao marks inside Yulu Blessed Land. This would cause irreparable damage to Yulu Blessed Land. This was the same as saying, Qin Bai Sheng snatched away a portion of the immortal GU house, refinement cauldron. This cased Langya Blessed Land to lose a large number of Tao marks. It was a devastating loss. Shark Demon and the others attacked Yulu Blessed Land for the inheritance and resources inside. Furthermore, violently destroying a battlefield killer move required a powerful offensive immortal killer move, that in turn meant that they would expend a huge amount of immortal essence. Thinking about the costs and benefits, Shark Demon and the others could only try to properly unravel the battlefield killer move Freezing Rain Frozen Earth. Thankfully, this Yulu Blessed Land was ownerless, and it was unknown if there was a land spirit. Fang Yuan had many GU immortal guards around him. They gave him a lot of freedom to research and decipher the environment. Fang Yuan squinted his eyes as starlight shot out of his pupils. At this moment, in his mind, countless star thoughts were moving about, clashing into each other as he deduced rapidly. Fang Yuan was putting in all his effort now in deducing Freezing Rain Frozen Earth. Firstly, deducing such a high-quality battlefield killer move could give Fang Yuan a lot of new knowledge and inspiration. Even if Fang Yuan could not obtain a battlefield killer move that suited him, with this knowledge and inspiration, he had a firm foundation to create his own battlefield killer move. Secondly, the plan for Fang Yuan after entering Eastern Sea was to enter the headquarters of Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance. This was the first time he was meeting Shark Demon. He had to display his worth so that Shark Demon would think highly of him, helping to recommend him into Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance's headquarters. As he deduced at a rapid rate, time passed quickly as well. Time is almost up. The freezing rain is going to start soon. The snow monsters will form and attack us. How much longer does Sir Xingxiangzi need? A GU immortal that came along with Shark Demon asked impatiently. His name was Bo Dan, a GU immortal member of Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance. He was not an immortal zombie, but a living person. But he was in difficult straits, and did not have a high status after joining Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance. Because he had some wisdom path attainment, he was brought into Yulu Blessed Land by Shark Demon to join in this invasion. Before Fang Yuan appeared, Bo Dan was the only pseudo-wisdom path GU immortal in the group. The appearance of Xingxiangzi threatened his status and benefits. If Fang Yuan made a successful deduction, would that not show that Bo Dan was useless? Seeing that Fang Yuan was not making progress, Bo Dan could not hold it in anymore. He vaguely exerted pressure on Fang Yuan. The other GU immortals were also paying attention to Fang Yuan's performance. Bo Dan asked the question they had internally. Fang Yuan laughed lightly. He did not try to protect his face. He said directly, "I am ashamed. This battlefield killer move is very profound. after deducing it for so long, I have only made some minor progress. This battlefield killer move, freezing rain frozen earth, was indeed worthy of the work of the rank 8 great expert, Fairy Yulu. Fang Yuan used many wisdom path techniques in turn, but he made no progress. It was like he was facing a giant barrier, he did not even know where to start. Is that so? Su Baiman sighed, feeling disappointed. Fang Yuan was unwilling to give up this chance. Give me a bit more time, I will continue to deduce. Shark Demon nodded, he said, Xing Shangzi, go ahead and make your deductions, we will block this attack for you. At the same time, Shark Demon was considering other thoughts internally. Xing Shangzi was highly recommended by Tai Bai Yun Sheng, but now it seems that he is not as amazing as he was said to be. Sigh, last time the battlefield killer move already made me pay a huge price in asking a wisdom path immortal zombie and zombie alliance to help. I have already invested a huge sum into Yulu blessed land, I need to be thrifty. If this Xing Shangzi can really unravel this battlefield killer move, that would be the best outcome. But now, the other GU immortals looked at Fang Yuan with much less expectations. Bo Dan watched at the side, he laughed to himself internally. In the previous battlefield killer moves, I could at least find the GU worms lurking behind it. But this time, I could not even find any clues. I'm curious, how will you find a breakthrough? As expected, a moment later, in the sky above this battlefield, a small drizzle of freezing rain started. These raindrops were like tiny ice needles. Rather than raining, this was more like the falling of ice needles, piercing the air and shooting towards Fang Yuan and the others. The GU immortals used their defensive techniques. Bo Dan did not have an immortal GU, he was protected by Shark Demon's defensive immortal killer move. Fang Yuan was also shielded by Shark Demon. Countless ice needles shot down, but they were blocked by the light barrier, because the needles were moving extremely quickly, they caused sparks to appear on the light barrier. Fang Yuan willed, using Star Cloud Grindstone and entering it. He was not going to place his safety in the hands of others. Seeing Fang Yuan's defensive immortal killer move, the other GU immortals' gazes shined, their attitudes changed slightly. Fang Yuan could use an immortal killer move, he definitely had an immortal GU. A GU immortal with immortal GU was not to be underestimated in Eastern Sea's GU immortal world. Not all GU immortals had immortal GU. In fact, most rank 6 GU immortals could only use mortal killer moves, they were unable to obtain an immortal GU even after much difficulty. The intensity of the rain increased, as the ice needles slowly turned into stronger ice darts. The ice darts tore through space, creating shrill and loud sounds. The GU immortals defended together, they placed all their efforts on defense, they were also inwardly counting the expenditure of their immortal essence. This battlefield changed a little after using a new attack, a tiny flaw has appeared and I can make use of it. It is no longer like before when I had no clue at all. Fang Yuan's heart shook, he felt a sense of joy. He moved quickly, 3 times as fast as earlier. At the same time as using mortal killer moves, he also used Wisdom Path Mortal GU. These killer moves and mortal GU hit the air, causing smoke to rise, thunderous explosions, or jade green acid to splatter. Fang Yuan used all sorts of methods to test this flaw. But the effect was quite lackluster. The ice dart rain had turned into an icicle storm. The GU Immortal's immortal essence expenditure rose at a rapid speed. Roar! With a loud sound, a huge snow monster charged over from the icy rain that filled everyone's vision. Snow monsters were the prey of snowmen. By eating the flesh and blood of snow monsters, snowmen could breed more rapidly and even gain lifespan. A 30 feet tall snow monster could battle a rank 3 GU master. 40 feet tall had the strength of a rank 4 GU master. And 50 feet tall had the terrifying power of a rank 5 GU master. But the snow monster right now was about 60 feet tall. This was a desolate beast level snow monster, it was not to be underestimated. Try not to kill them, even if these snow monsters die in battle, they will revive, they are very persistent. Su Bai Man quickly reminded. Fang Yuan's heart shook, endlessly reviving snow monsters, how can we fight them like this? Tai Bai Yun Sheng also had a change in expression. Don't worry, once the time is up, these snow monsters will vanish on their own. They will only reappear during the next time the freezing rain appears. Shark Demon explained. A GU Immortal to the left of Shark Demon sighed in a worried tone. This freezing rain frozen earth battlefield killer move already had a hint of resemblance to reincarnation battlefield. Fairy Yulu was a disciple of Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable, she might have obtained some insight regarding reincarnation and rebirth. Grr! One after another, snow monsters appeared, they made it very hard for Shark Demon and the others to defend themselves. The attacks of the snow monsters were very powerful, and they did not lack mobility. The GU Immortals did not want to face them directly, they attacked unceasingly, using immortal killer moves to disrupt the charging snow monsters, slowing their speeds and preventing them from getting close. Fang Yuan's joy intensified. When the snow monsters appeared, he found out that this battlefield killer move had even more flaws. There's hope. Fang Yuan cheered on himself. He had only received the Wisdom Path inheritance for a short amount of time. His Wisdom Path attainment level was at ordinary level, even though he worked hard without relaxing or slacking off, attainment levels needed accumulation over time. Calling Fang Yuan a half-baked user was a huge compliment already. He was more like a Wisdom Path newbie. But now, this Wisdom Path newbie was trying to unravel the killer move, Freezing Rain Frozen Earth. Using an analogy from Earth, this was like asking an elementary school student to do a senior high school mathematics problem. Fang Yuan grabbed onto this flaw he found, his hands were moving faster and faster. Eventually, under his deductions, he found a GU worm. This was a mortal GU, it was coordinated with countless mortal GU and immortal GU to form the battlefield killer move Freezing Rain Frozen Earth. Go! Fang Yuan willed and a star snake rope flew out, coiling around this mortal GU rapidly. But when Fang Yuan was about to drag this mortal GU back for research, this mortal GU self-detonated. The star snake rope missed its target, it could only return to Fang Yuan's side. Such movements attracted the attentions of the other GU Immortals. Because this mortal GU was destroyed, the freezing rain became significantly weaker. He actually found a flaw. Bo Dan was shocked, he had once tried to look for flaws during the period of attacking, but he had no gains. Bo Dan's Wisdom Path inheritance was too incomplete, it was of low quality and had limited methods. In contrast, Fang Yuan's inheritance was extremely impressive, it had extraordinary origins. It led to the creation of many powerful Wisdom Path GU Immortals, and its last owner was the #1 Wisdom Path GU Immortal in Northern Plains, Dongfang Chongfan. Even with Fang Yuan's ability, he could find a flaw in the Freezing Rain Frozen Earth, this showed how impressive this inheritance truly was. Good, Shark Demon praised, but just as he said that, the storm above them became 3 times as fierce. Swish swish swish, rain poured down like a storm, the icicles were sharp and emitted immense pressure on the GU Immortals who were defending against the attack. Xing Shangzi, what in the world did you do? Bo Dan grabbed onto this great opportunity and chided. Fang Yuan's heart also jumped, he knew that he was too rash. Even if he found a GU worm that formed the battlefield killer move, he should not have destroyed it at will, otherwise, it would lead to an even stronger resistance and attack. But soon, Fang Yuan felt joyful again. After this mortal GU was destroyed, the battlefield killer move Freezing Rain Frozen Earth had 2 more flaws. This way, there was more hope in unraveling the battlefield killer move. Chapter 890, Framing. Soon, using the star thoughts in his mind to make deductions, Fang Yuan found the location of a few more GU worms. Their locations could not be found with investigative methods, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, a total of 4 spots. There are GU worms hiding there, but they are all mortal GU. They are really hiding well, even with my Star Path investigative immortal killer move, I could not find them. With his earlier experience, Fang Yuan did not try and destroy these mortal GU again. He remained unmoved, continuing to observe and deduce. So close. Soon, he sighed internally, finding a point of danger. The mortal GU that was hiding at that place formed a crucial spot in the battlefield killer move. In his initial estimations, Fang Yuan found out that by killing this GU, he would reduce the power of the freezing rain and snow monsters by 50 to 60%. But after further deductions, Fang Yuan obtained new findings. If he really eliminated the GU, that would result in problems. Even though the current attack would be weaker, the next attack would happen more quickly, and its power will be 3 times as great. The current attacks were already very difficult for Shark Demon and the others to defend against. The freezing rain continued, it expended quite a lot of immortal essence, the immortal zombies were feeling a big headache. The 60 feet tall snow monsters came one after another, the GU immortals did not dare to be careless. If the attack becomes thrice as strong, ancient desolate beast level snow monsters might show up. Fang Yuan was internally shocked, the risk of unraveling this battlefield killer move was too high, if he lost his concentration even once, he would suffer severe consequences. And this was only against mortal GU, the mortal GU that made up the outer layer. If he was dealing with GU worms inside the inner layer, if Fang Yuan's methods were incorrect, he would face an even fiercer backlash. Fang Yuan got past the flaws and continued probing the other areas. Time passed quickly, but Fang Yuan made no progress. This is the 4th wave already. Sigh, how much longer do we have to endure? An immortal zombie sighed. Since joining this invasion, the amount of immortal essence that he had already spent was causing him to feel loss. In this current situation, no matter how much immortal essence we use, what would be the point if we don't see any results? Bo Dan provoked. Shark Demon and the others were feeling frustrated, their attentions were directed towards Fang Yuan. This was the first time they had met Xing Shangzi, they did not know what ability Fang Yuan had in Wisdom Path. Bo Dan was already useless, now the heavy burden of dismantling the battlefield killer move fell onto this stranger's hands, could they rely on him or not? Lord Xing Shangzi, since the start, you have been using mortal techniques to probe it. Look at this, even though the circumstances are not critical yet, it is already a tough situation. Why don't you use immortal level wisdom path techniques? Don't worry, according to the rules, the amount of immortal essence that you consume will be compensated to you later, you do not need to worry about the expenditure. Bo Dan said again. Fang Yuan frowned. This Bo Dan had ill intentions, he had tried to sow discord time and time again. Fang Yuan was well aware of the troubles of being an immortal zombie, immortal essence was hard to obtain, he treasured his supply greatly. But now, there were huge losses but little progress, even if Shark Demon stayed silent and Su Bai Man remained impassive, he could guess the other immortal zombies' frustrations. Fang Yuan could understand why Bo Dan was targeting him. But understanding was one thing, his provocative acts were akin to stabbing a dagger into Fang Yuan's back. Immediately, Fang Yuan gave Bo Dan a deep look as he manipulated moving perspective cup GU, transmitting to Tai Bai Yunsheng. Tai Bai Yunsheng cooperated with him, speaking, Bo Dan, why are you so anxious? Lord Shark Demon has already said it, we will endure this wave of attacks and fight for time for Xing Shangzi. Now that we're only halfway through this wave, you want to run away already? Or do you think that you have made immense contributions already? Bo Dan's expression changed, he said in a tone of one who was wronged. Why would I dare to, Lord Tai Bai Yunsheng, you have misunderstood me. He knew deeply that Tai Bai Yunsheng was Shark Demon's hot favorite, everyone knew of the warm attitude that Shark Demon had towards Tai Bai Yunsheng. Furthermore, Tai Bai Yunsheng had an extraordinarily precious immortal GU, it was an impressive healing method, he could not be offended. Alright, stop arguing, Shark Demon tried to control the situation as he looked at Fang Yuan. We have already gone through the first 3 waves, we can afford to keep going through this 4th wave. Fang Yuan felt Shark Demon's gaze as his heart sank. It seems that Shark Demon and the others were not confident in him at all. How could he allow that to happen? Fang Yuan knew the importance of a first impression, he wanted to join Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance with Shark Demon's recommendation. If he failed the first time he tried, Shark Demon's poor impression of him would make things hard in the future. Even if he showed his worth later, the effect would be far worse than now. In contrast, if he succeeded now, even if he failed in the future, in Shark Demon's perspective, it would be reasonable, after all, who would not fail sometimes? Based on Shark Demon's tone, it seems that he will not stay for the 5th wave. After all, the issue of cost is important in attacking a blessed land. Forget it. Fang Yuan evaluated inwardly, he made up his mind. He struck suddenly, attacking the GU worm from earlier. With a light sound, a GU worm broke. Another GU worm, haha, Tai Bai Yunsheng cooperated as he laughed loudly. Shark Demon and the others' expressions turned to joy, their morale rose slightly. Bo Dan kept quiet, following Fang Yuan's instructions, Tai Bai Yunsheng did not let go of him. How about that, Bo Dan? Regardless of whether a technique is mortal level or immortal level, the only importance is that it works. Bo Dan nodded, showing a smile. Lord Tai Bai Yunsheng is right, I was too rash earlier. He understood the reasoning of backing down, he did not retort, he had given in. Evidently, it was very hard to deal with people like him who could hold in a grudge. Tai Bai Yunsheng continued. The rest of you may not know, but I have known Brother Xing Shangzi for a long time, I know how impressive his wisdom path techniques are. Tai Bai Yunsheng's actions were like a friend trying to speak up for his good friend. At this time, Fang Yuan pretended to have made huge advancements, he continued, I finally took down one important area. With this discovery, I have a greater confidence in unraveling this battlefield killer move now. Is that so? Su Bai Man's eyes shone, she believed a portion of his words. But soon, the truth spoke for itself. A immortal zombie shouted, Quickly look, the freezing rain has weakened, many desolate beast snow monsters are disintegrating on their own. The immortals were overjoyed, their gaze towards Fang Yuan changed a lot. They had only taken Tai Bai Yunsheng's words with a grain of salt, but after seeing and sensing it for themselves, the immortals' attitudes changed drastically. Maybe this Xing Shangzi can really unravel the battlefield killer move. Earlier, Bo Dan could do nothing, but once he came, he destroyed 2GU and reduced the power of the battlefield killer move by half. It seems that his wisdom path attainment is much higher than Bo Dan. I have to admit, this Northern Plains barbarian has quite the skill. Everyone's hearts became filled with hope. Bo Dan smiled on his face, but he was feeling very dark and gloomy inside. The better Fang Yuan performed, the more it pointed out his inability. Bo Dan was very discontent, he used his wisdom path techniques and observed the battlefield. Once he observed it, his heart shook, he felt endless joy. It turned out that after Fang Yuan destroyed 2 mortal GU, and after such a long time, with Bo Dan's skill, he could find 2 flaws as well. He deduced in secret, this was his intelligence, he did not want to do anything until he had concrete results, he was biding his time for a counterattack. Fang Yuan retracted his gaze that was observing Bo Dan, he looked at the battlefield killer move again. After destroying that mortal GU, it was as if a veil was lifted, 6 to 7 flaws were exposed in the freezing rain frozen earth battlefield killer move. But Fang Yuan was not happy at all, he felt very gloomy. The price of obtaining these 6 to 7 flaws was simply too high. For the time being, Shark Demon and the others were still kept in the dark, but when the next wave of attack comes, they would feel the pain. Fang Yuan continued to deduce, he had used over 10,000 star thoughts already. The offense of the battlefield became weaker, Shark Demon and the others let out a breath of turbid air, the pressure of defending was very great, now that they were almost through with the 4th wave of attacks, they felt much less pressure, but they did not relax their alertness. Fang Yuan had good progress, but he did not act. He did not even use his probing methods from earlier. He sat in the air as he closed his eyes, showing others the impression that he was deducing with all his effort. In fact, he was thinking, this battlefield killer move is used to defend the blessed land, there are benefits and demerits. The biggest drawback is that the battlefield killer move forms a temporary world, it is a pseudo-blessed land. In here, all mortal GU and mortal killer moves can be used, they are not restricted like in a blessed land. But in total, the benefits outweigh the demerits. These battlefield killer moves can slow down the speed of invaders. Up until now, Shark Demon and the others still have yet to even see Yulu Blessed Land's true appearance. Even if they could use mortal killer moves, the invading GU immortals still have to expend a lot of immortal essence. Because once this battlefield killer move is activated, its power forces the GU immortals to defend themselves, or advance an attack using immortal methods. If I can obtain some battlefield killer moves in Yulu Blessed Land and use my own Blessed Land's Dao marks to set up layers and layers of battlefield killer moves, that would be most favorable. When I relocate Star Form Blessed Land, I can use this method to form layers of defense. Who Immortal Blessed Land can also make use of this, in case one day, Who Immortal Blessed Land gets attacked, these defensive battlefield killer moves can help me stall for time as I relocate the resources within. Because they were afraid of interrupting Fang Yuan's deductions, Shark Demon and the others remained silent. Because of Fang Yuan's earlier performance, they gained some patience now. What they did not know was, Fang Yuan was actually thinking about other things instead of deducing. In this place, the most anxious person was not Fang Yuan, Tai Bai Yunsheng who was worried about Fang Yuan, or even Shark Demon, it was Bo Dan. Bo Dan was anxious. He was not resigned to being suppressed by Xing Shangzi, earlier, because there were no flaws, so be it, he was helpless. Now that he found some flaws, there was hope, he tried his best to undergo deductions. Time continued to pass, but Fang Yuan did not do anything, Bo Dan instead found an area with hidden mortal GU. If he got rid of this mortal GU, there would be little harm, and there would be progress in breaking the battlefield killer move. Bo Dan had some ability after all, if not for that, Shark Demon would not have brought him to attack Yulu Blessed Land. Having this discovery, Bo Dan was overjoyed, he thought to himself, Bo Dan, you are really amazing. He was quite steady, he did not strike yet, instead he was observing Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was still shutting his eyes, he did not make a move. Bo Dan waited as he lost his patience, his eyes were darting around. He had wanted to wait for Fang Yuan to be helpless before he struck, giving a hard slap to Fang Yuan's face. But soon, he thought, what if Xing Shangzi also finds this flaw, what would I do? Thus, he decided to act. Lord Shark Demon, I have made progress. Look, Bo Dan suddenly spoke. He said this as he moved his hands, destroying the mortal GU that was hidden. Shark Demon nodded at him. Bo Dan was a member of Zombie Alliance after all. Compared to an outsider like Xingxiangzi, Shark Demon was more willing to see Bo Dan's improvement. Su Bai Man smiled lightly. With both of their help, it won't be long before we break the battlefield killer move. But at this time, Fang Yuan opened his eyes, his expression turned very ugly. Oh no. What is it? Tai Bai Yunsheng asked cooperatively. Fang Yuan said. This mortal GU cannot be destroyed, it is like a trap, after destroying it, the battlefield's offensive power will rise. Fang Yuan thumped his chest and stomped his feet, he showed a look of anger and regret, as if he was very upset at the moment. Chapter 891, Distorting the Truth. What? All the immortal zombies heard Fang Yuan's words and were shocked. You, bullshit. Bo Dan felt a strong sense of humiliation as he burst into anger. Shark Demon squinted, he looked at Bo Dan and Fang Yuan, his expression turned dark. What is going on? Bo Dan was gritting his teeth from anger, he said, Lord Shark Demon, I am willing to use my years of reputation as a guarantee, there are no issues with my action just now. This Xingxiangzi might look like a gentleman. Bo Dan pointed at Fang Yuan, but he is a small-minded scoundrel that is jealous of other people's capabilities. He must have seen my superior performance and decided to slander me. Lord Shark Demon and everyone else, please see the truth. I am most clear about Brother Xingjiang's abilities. In my opinion, you are the scoundrel. Tai Bai Yunsheng was extremely angry, he retorted immediately. All of you, shut up. Seeing that the situation was going out of control, Shark Demon shouted, he turned to Fang Yuan, Xingxiangzi, what do you have to say? Fang Yuan smiled bitterly, I have nothing to say. Seeing this attitude, Su Bai Man's eyebrows raised. But Fang Yuan continued, I have a question however, for Sir Bo Dan. Fang Yuan was not angry, he had a gentlemanly demeanor, when compared to Bo Dan's hysteric and frenzied state, there was a clear contrast. Bo Dan saw Fang Yuan's demeanor and felt even more jealousy and hatred, he snorted, what question do you have? Fang Yuan smiled lightly, he stared at Bo Dan as he tried to incite him, if I ask you, would you dare to answer the truth? Bo Dan gritted his teeth, he knew that this was Fang Yuan's trap, but he could no longer back down now, he forced the words out of his throat, go ahead and ask. Fang Yuan sighed, he showed a look of, I do not want to have conflict with people, yet people come and find trouble with me, he said, I will ask you, how many hidden GU worms are there now in this freezing rain frozen earth battlefield killer move? Shark Demon and the others looked tightly at Bo Dan. Bo Dan's heart jumped, he opened his mouth and wanted to speak, but he only managed to stretch out his tongue and lick his lips. Fang Yuan's question was like a dagger stabbing directly into Bo Dan's heart. Bo Dan had only found one spot where there were hidden GU worms, after deducing, he found that there were no issues and acted to destroy the GU worm. Now that this GU worm was removed, there would definitely be new flaws that were not there before forming. But if Bo Dan wanted to deduce the location of more hidden GU worms, he would need time. Bo Dan had thought of lying, but at the next moment, he denied this stupid idea. Because this was very easy to verify. If he said that an area had hidden GU worms, he could be told to simply attack it to show everyone. Actions speak louder than words. Bo Dan was speechless, he clenched his fists subconsciously. But soon, he understood that he could not lie, he loudly responded, if you want to seek help from me, I will satisfy you. Give me some time, I will advise you after I finish deducing. GU immortals all had their own shrewdness, after hearing these words, they remained emotionless in appearance, but they were shaking their heads internally. Bo Dan's pathetic state was imprinted in everyone's minds. These GU immortals were not idiots of course, they understood that Bo Dan spoke without enough confidence. Xingxiangzi had exposed Bo Dan simply through a question. Tai Bai Yunsheng looked at Bo Dan with some pity, he sighed internally, with just your ability, you want to compete with Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan knew that Bo Dan would reply like this, he laughed heartily, Sir Bo Dan must have deduced only one flaw. But this hidden GU worm is only a trap. If you continue your deduction and have more patience, you will find more flaws in hidden GU worms. That way, you might begin to understand how rash your actions were. Oh, Bo Dan's lips twitched, he had thought of a reply, he tried to trouble Fang Yuan, then tell everyone how inappropriate my actions were. How did I cause more trouble? What kind of trap was this flaw? Haha, you should answer properly, Lady Su Bai Man has a lie detection method. This flaw was naturally not a trap. Fang Yuan could not answer him. But Fang Yuan had prepared his response as well. He laughed. My wisdom path inheritance is unique, how can I leak it here? Bo Dan, you made a good scheme, you want to stealthily learn my wisdom path techniques. Utter bullshit. Bo Dan flew into rage. Bo Dan spoke rudely, but Fang Yuan was not unhappy. He looked at Shark Demon. Shark Demon was frowning deeply. He was an observer, watching Fang Yuan and Bo Dan argue their way out. Fang Yuan understood that Shark Demon was still biased towards Bo Dan from this one glance. This was nothing strange. Shark Demon and Bo Dan were members of Zombie Alliance. They had worked together many times and had spent much time together. As the saying goes, an acquaintance may not sow discord among friends. This was only the first time Fang Yuan had met Shark Demon, he was a stranger. Bo Dan and Shark Demon had a much closer relationship. Fang Yuan laughed, his expression changed as he looked at Bo Dan with contempt. He said disdainfully, "Foolish clown, I will give you a lesson today. Watch closely." Saying so, Fang Yuan's fingers moved like swords, drawing lines in the air. Starlight flew out of his fingertips, they stopped in the air, being either close or far away from him. Here, and all these other places, they have hidden mortal GU. If you do not believe me, you can try to attack them yourselves. For example, this point needs a fire path attack to destroy the GU worm. That point needs an ice path technique to be exposed, before using lightning to destroy the GU worm. And for this point, if you want to destroy the mortal GU, you have to wait until the next wave to destroy it. Fang Yuan spoke quickly as the starlight specks floated in the air, there were 8 or 9 of them. The GU immortals were all astute. Fang Yuan told them the locations of the hidden GU worms and the methods to destroy them in detail. He was obviously not afraid of them giving it a try. Such intense confidence made them believe him without any doubts. Bo Dan stared with wide-opened eyes, he did not know how to rebuke him. He got agitated, he wanted to take action. I want to see if your words are true. Wait, Fang Yuan held out his hand, stopping Bo Dan. Bo Dan could not longer back out of this, he showed intense surprise and joy upon hearing that, he showed a cold smile. Why, Xingshangzi, are you afraid? Fang Yuan sighed, giving Bo Dan a glance, he was like an adult looking at a mischievous child. Bo Dan almost jumped in anger. Fang Yuan spoke. There are hidden GU worms here indeed, I am not afraid of anyone probing it. But these areas cannot be damaged. Just like what you did earlier, these are traps that are interconnected. If they are destroyed, it would affect the entire battlefield killer move. Not only would my wisdom path deductions become completely obsolete, I would even have to restart from scratch. All these areas that I pointed out have troublesome connections, I am unable to deduce which points are safe and which are not. After saying that, Fang Yuan turned to the immortal zombie Shark Demon, bowing, Lord Shark Demon, I am truly sorry, this is because I am not good enough. Seeing Fang Yuan's humble attitude, it was like a subtle mockery. Bo Dan's eyelids were twitching, he wanted to jump and pull out all of Fang Yuan's white beard, tear his blue robe apart, step on him and grind Fang Yuan's clean, pinkish face into the dirty soil. But he could not do that, because Shark Demon was returning the bow to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had just spoken and bowed to Shark Demon. From Shark Demon's perspective, he was the leader of them, he had to have manners. Furthermore, Xingshangzi was Tai Bai Yunsheng's good friend, he had introduced the former. Now that Xingshangzi was bowing to Shark Demon, how could Shark Demon not bow back? Zombie Alliance was in the righteous path, even though the members came from everywhere and a large portion were from the demonic path. Once they entered Zombie Alliance, they would have to act like proper members of the righteous path and follow the rules. Also, after hearing their conversation, Shark Demon had a grasp of the situation. In his opinion, Xingshangzi's wisdom path attainment was higher than Bo Dan. Such a talent was needed in his future attempts to take down Yulu Blessed Land, he had to bow in return as courtesy. After that, Shark Demon spoke in a very polite tone. I am deeply enlightened by Brother Xingzhang's words, I wonder how we should proceed from here. Shark Demon was at rank 7, even though he was an immortal zombie, he was a famous expert in Eastern Sea. He took the initiative to call Xingshangzi, brother. In everyone's opinion, Shark Demon's attitude was truly very gentle. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly. It is all because of my low ability. Earlier I had a hint of inspiration and did not want to destroy that GU worm as it would cause my hard work to go to waste. I was anxious and spoke without consideration. Sigh, the saying goes, a strong dragon cannot suppress a local snake. I am just a weak snake, while everyone here are expert dragons. Bo Dan was so angry he was breathing roughly, his eyes were bloodshot. Fang Yuan's words were humble, all of his words were, in consideration of Bo Dan's face, but he actually slapped Bo Dan loudly countless times. This time however, Bo Dan did not retort. He was extremely angry, but he was also feeling uncertain. His wisdom path inheritance was very incomplete, it was far inferior to Fang Yuan's. Since Fang Yuan could expose so many flaws here, Bo Dan also knew that he could not match Fang Yuan, he just refused to admit the truth. Don't tell me, did I really make a mistake? This mortal Gu was really a trap just like what that damned Xingshangzi said. Poor Bo Dan, he was framed by Fang Yuan, but even he himself had fallen into self-doubt. Fang Yuan's peripheral vision was on Bo Dan, he observed all his expressions and reactions. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly and humbly on the outside, but he was laughing coldly internally. He had wanted to retreat long ago. The next wave of attacks would be extremely powerful. If they are careless, some of these Gu immortals might die. Even if they could endure it, their immortal essence expenditure would definitely be severe. Such severe loss would make the Gu immortals feel severe distress, but Fang Yuan had no way of dismantling this battlefield killer move. By then, the Gu immortals would have wasted so many resources, yet Fang Yuan, who was their hope, would make no progress. It was easy to imagine how unhappy they would be with him. Thus, Fang Yuan's humbleness was not just to mock Bo Dan on purpose, he was trying to plant a seed in these immortals' minds. We have to retreat for sure, but the way we retreat is the question. Fang Yuan, after thinking up to this moment, glanced at Bo Dan, before speaking to Shark Demon. There is little time until the next wave of attacks, with this change, my earlier efforts have gone to waste. I can only restart and try again, but I will not lie, there is little hope of success, I need even more time than before. Most importantly, this wave of attacks will be extremely powerful, in my opinion, we should retreat now. The immortals were not willing to give up now, they had already reached this step. Shark Demon said, I hope Brother Xingshang will give it a try. Thus, Fang Yuan pretended to sit in the air as he shut his eyes. Soon, the fifth wave of attacks came, the ice needle storm rained down as dozens of snow monsters charged towards the Gu immortals. The wave is much stronger as expected. Let's go, this is just the start, and it is already so tough. Bo Dan, I don't know what to say to you. Bo Dan's expression was dark, he gritted his teeth, his gaze was cold. He could feel the Gu immortals looking at him, it hurt him more than the ice rain. The Gu immortals' words were like whips lashing on his soul. Xingshangzi, Xingshangzi, he shouted internally, chanting this name. It was a pity that this was merely a fake name. After enduring for a while, Shark Demon saw that Fang Yuan was not making progress, his evaluation of the gains and losses this time had completely turned over, he could only squeeze out the word, retreat. Chapter 892, Alcohol and Food, Fishing for Sharks. The banquet's atmosphere was very cohesive. Even though this attack on Yulu blessed land caused everyone to end up suffering losses, after they left, Shark Demon still kindly invited Tai Bai Yunsheng and Fang Yuan to his home as guests. Tai Bai Yunsheng's man as before immortal Gu was something Shark Demon needed. Fang Yuan, who was under the identity of Xingshangzi, had deep wisdom path attainment. Shark Demon and Su Bai Man saw his value, especially in their attempt to take down Yulu blessed land. Thus, Shark Demon invited Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng, it was not a surprise. Shark Demon stayed in a place called Shark Sea. This was a huge sea area, being over 3 million square kilometers, this Shark Sea was of similar size to the South China Sea on Earth. That was to say, it was as if the entire South China Sea belonged to Shark Demon alone. Everything inside the sea area, countless types of sharks, seaweed and aquatic plants, the rocks on the seabed, the huge amount of seawater, all of them were Shark Demon's possession. Like in northern plains, where fertile grasslands were split up between people, in eastern sea areas that were rich with resources were also distributed among people. Even though Shark Demon was an immortal zombie, he had immense strength, he had the ability to control this sea area. His palace was at the bottom of the sea, at the center of this Shark Sea area. During the banquet, there were all sorts of food from Eastern Sea, they were delicious and filled with the local flavors. No matter what the intentions of both sides were, on the surface, this was a very effective banquet, there was a harmonious atmosphere. Shark Demon enjoyed his delicious wine, even though he was an immortal zombie, with the help of Gu worms, he could temporarily regain his sense of taste. Soon after, he put down his wine cup, at his will, the top of his majestic and beautiful palace turned transparent. Everyone, take a look, these are divine spear sharks, these are shattering teeth golden sharks, and over there are silver scale great treasure sharks, these are all pets that I had nurtured with much effort. Shark Demon pointed, not concealing his proud feelings at all. Fang Yuan raised his head and looked, only to see that the seawater was dark and dim, the palace lights could only shine for 10 meters of distance ahead. The underwater palace was shining in bright lights. If seen from the outside, it was like a huge oddly shaped jewel that was emitting a warm light. Fang Yuan had his investigative killer moves, the dark seawater could not obstruct him. He soon saw the sharks that Shark Demon was referring to. The divine spear sharks moved around alone, they had a peculiar appearance, the tip of their heads were sharp, they were in the shape of long spears. Their bodies were not covered in smooth shark skin, but had a bony texture. The divine spear sharks swam around in the sea, charging around with no fear. The spear on their heads was very sharp, while not inhibiting their advancement. Everywhere they went, underwater rocks were smashed as pathways was created by them. As for the shattering teeth golden sharks, they were the most numerous, 200 to 300 formed into one group. These sharks had very small and sharp teeth. When the shattering teeth golden sharks opened their mouths, Fang Yuan could see that in their mouths, both upper and lower jaws, they had 6 rows of sharp teeth. Even though these golden sharks were carnivores, they did not prey on large fish, instead they were like whales, they only ate small fish and prawns. The 6 rows of teeth formed 6 tight defenses, separating the sand from fish and prawns. No matter how small the fish were, they could not escape from the golden sharks. Silver scale great treasure sharks were the largest, they would be around the sizes of small whales from Earth. This type of treasure shark lived in a family of 3 or 4. Usually, they would move about casually, when food appeared, they would move quickly and hunt. Even though the silver scale great treasure shark had a huge body, its body did not match the incredible speed it could display. Once it moved, its speed was extremely fast, it would be like a flash of silver lightning in the depths of the sea. Silver scale great treasure sharks had the most rogue nature, instead of hunting other fish, they ate other sharks as food. Of course, if it were the stronger sharks like the divine spear sharks or shattering teeth golden sharks, the treasure sharks would not go after them if they had sufficient food. How is it, the fish that I am raising, are they all right? Shark Demon looked at how Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng were dazed, he felt incredibly pleased. More than all right, these sharks are all lively and energetic, they were raised well. This sea area has all sorts of creatures living in a well-balanced habitat, these sharks all have a lot of GU worms in them, I even saw 1 or 2 desolate beast sharks earlier. Fang Yuan said. Tai Bai Yunsheng also sighed, he nodded. No wonder Eastern Sea is the region with the most abundant resources, this sea area already showcases a lot to me. Shark Demon raised his head slightly as he laughed. Su Bai Man was beside him, she smiled, please do not praise him so much. My husband's hobby is to raise these sharks in his free time, he particularly enjoys hearing the praise of others towards these sharks. During the banquet, be it Shark Demon or Su Bai Man, they were much more amicable than in Yulu Blessed Land. These two could differentiate work from social life. During public occasions, they had to control the situation, thus they were stern and serious, without any hint of carelessness. Privately, they were hospitable and warm, by making jokes at times, they could make other people feel much closer to them. This couple not only had great battle strength, they also had a lot of experience in human interaction. It was no wonder they could obtain such an important mission like attacking Yulu Blessed Land from Zombie Alliance after much competition. Even though Shark Demon and Su Bai Man had invested a lot into Yulu Blessed Land, having made a huge loss already, losing a lot of their wealth, if Yulu Blessed Land were to be successfully taken down, Shark Demon and Su Bai Man would receive 10 times or even dozens of times as much profits. Most immortal zombies would not undertake such important missions. Only Su Bai Man and Shark Demon, these veteran experts, had the foundation to support an immense expenditure in the early stages. Hearing the praise from Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng, Shark Demon smiled, you flatter me, ha ha ha. Actually, this sea area is only ranked 46th among the list of Eastern Sea's sea areas. Above my sea area, there is the elegant splendorous sea area, the flourishing bumpy sea area, and a Song Clan Gu Immortals, Song Yi Shi's poetic emotion sea area. Both of you have not been in Eastern Sea for long, you might not have seen the 10 great sea areas in Eastern Sea. These 10 sea areas are all incredible. Rainbow Island's Rainbow Sea Area, the seawater is beautiful and in all colors, and yet the colors do not smudge. Boundless Forest Sea Area has trees that are thousands of meters tall growing under the sea, the tree crowns can penetrate the water surface, and the huge number of trees form a huge underwater forest. For the Mermen Sea Area, female mermen one are extremely amorous, there are countless mermen living there, they have incredible strength, being one of Eastern Sea's top 10 super forces. Tai Bai Yunsheng heard all these as his expression froze. He sighed again. The world is vast, nature is also vast, Eastern Sea has so many precious resources, and countless talents, we can truly feel how insignificant each of us are. Merman, Fang Yuan's heart moved, he thought of a certain memory in his previous life. After eating the food, the banquet was reaching its end. Shark Demon said, "Since this is the first time that both of you are here, I have prepared some small gifts, please do accept them." This was an obvious way to improve their relationship. Fang Yuan did not reject him. He wanted to get closer to Shark Demon anyway. He showed a look of joy as he cupped his fists. "Then I will thank Lord Shark Demon in advance." Shark Demon laughed heartily. He clapped. "Good, I like the forthright nature of Northern Plains GU Immortals. But for the gifts I prepared, you will have to collect them yourselves." Oh, Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng looked at each other with a sense of confusion. Su Bai Man explained while concealing her smile. "Both of you might not know, my husband does not invite guests here very often. But when he does, he would gift them some sharks. The guest would need to catch the sharks themselves. As for how many and what type of sharks they get, that would be decided by the guest's ability." So that's it, Tai Bai Yunsheng and Fang Yuan realized. "Please start moving. You only have 7 minutes. During this period, you need to stay inside the palace. It will be against the rules if you go out," Shark Demon said. Tai Bai Yunsheng was very interested. These sharks were in top-notch condition, they were very valuable. Even if he could not use them, he could sell them for a huge sum of immortal essence stones. Moreover, there were sharks that suited him here. Fang Yuan's was moved. He thought of something. "Isn't this the famous shark fishing banquet from my previous life?" In his previous life, by the time Fang Yuan came to Eastern Sea, Shark Demon and Su Bai Man had already died, the cause was unknown. This Shark Sea became someone else's possession. The GU Immortal who occupied this place, Zhu Xingbo, was very hospitable and had a wide network of friendships. While holding a banquet, he also played this game, allowing his guests to fish for sharks in the palace. It turned out that the origin of this was Shark Demon. GU Immortal Zhu Xingbo was only imitating him. The fishing had started, they had limited time. Fang Yuan resisted his urge to enter the sea to take a look. There were many groups of sharks swimming around freely near the underwater palace. Among these sharks, the ones with the highest value are those that Shark Demon pointed out earlier: Divine Spear Shark, Shattering Teeth Golden Shark, and Silver Scale Great Treasure Shark. But these sharks do not suit me, Fang Yuan thought in his mind. The ones which suited him were Blood Fiend Sharks and Star Mark Sharks. The former was suitable for Hu Immortal Blessed Land after the Blood Calamity, the latter suited Star Form Blessed Land. They could be raised in the most central lake. However, the quantity of these two types of sharks was far less than the Divine Spear Shark, Shattering Teeth Golden Shark, and Silver Scale Great Treasure Shark. It was because the ferocity of the Blood Fiend Shark and Star Mark Shark was inferior to the Divine Spear Shark, Shattering Teeth Golden Shark, and Silver Scale Great Treasure Shark. This underwater palace was Shark Demon's place of residence. During normal times, when Shark Demon had the time, he would toss fresh food and cause the sharks to fight for them. As time passed, this place became the sanctuary of the sharks. The strongest shark groups would stay here. It was difficult for Fang Yuan to obtain Blood Fiend Sharks and Star Mark Sharks. He was inside the underwater palace, he could not travel around and capture sharks in the water. This was only a game. Shark Demon was not generous enough to let others capture sharks in his sea area casually. Fang Yuan felt some regret, but he had to give up on the Blood Fiend Sharks and Star Mark Sharks. As for the Divine Spear Sharks, Shattering Teeth Golden Sharks, and Silver Scale Great Treasure Sharks, he did not want them. After 2 months of accumulation, he already had 500 to 600 Immortal Essence Stones. With such wealth, he did not need such a small amount. How many Divine Spear Sharks, Shattering Teeth Golden Sharks, and Silver Scale Great Treasure Sharks could be obtained in 7 minutes? Fang Yuan was not skilled in capturing beasts. Using an immortal killer move to capture beasts was too wasteful, unless he was trying to capture desolate beasts. Chapter 893, Song Clan's Song Yi Shi. Fang Yuan quickly thought, and decided to help Tai Bai Yunsheng. Tai Bai Yunsheng wanted to capture cloud-line sharks which had a small and exquisite bodies. Not only could they move in the sea, they could also fly and survive for a long time. They were suitable for Tai Bai Blessed Land. However, cloud-line sharks were proficient at hiding. Were it not for this, they could not have survived near the sea palace between the 3 shark groups. Tai Bai Yunsheng's shark fishing ran into a problem at the very start. His target was cloud-line sharks, but Divine Spear Sharks, Shattering Teeth Golden Sharks and Silver Scale Great Treasure Sharks would not just look on from the side. Like smoke spreading in the sea, Tai Bai Yunsheng's methods stirred up these three shark groups. As far as they were concerned, this sanctuary was their joint territory, and now an anomaly appeared. Like beasts whose territories were invaded, they naturally had to teach these audacious invaders a lesson. Tai Bai Yunsheng was specialized in healing and was not proficient in fishing. These three shark groups caused great disturbance to him. After Fang Yuan helped, the disturbances were mostly eliminated. Tai Bai Yunsheng felt his pressure lifting and immediately sent him a grateful look. Fang Yuan smiled lightly and nodded to Tai Bai Yunsheng, not saying anything. Finally, with Fang Yuan's cooperation, Tai Bai Yunsheng was able to capture an ideal quantity of cloudline sharks. I thank both Lord Shark Demon and Lord Su Bai Man. Tai Bai Yunsheng had profited, thus he stood up and bowed solemnly to the two. You two indeed have a deep relationship. Shark Demon sighed softly. After chatting for a while, this banquet reached the end. Both guests and hosts enjoyed it to the fullest. Shark Demon personally accompanied Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng out of the sea area. They looked on until the two had shrunk to the size of ants in the horizons. Su Bai Man's gaze flashed as she suddenly spoke. Dear, what do you think of this Xingshangzi? Shark Demon's smile disappeared completely and his gaze turned aloof. This person seems humble but in fact is arrogant and also has lot of hidden thoughts. He is different from Tai Bai Yunsheng and is not someone easy to deal with. He paused for a moment before continuing. Bo Dan is too useless. He was led around by Xingshangzi from start to finish. Bo Dan is a person on our side, but was embarrassed like that by Xingshangzi. Bo Dan's embarrassment caused me to lose face as well. This Xingshangzi did whatever he wanted since the moment he came. There is ruthlessness behind his gentle appearance. He is no kind person. If I had my previous temperament, I would have already given him a few hard slaps and taught him to be obedient. He would learn that this is Eastern Sea and not Northern Plains. Su Bai Man hurriedly consoled. Dear, calm your anger. This type of person with skill will naturally have arrogance. As for Bo Dan's loss of composure this time, it is also justifiable. Think of it, his private sea area has already been occupied for many years by Blazing Heaven Demoness and she still doesn't have the intention to return it. Bo Dan recently went to beg for it but was instead beaten badly by Blazing Heaven Demoness. Blazing Heaven Demoness is a Northern Plains immortal zombie, thus Bo Dan naturally looks upon Northern Plains GU immortals with anger. Moreover, he lost his private sea area and is without other means of income. He is in extremely strained circumstances. The reward from attacking Yulu Blessed Land is plentiful and it is his best chance to save himself from poverty. However, Xingshangzi arrived with wisdom path methods better than his. It is unavoidable for Bo Dan to be furious for having his source of income stolen. This is a matter of great importance to him, thus it was also unavoidable for him to lose his usual state of mind. As he heard this, Shark Demon's eyes brightened, and he looked at Su Bai Man with a smiling expression. Why are you suddenly speaking about Bo Dan so favorably? Ah, it must be that Bo Dan secretly sent a big gift to you, right? Su Bai Man covered her mouth as she laughed. I cannot hide anything from you. It is not a big gift, just a palm-sized medicine ice. Shark Demon, however, was very surprised. Although the quantity of this medicine ice is small, it is a genuine rank 8 immortal material. Where did Bo Dan find this? Hey, he is really spending a lot to protect his role. Su Bai Man lightly shook her head. Bo Dan doesn't seem to be eye-catching, but to be able to have this success, he isn't a simple character. Shark Demon said with a profound voice. It seems Bo Dan really wants to grasp this opportunity. He might not have much experience in this situation, but even if he is incompetent, he also has some use. Xingshangzi has great capability, but he is an outsider. I definitely want to bring Bo Dan, just to keep this Xingshangzi in check and stop him from being solely dominant in the future. If we let him be proud and insolent because of his talent, what will happen in the future? What if when we are attacking the Blessed Land, we are trapped by him, what will we do then? We don't understand wisdom path methods, but with Bo Dan, we can make Xingshangzi restrain himself and prevent him from making mischief. Su Bai Man put her mind at ease, gazing dreamily at this man whom she loved deeply. My husband really is most capable. Bo Dan and Xingshangzi are playing in your hands, and won't be able to create any trouble. Ha ha ha, dear, don't praise me so much. Fang Yuan followed Tai Bai Yunsheng to a nameless island. This nameless island was the home of Tai Bai Yunsheng previously. It was extremely crude, but because of Tai Bai Yunsheng, it gradually started becoming slightly famous in the circles of Eastern CGU immortals. In this invasion of Yulu Blessed Land, Shark Demon had to return in defeat after the difficult round. To carry out another invasion, they needed time to prepare. Tai Bai Yunsheng wanted to use this free time to meet the many requests he had received in the past. One had to say that landscape as before, this time Path Immortal GU, was very much sought after. Something unexpected could happen any time, there would always be some issues appearing from time to time in the sea areas the GU Immortals managed. Landscape as before had outstanding effects in this aspect and showed instant results. Fang Yuan, how about coming together with me, we can take care of each other on one hand and I can also introduce you to others. With this trip, you can also get familiar with the nearby GU Immortals. Tai Bai Yunsheng suggested. This suggestion was very appropriate, but Fang Yuan already had a plan, as he said to Tai Bai Yunsheng with a wry smile, "Old Bai, it is better if you don't let others know our relation as much as possible. Because the thing I am about to do might very well implicate you." Ah, wasn't this trip to get a share of Yulu Blessed Land, then join Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance? Tai Bai Yunsheng felt something wrong from Fang Yuan's tone, it seemed like he was going to create trouble. With regards to Fang Yuan's ability to create trouble, Tai Bai Yunsheng had a deep impression of it. The setup in Imperial Court Blessed Land and 88 Truyong building by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was destroyed because of Fang Yuan. Moreover, this was accomplished when Fang Yuan had still been immortal. Now, he was an immortal zombie, this ability to create trouble had definitely increased sharply. Fang Yuan, you shouldn't act recklessly. What are you planning? Tai Bai Yunsheng worriedly looked at Fang Yuan. My good senior brother, don't worry, I am doing this to join Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance. Fang Yuan consoled. Don't call me senior brother, a skilled person as a teacher, I still don't have enough qualifications to be your senior brother. Tai Bai Yunsheng hurriedly shook his hand, worriedly inquiring about the details. Fang Yuan revealed a little. Old Bai, have you thought about how inappropriate it is for me to join Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance? Tai Bai Yunsheng blinked. Although you are under the identity of a Northern Plains GU Immortal, Eastern Sea has had cases of GU Immortals of other regions joining their local forces. Moreover, this Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance is the main headquarters of the Zombie Alliances over all 5 regions, it is an enormous force. Other Zombie Alliance branches don't recruit living GU Immortals, but Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance recruits them. Your identity won't pose a problem. Fang Yuan shook his head. Those like Bo Dan who have joined Zombie Alliance are those who are living a miserable life and can barely scrape by. These type of people are at the bottom layer among GU Immortals. Their positions in Zombie Alliance are even lower than Immortal Zombies. But I, Xing Shangzi, am different. Not mentioning my Immortal GU, I have strong wisdom path methods which can deduce the battlefield killer move in Yulu Blessed Land. People like me, no matter how we live, we are not likely to join Zombie Alliance. As long as I reveal just a slight intent to do so, I believe other righteous path forces would welcome me warmly. It is reasonable. Tai Bai Yunsheng nodded. Joining these forces means losing freedom. Especially to foreign GU Immortals like us, the monitoring and restrictions are much more strict. Otherwise, why would there be so many lone cultivators? So, for a GU Immortal like me to join Zombie Alliance, not only should it be my own wish, but it also requires a strong external pressure. Fang Yuan nodded. Tai Bai Yunsheng's eyes shined brightly, as he asked, what pressure? Fang Yuan smiled before lightly asking a question that made Tai Bai Yunsheng pale, which is the closest superforce from here? Song clan was a colossus that had occupied Eastern Sea for hundreds of years. This clan was an existence that was in the top 10 even among the many superforces in Eastern Sea. The official, publicly known number of GU Immortals in the clan was 18. Song clan's first supreme elder, Song Qiyuan, had already been rank 8 for many years, his battle strength was unfathomable. Song Qiyuan's son, Song Diaoling, was a rank 7 GU Immortal with outstanding talent, he was cultured and elegant, and had been publicly recognized as the successor for Song clan's leadership. But unfortunately, over 10 years ago, Song Diaoling was schemed against and died, leaving behind a daughter. The daughter's surname was naturally Song and her given name was Yishi. She was the only descendant left of Song Qiyuan's bloodline. Since a young age, Song Yishi was pampered by her grandfather Song Qiyuan. In any world, some people are naturally born with a silver spoon in their mouths. In the world where most people were struggling to survive, and most GU Immortals constantly on their guard, preparing to undergo their next tribulations and calamities, rushing around everywhere to raise their strength and cultivation, Song Yishi was just sitting back and enjoying life, all her cultivation resources provided by Song Qiyuan. She only needed to say the word and her grandfather, Song Qiyuan, would make sure they were fulfilled. When Song Yishi underwent immortal ascension, Song Qiyuan personally protected her. After advancing to a rank 6 GU Immortal, Song Qiyuan sent his granddaughter a big gift, a sea area with an area of 4 million square kilometers. It was slightly larger than the South China Sea on Earth. Not only this sea area was also extremely rich in resources and was named the Poetic Emotion Sea Area. In the rankings of Eastern Sea, it was ranked above Shark Demon's Shark Sea. Fang Yuan explored and, in combination with his previous life's memories, made his plan center around this Song Yishi. Chapter 894, Purposely Getting Discovered. After plotting in secret for half a month, Fang Yuan arrived on a small island. Eastern Sea had many small islands, there were millions or even tens of millions of the islands that Fang Yuan had arrived at. Most small islands were uninhabited islands, but this small island actually had humans. There were 3 fishing villages on the island, the strongest cultivator was only rank 3. Fang Yuan hid his figure, under the blazing sun, he strolled into a nearby fishing village like it was a normal thing to do. The surrounding people were mostly ordinary mortals. There was occasionally a GU master or 2 on the scene, they were either rank 1 or 2, and were very well respected by the mortals around them. Fang Yuan's current methods were much stronger than the time when he was in southern border. He moved through the entire village 2 or 3 times, but no one could discover him. This should be Li Clan village. Fang Yuan observed it for a while, combined with his previous life's memories, he verified that this was the place. This small fishing village was obviously not Li Clan village. But in his previous life, there was a mystical and interesting GU immortal who emerged from this place, he was called Li Xiaoyao. This fishing village was renamed by him, to Li Clan village. Of course, right now, Li Xiaoyao was yet to be born. According to his previous life's memories, Li Xiaoyao would be born in around 200 years. After confirming the status of this fishing village, Fang Yuan left and arrived at a cliff beside the sea. There were countless nests in the cliff, there were hundreds, thousands of birds resting here, they had a strong territorial awareness. Once a GU master, or a large life form comes and makes the birds feel threatened, they would assault the invaders together. Thus, few people in the village came to this place. Occasionally, there were GU masters who came to harvest some medicinal herbs or steal some bird eggs. These birds were very diverse, they were a congregation of over 10 different hundred beast groups, they were not the same types of birds. On this tiny island, there were human GU masters, but they were not at the dominant position in this environment. According to the less than biography of Li Xiaoyao greater than, when Li Xiaoyao was still a child, he was often bullied by children who were older than him, he had to hide here out of necessity. Here, he found a hidden cave by accident, he treated this cave as his secret base. This cliff had all sorts of holes and caves, there was a large number of them. It was obviously very difficult to locate the cave that Li Xiaoyao found. However, since there are bird groups here, Li Xiaoyao could not have gone deep inside. His cave should be at the outer periphery. Fang Yuan was prepared amply, he searched for a while and chose 100 targets initially. By the time it was noon, and the sun started to descend towards the west, Fang Yuan found his true target. This hole was not big, but even with Xing Shangzi's current size, he could not enter. Not to mention Fang Yuan's original 8-arm immortal zombie body. Thankfully, he had change form immortal GU. Fang Yuan shrunk his body and squeezed inside. The cave was moist, by the evening, there was weak lingering sunlight penetrating into it. After moving in the cave for a short while, Fang Yuan came to the deepest part of this cave. The space here was extremely wide. The sea winds outside the cliff blew into the small holes of the cave, they created a whistling sound of moving wind. Fang Yuan could not help but think of the less than biography of Li Xiaoyao greater than, inside, it wrote about Li Xiaoyao's childhood, when he was often bullied, he would hide inside this cave and sob quietly, as he listened to the whistling sound of the wind. This situation continued for a long time, until one day, fate changed for him as Li Xiaoyao's legendary tale began. This change in fate was the small hole in a corner of the cave. Once when Li Xiaoyao was hiding here, he leaned on a corner as he rested. Suddenly, the cave collapsed as he fell, directly into a deep part of the cliff, and he got swept away by the currents in the sea. This trip, Fang Yuan was trying to replicate Li Xiaoyao's fortuitous encounter in his previous life. This cliff was like an ant's den, the inside had numerous tunnels and different caves, as if there was a drill that moved in it. 6 hours later, Fang Yuan found the actual route. He broke the hole in the cave as he moved into it. When he entered the interior of the cliff, he fell rapidly. It was pure darkness and moisture. There were all sorts of small life forms like snakes. The largest animal here was a type of lizard, having the size of a normal cat. All these could not obstruct Fang Yuan. He quickly got to the bottom of the cliff, as the sound of waves got louder. At the bottom of the cliff, there was a huge spiral of seawater. This was the unique undercurrent phenomenon of Eastern Sea. The seawater in the spiral moved rapidly, there were abundant water vapor and it resembled a giant monster's mouth. Fang Yuan willed and several GU worms flew out, stopping here and leaving a marking. Next, he dived into the spiral with a loud sound. Once he was in the spiral, a formless force surrounded his body. Even with Fang Yuan's incredible strength, he felt a sense of helplessness as he was captured by the seawater. Fang Yuan did not struggle, instead he allowed this undercurrent to carry him elsewhere. This undercurrent was like a formless dragon or python, it created a tunnel of water at the bottom of the sea. The fish groups at the bottom of the sea would swim away from it. Even seaweed and aquatic plants did not grow in their path. Because they could not grow, they could not endure the long-term dragging force of the undercurrents. Fang Yuan followed this undercurrent as he moved quickly, his current speed was incredible fast, even ordinary movement immortal killer moves could not match his speed. This was a specialty of the sea's undercurrents. In Eastern Sea, there was a type of precious map. The map did not record the islands, nor the surface of the sea, it included the undercurrents in the sea. Gushes of undercurrents interweaved under the sea, they formed into a natural route for transportation of goods. In Eastern Sea, some super forces had underwater caravans. These caravans made use of GU worms to go deep into the sea and use the undercurrents to move rapidly. In a short time, they could travel for 10,000 li, or even 100,000 li, to engage in trade. After about 15 minutes, Fang Yuan emerged from the other end of this undercurrent. The end point was just like the starting point, it was also a huge seawater spiral. Fang Yuan jumped out of the spiral, what he saw was a sea of red. The intense hot air assaulted him. This was an underwater volcano. Fang Yuan was currently partway up this underwater volcano. In the middle of the volcano, there was no seawater entering it. At the bottom of the volcano, molten magma gushed out from the deep parts of the sea trench, causing countless lives to perish. And at the top of the volcano, there was a natural underwater hot spring. Fang Yuan's objective was the underwater hot spring at the top of the volcano. But Fang Yuan made an estimation, it was not time yet, he decided to explore the place to spend the time. The lower he went, the hotter it was. It was pure red in front of him, a type of fire lizard entered Fang Yuan's detection range. This lizard had shiny smooth scales, it extended its tongue as it ate flying bugs as food. This type of flying insect originated from the bottom of the volcano, inside the moving molten magma river. In the magma river, there were bubbles bursting at times as small insects flew out from within. The fire lizard sprawled on the side of the magma river, seeing that the flying insects had flown out, its tongue shot out at lightning speed as it captured these bugs, it retracted its tongue and swallowed its food. Fang Yuan observed such a unique habitat for a long time. Nature was really mysterious, it was displayed in front of Fang Yuan right now. Fang Yuan observed the fire lizards for a while before paying his attention to the flying insects. This type of insect was very unique, it was hatched in the magma river, it could endure extremely high temperatures. After a long time, Fang Yuan had a new discovery. The fire lizard did not succeed in getting its food every time, it would fail consecutively at times. A portion of the flying insects seemed to have developed some sort of latent talent from the pressure created by the fire lizard. These flying insects turned into GU worms during the process of being captured as food. Their speed increased and they managed to evade the lizard's tongue. This was a form of advancement. Like a carp jumping through the dragon's gate, turning from a fish into a dragon, its life had been elevated in the most fundamental sense. After these flying insects became GU worms, a portion of them took the initiative to land on the lizard and become its accompanying GU, living together with the lizard. But these were all fire path mortal GU, they did not have much value to Fang Yuan. For the current Fang Yuan, the only interesting thing was this underwater volcano. With it, he had a source to produce GU worms, he could produce large numbers of fire path and water path GU worms for a long time. Mortal GU only had value to GU immortals when they were large enough in quantity. And finally, Fang Yuan observed this magma river. This magma river had other life forms, they were a type of fish. Fang Yuan did not intend to explore further, he did not want to get into trouble by jumping into the magma river either. The magma river had a high temperature, if Fang Yuan wanted to enter it, he would need to use a defensive immortal killer move. That meant that he would need to consume precious immortal essence. Nature was mighty, many places had such dangerous environments that even GU immortals could not enter for long. Fang Yuan had been counting the time. When he felt that it was almost time, he traveled up along the volcano, past the point he was at and towards the peak. By now, he started becoming careful, concealing his traces on purpose. The young and beautiful Song Yishi was one of the 6 great beauties among Eastern Sea GU immortals. Today, Song Yishi was in a bad mood. She was being harassed again. All these male GU immortals who came from everywhere were like annoying flies. They were all around Song Yishi, chattering non-stop. They could not even be chased away. After shrugging off these irritating pursuers, Song Yishi came to her personal sea area. This sea area was called Poetic Emotion Sea. It produced a type of rank 4 Wisdom Path GU worm, Emotion Poetry GU. This GU worm could store emotions and was extremely precious in the minds of mortal GU masters. Song Yishi came to the bottom of the sea, going into her underwater volcano palace. This underwater volcano was inside Poetic Emotion Sea. It was naturally Song Yishi's property. Song Yishi was at the peak of the volcano. She had built a beautiful small palace there. She loved the hot spring inside the palace. Once in a while, she would go there and take a bath. She took off her clothes and revealed her peerless body. Her skin was tender and pale, like a freshly peeled egg. Her limbs were slender and long, her lips were red and her eyes were sharp, and she had long hair that extended to her waist. She entered the hot spring and enjoyed herself after shutting her eyes. Soon, her mood became better. She started to hum a song. But she did not know that Fang Yuan was lurking close by, observing her every movement. It is almost time. Fang Yuan's gaze was eerie as he calculated. He purposely leaked a trace of his aura. Who was there? Song Yishi's expression turned pale. She shouted as her eyes stared at Fang Yuan's hiding spot with much anger. Chapter 895. Happy about being chased down. Misunderstanding. This is a misunderstanding. Fang Yuan appeared like he was forced to. Seeing an old man like Xing Shangzi appearing in front of her suddenly, Song Yishi immediately shrieked. Right now, she was relaxing in the hot spring, completely naked. It was naturally her most vulnerable moment. If the one that appeared was a female, so be it, but it happened to be a male GU immortal. There should be prudence between sexes. Song Yishi fell into panic. I can explain. All this is a big misunderstanding. Please, you must listen to my explanation. Fang Yuan waved his hand, speaking without stop. At this moment, Song Yishi's panic was already surpassed by an intense anger. Perverted thief, die! Song Yishi hid her body in the hot spring, and pointed a finger at Fang Yuan. Immortal killer move, stream veil. There was an increase of water vapor in the air. 2 streams of water that were like long sleeves of dancing women, or like thin veils worn by beauties to cover their face, coiled around Fang Yuan from both sides. Fang Yuan's heart shook. Song Yishi was a water path GU immortal. This stream veil was an immortal killer move and it was an exceptional method to capture enemies. If Fang Yuan was struck by this move, it would be difficult for him to get free. Not daring to let this stream veil near him, Fang Yuan quickly retreated. Starlight shone around him and star snakes moved in the air, facing the stream veil. Immortal killer move, star snake rope. Star snakes entangled the stream veil, but stream veil was like water, drowning the star snakes. In just few breaths of time, the star snakes vanished into nothingness. The stream veil moved towards Fang Yuan again. Star snake rope and stream veil are both capturing methods. I didn't think the gap between them would be so huge. Fang Yuan's heart sank. Fortunately, with this small delay, Starlight Immortal GU in his immortal aperture was completely activated. Bright light shot out from the immortal GU like a rising sun. Surrounding the Starlight Immortal GU were countless Fire Path Mortal GU, like tens of thousands of fireflies. Star Path Immortal Killer Move, Starfire Escape. Whoosh! Fang Yuan's whole body burned with deep blue flames, and he soared to the sky like lightning. Where are you going? Song Yishi yelled in a charming voice, as she used the killer move to obstruct Fang Yuan. Bam! A huge explosion erupted atop of underwater volcano. The seabed shook, torrents rose. The underwater volcano's top part was destroyed for the most part. The natural protective structure was broken, causing endless amounts of seawater to flow inside. Song Yishi was very busy for a while dealing with the flying rocks and the flowing seawater. She put up a defensive barrier, and quickly wore her clothes. Her mind slightly calmed down. Then, without caring about the destruction of the volcano by the seawater, she started flying towards the direction Fang Yuan left in. You cannot escape, Song Yishi shouted with clenched teeth. Fang Yuan's speed, with Starfire Escape's help, was extremely fast, but because the water was extremely deep, it took a good while to fly out of the sea surface. In his previous life, the less than biography of Li Xiaoyao greater than recorded that Li Xiaoyao fell to the bottom of the cliff and entered the undercurrent which took him to the underwater volcano. The bottom of the volcano was too hot. Li Xiaoyao tried to get away from it by moving to the peak of the volcano where he unexpectedly saw Song Yishi who was bathing. Song Yishi immediately captured him, but after interrogating him, she was instead very pleased. She had not known there was an extremely hidden undercurrent in the underwater volcano. At this moment, the sea was besieged by strong enemies. Li Xiaoyao's appearance instead gave Song Yishi a hope to escape. Song Yishi used this undercurrent to be free from the predicament. While Li Xiaoyao's life had a great turn from here on, Song Yishi took him under her wing and guided him on Ji Yu master cultivation. The treatment Fang Yuan received was completely different from Li Xiaoyao's. Li Xiaoyao was a handsome young boy. Although I am an immortal and also have taken a good appearance, it is one where I am already in my 70s and 80s. Song Yishi is young and Song clan is also a colossal force. It would be strange if she did not get angry and chase me down. Fang Yuan sighed while secretly observing behind him. When he found Song Yishi was chasing him, he gave a light smile, before charging out of the sea surface. Ji Yu Immortal Yao Zhepai was one of Song Yishi's pursuers, and right now, he was lurking around the poetic emotion sea area. He looked young, was handsome and charming, and had rank 6 cultivation. He was a lone cultivator of Eastern Sea. Fairy Yishi will go bathe in the hot spring of the underwater volcano every once in a while. None of them know this secret, only I am aware of it at present. I will take this chance to have more contact with Fairy Yishi. If I can marry her, would I still have to fear not having enough cultivation resources? What is going on? Yao Zhepai gazed at the source of the sound and saw Fang Yuan flying out of the sea with a miserable appearance. A giant wave rose up in the calm sea. Looking at his appearance, he seems to be a thief. Do I chase him? Yao Zhepai hesitated. Right at this time, Song Yishi also flew out of the sea surface and looked at Fang Yuan's receding figure in the air, shouting in anger, "Perverted thief, don't run, die." What, perverted thief? Yao Zhepai felt like he had been struck by a lightning, his eyes protruded out till they almost fell off. Perverted thief. What happened to Fairy Yishi? That old bastard is actually a daring lecher. Damn it, kill him. Yao Zhepai roared inwardly, killing intent filling his heart. Fairy Yishi, don't worry, Yao Zhepai, am here. The next moment, Yao Zhepai shouted loudly, stepping forward. Song Yishi was dazed, her original provoked and aggressive air also stilled. She had just attacked with anger and had not thought much when she shouted furiously, but with Yao Zheipai's appearance, she could not help but feel panic. Oh heavens, have mercy. She was still a young lady, and this was the first time she had experienced a situation like this. Regarding this matter, she naturally wanted to cover it tightly. It was best if she resolved everything herself, kill Fang Yuan and no one else would know of this matter. If this matter were to be spread, how would she face others in future? However, another Ji Yu Immortal appeared now. She recognized this person. He was one of those hateful pursuers. His surname seemed to be Yao. Song Yishi was not too sure. Yao Zhepai was even more distressed and anguished the moment he saw Song Yishi's panicked expression. He then observed Song Yishi's flushed face, red like she had just gone through intercourse. The killing intent inside him increased by dozens of times in an instant. Actually, nothing had happened, but the imagination of humans was endless. Moreover, Yao Zhepai was a man and a crazed pursuer. He easily interpreted the expression in an entirely dark manner. Right now, Yao Zhepai was thinking, this old pervert that is escaping with all his strength has definitely taken huge advantage of her. He might have used some dirty tricks to drug Fairy Yishi. He must have approached her. No, he likely kissed her and touched her. Who knows how much Fairy Yishi was encroached upon, how much humiliation she suffered. With such thoughts, the fury in Yao Zheipai's heart burned so high that it seemed to ignite his whole body. He chased furiously while screaming, "You damned old bastard, old lecher, don't run. You dare to desecrate our Fairy Yishi, I am going to skin you alive. I will make you regret everything you did to Fairy Yishi." When Song Yishi heard this furious scream, her whole body shook and she almost fell down from the air. Don't scream so loudly, are you trying to let the whole world know? Isn't it best if we quickly and secretly kill this damned geezer? Unfortunately, the furious Yao Zhepai could not hear Song Yishi's thoughts. And this was the first time Song Yishi had encountered such a situation, so she lost her composure. She wanted to transmit her voice to say this to Yao Zhepai, but she was too young and could not speak up no matter what. How embarrassing was it if she said it outright? Among these three, the happiest was instead Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had already calculated Song Yishi's reaction. Yao Zhepai's appearance, however, was an unexpected surprise. Good, that's good, scream loudly, yes, a bit louder. Fang Yuan inwardly cheered Yao Zhepai. The two GU immortals chasing absolutely would not be imagining the strange thoughts in Fang Yuan's mind at this moment. Fang Yuan wanted to blow the situation up into a huge matter. Song Yishi was a GU immortal of a super force, Song clan. She was the apple of Song Qi Yuan's eye, with many pursuers. After this matter blows up, Fang Yuan would have an external pressure to join Zombie Alliance. However, this conflict was not from swindling money, murdering someone's parents, or a life-and-death battle. At most, Fang Yuan had only taken a glance unintentionally. Song Yishi was a young girl with very few experiences, her thoughts were still conservative. Naturally, she would feel wronged and furious at having someone see her body for the first time. This was the natural mentality of young people. As they got older and more experienced, no matter who they were, they would gain at least some knowledge on sexual life. So what if he took a glance? Didn't some women wish others would just keep on looking at them? From a certain perspective, did this not prove one's charm? 200 to 300 years later, Li Xiaoyao also peeked it, but nothing happened to him. Instead he was protected and hidden. One big reason was that Song Yishi's mentality had already changed. Later, Li Xiaoyao would have another fortuitous encounter and become a sword path GU immortal, and finally, he and Song Yishi would become an immortal couple. Wasn't Song Yishi older than Li Xiaoyao by 200 to 300 years, she could be said to be a cradle robber. Of course, there is another reason. 200 to 300 years later, Song Qiyuan's lifespan had been used up and he died. The rank 8 GU immortals' fall created an enormous change in Eastern Sea's structure. Song clan began to weaken and the enormous wealth Song Yishi had was coveted by others. Not only was there pressure from external sources, there was internal strife in the clan as well. Li Xiaoyao, who was taught by Song Yishi and accompanied her throughout his mortal GU master stage and shared her sufferings, became the most reassuring individual to Song Yishi. Later, Li Xiaoyao inherited Sword Immortal Drunken Green Bull's inheritance, and developed methods bringing in new advancements, and became a powerful Sword Path GU Immortal. This caused Song Yishi to fall for him. The two became an immortal couple, moving around without a set destination, secretively and freely. In the 5 regions chaotic war, they appeared and worked together to resist rank 8 GU immortals, becoming a great pillar in blocking Central Continent's offensive. Fang Yuan fled while thinking leisurely about all sorts of things. Chapter 896, Freely Leaving After Killing. In the sky, a battle of pursuit was unfolding. Bam bam bam, intense explosions occurred one after another. Song Yishi and Yao Zhepai attacked non-stop, but because of the distance, and because Fang Yuan was slippery like an eel, he could not be caught. He was displaying an incredible flying attainment. Even though he was ahead, Fang Yuan, who was pretending to be escaping, was actually slowing his speed, allowing the two pursuers to follow him. He was a demonic path overlord. In his previous life, even though he did not have particularly great achievements, he had rich life experience, he had undergone many battles. It was something that these two young GU immortals behind him could not imagine. Especially Song Yishi, she was too young and had little battle experience. Even though she was using an immortal killer move to chase him, she could not catch up no matter what. Fang Yuan changed directions often, sometimes he went into the water, sometimes he went into the clouds. He was extremely crafty. Song Yishi was extremely angry. She felt like she was not chasing him down, but being played with instead. As for Yao Zhepai, he was a lone cultivator. Even though he had more experience, he did not have a single immortal GU, not to mention any immortal killer moves. He, who could only use mortal killer moves, was doomed in this battle of pursuit from the start. He was lagging behind. He could only shout loudly. If Fang Yuan was not purposely slowing down for him, he would have been left in the dust already. The three traveled quickly through the air. They soon left the poetic emotion sea area. What is going on? There are GU immortals fighting. The noise from their travels earned the attentions of two lone cultivator GU immortals from a nearby island. These two were playing chess. They were quite relaxed. Hearing the commotion, they raised their heads as they used investigative methods. It seems to be Song clan's Fairy Yishi, and a young male lone cultivator. They are pursuing someone. This person's aura is not that of Eastern Sea. They are a Northern Plains GU immortal. Less trouble is better than more trouble. Song Yishi is the prized gem of Song Qiyuan, let's not interfere in this. You are right, come, let's continue playing chess. Fang Yuan looked at this island, he frowned slightly as he turned to another direction, continuing to fly. Not long later, at Web IC area. What? There is such a lecherous and shameless old bastard in this world. Fairy Yishi, I, Chen Zhongyang, will lend you a hand. Fang Yuan smiled lightly, he dodged Chen Zhongyang's attack as he continued escaping. Thus, there were 3 people chasing after him now. After a certain amount of time, at Rumbling Thunder Sea Channel. Fairy Yishi is pure as jade, she was actually tainted. He deserves death, he deserves death. Bai Qingtian was anguished, he joined in the chase resolutely. 15 minutes later, the commotion caused by them attracted a battle maniac Gu Immortal. You are a Northern Plains Gu Immortal, you dare to lay your lecherous hands on our Eastern Sea goddess. Do you think that we of Eastern Sea can be bullied? Lei Hong was furious, he spoke without restraint. Song Yishi was getting more and more furious, seeing that Fang Yuan was still escaping, her mood was getting worse. He had only taken a glance at her, why were these people spouting more and more ridiculous nonsense, like she had lost her virginity to him? Stop shouting, kill him in secret, I will reward you greatly. Song Yishi could not hold it in anymore, she transmitted to them. These Gu Immortals were not idiots, after hearing this, they went silent. Why are they not shouting anymore? Fang Yuan did not want that to happen, he wanted this matter to blow up, the bigger the commotion the better. Since you are shutting up, I will have to do it myself. Thus, Fang Yuan shouted, defending himself. Everyone, this is a misunderstanding, I will clarify this matter. I had accidentally entered the depths of Poetic Emotion Sea Area's underwater volcano, everyone can investigate this matter, I am speaking the truth. Old lecher, you are bullshitting. Immediately, a Gu Immortal screamed back. But Fang Yuan ignored him, he yelled, I am a Northern Plains Gu Immortal, I have just arrived here and wanted to choose an unknown island to reside in. I picked a small island after looking for a long time. Before setting up some arrangements, I wanted to look around the area, I discovered a hidden undercurrent and moved along it, getting into the underwater volcano. Lies, you're continuing to lie to us. You did something so shameless, but you are actually defending yourself, trying to pretend to be a gentleman. Do you think we are so easy to fool? The Gu Immortals screamed. Fang Yuan called out, even if I am lying, I would need to make a better excuse, why would I mention the undercurrent? You can go verify this, I will tell you the location of the island. Before I entered the undercurrent, I did not know it would connect to the underwater volcano, either, after I entered the volcano, I found out. Shut up, Song Yishi shouted, she was worried that Fang Yuan might expose some secretive information, she interrupted him, if you are innocent, stop running, obediently submit and let us investigate. If you are speaking the truth, I, Song Yishi, will not kill an innocent person. Song Yishi had learned something quickly and grew a little, she actually understood that she needed to coax him. But her tone was too stiff, anyone could tell that she was full of anger and killing intent. Song Yishi was still too pitiful in her acting skills. Fang Yuan continued to escape, he shouted continuously, do you think I am a fool? If I surrender, I will die. I am innocent, I did not even touch a single hair of yours, after I reached the volcano. Shut the hell up. Song Yishi flew into a rage, her voice was even louder now. The other male Gu Immortals had furious expressions on the surface, but they were secretly concentrating and were afraid of missing a single word from Fang Yuan's mouth. Seeing that Fang Yuan was interrupted by Song Yishi again, they felt mild regret internally. But Fang Yuan quickly continued, the more you do not want me to say it, the more I will say. How can you be so overbearing? I am just a Northern Plains Gu Immortal trying to make a living in Eastern Sea, is it easy for me? I did not do anything, I only saw a glimpse of you bathing, it was all a misunderstanding. Song Yishi saw darkness in front of her, she was so angered her heart was going to burst into flames. She could make the people on her side shut up, but she could not stop Fang Yuan from shouting. He, something so interested has happened. At this time, a lovely laugh could be heard, a female Gu Immortal was approaching. It is Seven Seas Snake Woman. The Gu Immortals that were chasing after Fang Yuan saw this female Gu Immortal and became alert. Yao Zhepai was bemoaning internally, everyone else directed their gazes towards Song Yishi. Song Yishi's expression was dark, she looked like an ice statue that was emitting immense cold air. As it turned out, Seven Seas Snake Woman and Song Yishi were both publicly known as among the 6 great beauties among Eastern Sea Gu Immortals. 7 Seas Snake Woman had rank 7 cultivation level. She was a demonic path GU immortal who had some conflicts with Song Yishi, but because of Song Qiyuan's power, she did not dare to attack Song Yishi. At this moment, she heard such interesting news, she was sure to add in more false details and spread this rumor around. Song Yishi felt like the sky was collapsing. What was she going to do now? 7 Seas Snake Woman was definitely going to ruin her reputation. Song Yishi felt even more hatred towards Fang Yuan now. You old lecher, how are you so good at running, even running into 7 Seas Snake Woman? What a joke. This route was specially chosen by Fang Yuan after careful investigation. The GU immortals that they would meet along the way were all found out by Fang Yuan prior to this. 7 Seas Snake Woman was very important in Fang Yuan's current plan. Even though 7 Seas Snake Woman was a demonic path GU immortal, she owns 7 sea areas. Right now, this sea area was at a crucial moment when a large number of red tide fish were reproducing. She had to stay here to guard it. Fang Yuan easily obtained this information. 7 Seas Snake Woman was a beautiful but dangerous woman. She was very ruthless in her actions. The righteous path would often leak details of such people, so that others could be prepared if they were to meet them. Boom! With a loud sound, 7 Seas Snake Woman suddenly struck, attacking the pursuers of Fang Yuan. 7 Seas Snake Woman, what are you doing? Lei Hong shouted. Song Yishi and the others were severely interrupted. He, this is such an interesting matter, I definitely have to interfere. 7 Seas Snake Woman had an alluring body, she had a coquettish gaze as she answered. Lei Hong said solemnly, I will block 7 Seas Snake Woman, the rest of you continue chasing him. He had rank 7 cultivation level, he was not afraid of 7 Seas Snake Woman, even though his battle strength was lower, he could still stall her for a short time and escape from her. 7 Seas Snake Woman did not know who Fang Yuan was, she would not exert too much effort. Seeing that Lei Hong was stepping up, she showed a look of disgust as she stopped on the spot. You again, meddlesome fool, you really like to interfere in people's affairs. Thus, the other GU immortals detoured around 7 Seas Snake Woman, chasing after Fang Yuan again. Time continued to pass. After a very long time, there were a few more people chasing Fang Yuan. Even though he was quite injured, he did not fall into their hands, he was still escaping. Damn it! Song Yishi gritted her teeth, she felt fatigue looking at Fang Yuan's energetic body. Everything had happened too quickly, and too suddenly. How did it become like this? Song Yishi felt a sense of absurdity within her. A moment ago, she was still enjoying a carefree life, bathing inside her hot spring as she relaxed herself. But now, she was chasing an enemy endlessly with no way of catching up. And now, almost all the immortals nearby knew about it. Song Yishi felt tired physically, but even more so mentally. It is about time. Fang Yuan looked at the pursuers, he smiled faintly. The execution of this plan was much more effective than he had originally planned. Now, it is time to leave. Thinking of this, a ruthless light flashed in Fang Yuan's eyes. His body shook as he turned into 6 figures, flying towards 6 different directions. Immortal killer move, 6 illusion star bodies. The pursuers shouted out in dismay, they were stunned before splitting up to chase him. Immortal killer move, position star swap. Fang Yuan changed his position, appearing in front of Yao Zhepai. Don't think I am afraid of killing. Fang Yuan called out, using star cloud grindstone. He had been escaping all this time, why would Yao Zhepai think that Fang Yuan would act differently and counterattack? Caught off guard, he was sucked into the star cloud grindstone. He only had mortal killer moves, how could he defend against the power of immortal GU? When everyone else came to reinforce him and destroyed the star cloud grindstone, Fang Yuan was already holding onto Yao Zhepai's head. HMPH, don't go overboard. Fang Yuan's ruthlessness was shown, he faced the band of immortals. The pursuers were only rank 6. It was not easy to encounter rank 7s like Lei Hong. Yao Zhepai, when all is said and done as a GU immortal, he was actually killed in such a short amount of time. Northern Plains barbarians are really exemplary in battle strength. The immortals were all stunned, they felt a strong sense of wariness internally. Meanwhile, one of the 6 illusion star bodies had already flown far away. Fang Yuan used position star swap and changed his true body's position, abruptly and freely leaving. Chapter 897, Difficult to Own Zhepai Blessed Land. 3 days later, in the world of Eastern Sea GU immortals, there was a rumor that spread widely. This involved one of the 6 great beauties of Eastern Sea, Fairy Yishi. When she was bathing, she was defiled by an old lecher who shamelessly planned everything. Song Yishi was Song Qiyuan's precious gem. She had quite a reputation and many suitors. This matter involved Song clan's reputation as well. Once information got out, many GU immortals' attentions were attracted. Soon, Xingxiangzi's Northern Plains GU immortal identity was found out by other GU immortals. Before Song clan even expressed their attitude, Song Yishi's suitors were already hunting down Fang Yuan on a large scale with furious emotions. At a nameless and ownerless sea area with little resources, the sea was deep and dark, there were few fish. A wooden door that looked like a blessed land's entrance appeared, and opened with a creak. A figure walked out from within. It was Fang Yuan, having Xingxiangzi's appearance. Fang Yuan killed Yao Zhepai on the spot. After that, he carried Yao Zhepai's corpse away and escaped. There were two uses for bodies of GU immortals. One was to place them down and form a blessed land, the other was to put them into one's own immortal aperture and obtain their Dao marks. Fang Yuan did not have to think it over, he chose the former. His immortal aperture was dead. If corpses were put inside his dead aperture, not only would he not get any Dao marks, it would cause massive destruction to the land, his body would burst and explode. Such a situation had been experimented with by immortal zombies, but there had never been any cases of success. Fang Yuan used his wisdom path methods to contain the immortal aperture and stall for some time. After escaping from the pursuers, he used a stargate to return to Tai Bai Yunsheng's immortal aperture, before using fixed immortal travel to teleport himself towards the northeastern extremity of Eastern Sea. Finally, he dived into the sea. Without anyone's notice, he placed Yao Zhepai's immortal aperture down at the bottom of the sea. After the immortal aperture formed into a blessed land, it naturally created disturbances in heaven chi and earth chi. Two whale desolate beasts were drawn over, but Fang Yuan chased them away. Fang Yuan first turned into another appearance, before entering Yao Zhepai's blessed land and meeting with the land spirit. Yao Zhepai was a woodpath GU immortal. He owned Zhepai blessed land. His land spirit was quite peculiar. It was in the form of a tree, planted at the center of the blessed land with no movement ability. The tree land spirit told Fang Yuan the ownership condition: 100,000 immortal essence stones, large amounts of immortal materials, including many rank 7 and rank 8 materials. It even wanted the fresh blood of Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable. The condition was too immensely difficult. Fang Yuan, of course, could not satisfy it, he could only leave regrettably. Yao Zhepai is a lone cultivator. He had the weakest background among the pursuers, and had no backers. That was why I killed him, to act as deterrence against the others. Indeed, I deterred Song Yishi's group and escaped easily. Yao Zhepai's immortal aperture formed into a separate blessed land, but the land spirit's ownership condition has nothing to do with me, the killer. Instead, it is requesting for lots of cultivation resources. It shows that Yao Zhepai's greatest obsession is towards wealth. But his desire is simply too insatiable. Fang Yuan had just left, the blessed land's doors closed. He looked back and saw that the door was completely shut. He frowned slightly. If Yao Zhepai's obsession had to do with me, with my blood path methods, I could easily handle it. But its ownership condition is simply harder than ascending to heaven. Not mentioning the 100,000 immortal essence stones, simply the precious immortal materials were hard to gather. Unless Fang Yuan robbed the 10 great ancient sects, or stole that huge amount from Heavenly Court's treasury, simply based on his current state, it would take a lot of good luck for him to gather them all. 200 to 300 years would be the minimum amount of time he needed. But most importantly, it was the final condition that the tree land spirit had: Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable's fresh blood. Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable was a woodpath rank 9 GU Venerable. Yao Zhepai also cultivated woodpath. It was not strange that he desired Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable's blood. But who was Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable? Even if his fresh blood was preserved by Heavenly Lotus sect, that was a true rank 9 immortal material. This was a precious material that could refine rank 9 immortal GU. It was definitely heavily guarded. How could Fang Yuan obtain it? This Yao Zhepai must have gone crazy from poverty. His obsession towards wealth is so intense. In this way, to obtain this blessed land, it seems normal methods will not work. I can only attack forcefully. Fang Yuan's eyes shined with cold light. If this land spirit refused to accept a master, he would destroy it and forcefully take over the blessed land. Not all blessed lands had land spirits. Some GU immortals were killed extremely thoroughly and did not leave behind any obsession. After they died, their blessed land would be without a land spirit. Yao Zhepai's blessed land had a land spirit, but the conditions were too absurd. Fang Yuan could only find an alternative and attack forcefully. It was like Shark Demon's group invading Yulu blessed land. If I can obtain this blessed land, I would have a base in Eastern Sea. But now is not the time to settle this blessed land, I should go and regroup with Shark Demon first. Fang Yuan scattered some mortal GU, setting up a GU formation around him. Next, he activated fixed immortal travel, leaving this place and going to Tai Bai Yunsheng's immortal aperture. Originally, fixed immortal travel's aura was in the sea, but after Fang Yuan's GU formation activated, it dissipated. After the work was done, this set of mortal GU disintegrated on its own. Unless a very powerful investigation method was used, no one would be able to find out that there was a blessed land in such an ordinary area. Fang Yuan came out of Tai Bai Yunsheng's immortal aperture, the latter had already started moving, he was flying above the vast sea. The senior and junior brothers conversed along the way. After a few minutes, they arrived at the sky above Yulu blessed land. Here, there was nobody. The two waited for a while. Soon, Shark Demon led a band of GU immortals from Zombie Alliance and flew over. Brother Xingshang, you are quite famous nowadays. Once he saw Fang Yuan, Shark Demon made a joke. The other GU immortals looked at Fang Yuan with curious glances. These few days, Fang Yuan had become very famous in the world of Eastern Sea GU immortals, he had gained quite a reputation. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly, he replied, "Very unlucky, I was very unlucky, please don't laugh at me. I wanted to find an island to rest in, but I found an undercurrent and wanted to explore it, to think I would encounter such a troublesome affair. This is not a troublesome affair, it is quite appropriate to call this a romantic affair." Bo Dan laughed loudly, sarcastically saying. Earlier, Fang Yuan had humiliated him. But after that, Bo Dan paid a huge price and gave Su Bai Man an expensive gift, thus he joined the invasion of the Blessed Land again, and he had a fearless attitude. Fang Yuan gave him a glance, smiling, he did not bother responding to such a person. He glanced around and saw that other than Shark Demon, Su Bai Man, and Bo Dan, there was only one familiar immortal zombie, Sha Nanzhong, there were 3 less people than before. But Shark Demon was very confident, it seemed that he had made ample preparations before coming. Everyone went deep into the sea, opening the entrance of Yulu Blessed Land, entering the battlefield killer move freezing rain frozen earth again. This time, Xingshang Zi, we will mainly be relying on your deductions, Bo Dan will support you. Shark Demon announced politely. Last time, Fang Yuan performed well, Shark Demon and the others thought that Xingshang Zi had a deeper wisdom path attainment level. Lord Shark Demon, please rest assured, I will do my best. Fang Yuan expressed his firm attitude. Bo Dan snorted internally, even though he was displeased, he knew his own abilities, he crossed his arms and watched with a dark gaze. Facing freezing rain frozen earth again, Fang Yuan's expression became serious as he deduced. The battlefield killer move, freezing rain frozen earth, had completely recovered, the damage caused by Fang Yuan and the others had been fixed already. Fang Yuan was not surprised. Earlier, when Shark Demon and the others attacked the Blessed Land, the battlefield killer move could also repair itself. It was unknown whether this was due to Yulu Blessed Land's land spirit, or the arrangements of Fairy Yulu. Speaking of which, Shark Demon and the others had attacked the Blessed Land for such a long time, but they had not found the land spirit of Yulu Blessed Land yet. Whether the land spirit existed, this was still a mystery. With his prior experience, Fang Yuan's progress was fast. He naturally did not destroy the crucial mortal GU, thus the battlefield did not become stronger compared to the last time. The ice needle storm rained down, as Shark Demon stepped forward and used his immortal GU. The immortal GU's name was Melt Ice, it was an ice path immortal GU and could melt even the firmest ice. This GU was borrowed by Shark Demon specially to deal with freezing rain frozen earth, he paid a huge amount to a certain member of Zombie Alliance. With this Melt Ice immortal GU, they greatly resisted the freezing rain frozen earth's power, even the desolate beast level snow monsters were obstructed. Shark Demon and the others felt less pressure, they even expended far less immortal essence than last time. There was a counter to everything, the strong freezing rain frozen earth was greatly weakened after encountering the Melt Ice immortal GU. The GU master world was like this. Everything was in balance, strong and weak was relative. There were no invincible GU worms, there were only invincible GU masters. With Melt Ice immortal GU, Shark Demon could move freely as well. Fang Yuan also progressed stably. Even though he was a wisdom path newbie, he had precious experience from last time, after returning, he had revised his methods and improved a lot, he designed many new methods. This time, Fang Yuan came prepared. He had to say, Dong Fang Chong Fan's wisdom path inheritance was simply brilliant, using it, Fang Yuan could forcefully find a solution. The start was the hardest. After Fang Yuan found the first flaw, his progress became faster, he deduced more and more hidden GU worms. But during this process, Fang Yuan could feel his lack of experience. But he was an experienced schemer, he immediately ordered Bo Dan to help. Even though Bo Dan's wisdom path methods were shallow and few, after Fang Yuan started the deduction, he could also see a portion of the details inside the battlefield killer move. He also had very familiar methods and precise techniques. Fang Yuan pretended to deduce, but he was secretly observing Bo Dan's techniques. He learned a lot of things and his wisdom path attainment was rising. Eventually, with both of their efforts, freezing rain frozen earth was finally unraveled. By now, the freezing rain battlefield has unleashed a total of 33 attacks. Shark Demon's Melt Ice Immortal GU was single-handedly holding them back. The huge immortal essence expenditure reduced his joy of passing the difficult round to a great extent. Chapter 898, Fighting Soul Battlefield. Freezing rain frozen earth disappeared, the world changed. The original icy world turned into a dark environment. It was like evening, there were dark clouds looming and the poor weather seemed to be indicating a thunderstorm. Evidently, this was another battlefield killer move. Welcome to Fighting Soul Battlefield. A faint female voice resounded in the battlefield. Everyone who was inside the battlefield heard the voice. Shark Demon's expression changed. He said, "Oh no, this is the infamous Fighting Soul Battlefield. This is troublesome." Even before he finished his sentence, a sandstorm started blowing as sand and dust were scattered in the sky. Soul beasts appeared one after another, from all directions, encircling the GU Immortals. Su Bai Man quickly reminded, "Xingshang Zi, Bo Dan, you have to act quickly. The number of soul beasts here are endless, the longer we take, the stronger they become." This Fighting Soul Battlefield was a battlefield killer move created by Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable after he used one of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's inheritances as a reference. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's other creations had some mercy in them, they would always leave behind a way to survive. But this battlefield killer move is very different. It contains Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's killing nature. It is the most deadly battlefield killer move among Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable's creations. Fang Yuan and Bo Dan did not dare to take their time, they used their respective methods and tried to unravel the killer move. Fang Yuan soon discovered, this Fighting Soul Battlefield was very different from Freezing Rain Frozen Earth. The latter had no flaws at all when activated, it was very well balanced, giving others a feeling of not knowing where to start. But this Fighting Soul Battlefield exposed several hiding spots of mortal GU to Fang Yuan from the start easily. As time passed, Fang Yuan found more and more hidden spots, they were growing into a huge number, there were thousands or even tens of thousands of them. The number of GU worms that formed this battlefield killer move was much higher than Fang Yuan's expectations. Fang Yuan soon found out, there were no traps like the ones that were in the Freezing Rain Frozen Earth battlefield killer move. No matter which hidden spot they destroyed, there was no backlash, and Fang Yuan did not need to restart his deductions. Thus, very soon, Fang Yuan and Bo Dan started to dismantle these hidden spots rapidly. However, this Fighting Soul Battlefield's offensive power was several times greater than Freezing Rain Frozen Earth. Freezing Rain Frozen Earth attacked in waves, there was a moment of peace in between each wave of attacks, the GU Immortals could rest for a while each time. But this Fighting Soul Battlefield did not stop for a moment after activation, the number of soul beasts continued to increase. Soon, desolate beast level soul beasts were formed. A while later, there were more than 10 desolate soul beasts, even ancient desolate soul beasts started appearing. They did not even last for 7 minutes before Shark Demon and the others had to use the incomplete Profound Ice House to escape from the place. There are simply too many GU worms used to create the battlefield killer move. I am ashamed, my methods are too simple, I could only dismantle them one by one. Once they got out of the sea, Bo Dan spoke to Shark Demon without concealing any information, he spoke the truth. Fang Yuan frowned too. My methods could only dismantle at most 5 to 6 hidden spots each time. I suspect that this Fighting Soul Battlefield's difficulty lies here. The faster we can dismantle it, or the longer we can last under the attacks of the soul beasts, the more likely it is that we can unravel this killer move. To unravel it in itself is not the problematic part. In that case, Xingshang Zi, according to your deduction, how long do both of you need to dismantle this killer move at your current speed? Shark Demon asked. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly and shook his head, I am not sure. I did not manage to see the entire battlefield killer move. There are too many hidden spots, they are numerous like the stars in the sky. And even if I manage to find the tens of thousands of hidden spots, to get rid of them, I will need at least 30 minutes. Sha Nanzhong was lost for words. 30 minutes? We lasted for 7 minutes and there were already ancient desolate soul beasts appearing. 30 minutes surely, immemorial desolate soul beasts will appear, and there might be more than one. Everyone became quiet. Su Bai Man spoke heavily. In that case, we can only ask more people to help out next time. These GU immortals will need to have enough wisdom path attainment to dismantle the hidden spots. Saying so, Su Bai Man and Shark Demon looked at each other, they could see the bitterness in each other's eyes. There were not many GU immortals with wisdom path attainment. Asking them to help would incur a huge cost. Shark Demon thought for a while, he spoke, then we will retreat for now. The next time we are attacking is in 30 days, we will decide on the time at a later date, I will inform you all. Xing Shangzi, this is my command token, you can use it to stay in Zombie Alliance's headquarters and avoid the trouble you are facing for now. Fang Yuan smiled lightly, thank you for your goodwill, Lord Shark Demon, but I am not willing to waste any time. Merely Song Yi Shi cannot do anything to me. Even though Song clan is a huge force, they cannot control the entirety of Eastern Sea. If I hide and shrink away because of this, I, Xing Shangzi, would have cultivated for nothing. Everyone, until next time we meet. Seeing Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yun Sheng fly far away, Bo Dan stepped forward and stood beside Shark Demon. He slandered, this Xing Shangzi really does not know what is good for him, he actually refused to accept Lord's goodwill. Shark Demon glanced at him, he snorted, saying unhappily, if you were any more capable, why would I need to treat him like this? Bo Dan had a bitter expression. Oh Lord, it was not that I did not put in effort, but my inheritance is too incomplete, there is a limit to what I can do. Shark Demon waved his hand impatiently. Bo Dan quickly shut up and lowered his head, leaving. Su Bai Man got close to Shark Demon, she smiled, if husband is afraid that Xing Shangzi would get into trouble and delay the next invasion, you do not need to worry. Northern Plains GU immortals often have higher battle strength than the other 4 regions, Xing Shangzi also has immortal GU with him. His battle strength was high enough to kill Yao Zhepai on the spot, nothing would happen to him. Even though he offended Song Yi Shi, the precious gem of Song Qi Yuan, it is precisely because Song clan is a righteous path superforce, a large organization with many matters to take care of, that they would not create a huge commotion over such a small matter. But Song clan's reputation was affected, they would definitely want an answer. In a while, Xing Shangzi would feel increasing pressure, by then, wouldn't he come to ask us for help? That is indeed the case, your analysis is very accurate. Shark Demon's expression became calmer, he gently held Su Bai Man's hand. Northern Plains, Luopo Valley. The battle surrounding Luopo Valley had already been ongoing for over half a month. Qin Bai Sheng's side had the territorial advantage, Feng Juji's side was unable to take them down. But Feng Juzhe and the others were very determined, they besieged the area without retreating, Qin Bai Sheng's side could only hide inside Luopo Valley for the time being. Zhang Yu, how are your injuries? Qin Bai Sheng went to visit Fairy Zhang Yu. In half a day, I will fully recover. Fairy Zhang Yu sat on the bed, shutting her eyes as she healed herself, she replied while multitasking. Joy flashed across Qin Bai Sheng's face, that is good. After you recover, we will protect you as you charge out of the encirclement, and go to Northern Plains Zombie Alliance to activate our hidden arrangement. What? We are going to use our arrangement in Northern Plains Zombie Alliance. Will it not have a huge impact on the entire crucial plan? Fairy Zhang Yu was shocked, she asked this. Qin Bai Sheng said heavily, it won't. I have already communicated with Old Man Yan Shi, in Shadow Sect's southern border headquarters. Sai Feng Juzhe is really quite the character, his self-created heaven and earth song could match my 5-finger fist heart sword. My personal reputation is nothing important, but the immortal GU that is still being nurtured inside Luopo Valley is important to our crucial plan, it cannot be lost. But now that Luopo Valley is being encircled by these people from Central Continent, we are at a disadvantage in terms of numbers, we can only rely on the ancient soul beasts to defend ourselves. We will eventually fall if this keeps up, we need to regain the initiative. These last days, he had fought with Feng Juzhe for over dozens of rounds, after exchanging blows countless times, even if they put in all their efforts, they had been unable to determine a winner. Qin Bai Sheng was concerned about the big picture, he wanted to find a way to get out of this predicament. But at this time, Feng Juji's voice came from outside. Qin Bai Sheng heard it and sneered internally, after remaining silent for 3 days, he's finally returned to taunt us again. Qin Bai Sheng flew into the air, facing Feng Juzhe. Brother Feng, we have undergone innumerable rounds of battles, we know each other's abilities quite well now. You are an astute person, can't you see that in this current situation, as long as I defend this Luopo Valley, you cannot break in by force? Feng Juzhe smiled brightly, an intense light of confidence shined in his eyes. Brother Qin, this time is different. After our countless rounds of battles, I had gained much inspiration. These last 3 days, I have been in closed cultivation. I used the inspiration to complete an incomplete move that I had created in the past. Oh, Qin Baisheng's expression turned serious. Feng Juzhe raised his head slightly, he said loudly, this time, I would like to ask Brother Qin to critique my submission song. Green Jade Song, Heaven and Earth Song, Submission Song. When Feng Juzhe sang Green Jade Song, his voice was crisp and sharp, like beads of flawless jade. When he sang Heaven and Earth Song, his voice was grand and magnificent, it made others feel their own insignificance. But now, Feng Juzhe sang Submission Song, his mouth was closed. The entire place was silent. Qin Baisheng's expression was both serious and grim, because he heard Feng Juzhe's singing voice. His singing voice was directly resounding in Qin Baisheng's mind. It turns out that this submission song was not heard with one's ears, but in one's mind. Qin Baisheng's heart sank. This sound path killer move encompasses wisdom path, enslavement path, sound path, and soul path. These 4 paths, it affects a person's mind. From the moment he closed his mouth, there is already a trace of 5-finger fist heart sword in it. This Feng Juzhe actually obtained this inspiration from me. But it is only at this level, it is not enough to affect my fighting spirit. Oh no. Qin Baisheng's reaction was fast, but submission song's effect was even faster. In Luopo Valley, there were many ancient soul beasts that were guarding the place. Under the influence of Feng Juzhe's song, they submitted to him, they betrayed Qin Baisheng on the spot, becoming the lackeys of the central continent Gu Immortals. Submission song could temporarily cause desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts to change sides, becoming subordinates of the singer. Damn it, He Lang Zi cursed. They had few people, they needed the ancient soul beasts to bolster their defenses. But now, most of the ancient soul beasts changed sides, they started attacking Luopo Valley instead. Shadow Sect's side was falling into great danger. But Qin Baisheng was not easy to deal with. He quickly thought of this and displayed a battlefield killer move. Feng Juzhe and the others, including the ancient soul beasts, were dragged into this battlefield. There was thick fog in this battlefield, countless souls were flying around. Dark blue soul beasts gathered and took form, most of them were ordinary soul beasts, but soon, desolate soul beasts appeared, and seemingly before long, ancient soul beasts would appear as well. The soul beasts that were created in this battlefield fought against the ancient soul beasts that were under Feng Juzhe's control. Good countermeasure. Feng Juzhe stopped singing, he praised. Using this battlefield killer move to increase your control of the soul beasts and eliminate the advantage of submission song. But your soul taker battlefield is too outdated, even though it was created by spectral soul demon Venerable, he made it when he was young. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable had once used this killer move to create the even more superior fighting soul battlefield. This soul taker battlefield can only convert the souls of living beings into soul beasts, but fighting soul battlefield can actually produce endless soul beasts. Feng Juzhe was inside the battlefield killer move, but he was not worried, he spoke casually as he critiqued the killer move. Qin Baisheng, however, spoke with a smile, future generations enjoy the benefits from the hard work of predecessors. Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable could create the superior fighting soul battlefield because he used the foundation created by spectral soul demon Venerable, it is only to be expected. But he was too kind of a person, he weakened spectral soul demon Venerable's killing intent, even though it seems superior, it lost all hope of going a step further. Saying this, the battlefield changed again. Feng Juzhe's expression changed. So this is not Soul Taker battlefield, it is a battlefield killer move that spectral soul demon Venerable created in his later years, 100 million Slaughterfield. Chapter 899, Twin Polar Sea Strait, Song Jia Dan. Eastern Sea, Song Clan's headquarters, heavy water blessed land. Grandpa, you have to avenge me. Song Yishi charged into the study room, stomping her feet and throwing a tantrum to the rank 8 GU immortal Song Qiyuan. Song Qiyuan and some rank 7 GU immortal elders were discussing matters of the clan. But Song Yishi barged in directly like this. Song Qiyuan turned around slowly, he showed no anger on his face as he smiled kindly. My sweet granddaughter, how do you want Grandpa to avenge you? Song Yishi did not find it strange that her grandfather knew about this. In fact, if Song Qiyuan did not know about it, that would be the strange thing. Before this young female GU immortal came, she had already thought of an answer. She gritted her teeth. Grandpa, strike directly and capture him alive, I will deal with him after that. At the same time, she thought inwardly, I will dig out this old lecher's eyes out first, then I will pull out his tendons and his skin, I will carve out his bones and make his flesh rot, he will be in so much pain, I will make him regret everything that he has done. Song Chi-yuan nodded, he did not hesitation, he agreed, that is a good method, but... He dragged his words out. Song Chi-yuan changed the course of the conversation as he showed a difficult expression. Grandpa has something important to do now, I cannot leave, why don't I get your uncle, Song Sha-chi, to help you? Song Yi-shi's eyes shined, she forget her own situation, she thought of something as she asked excitedly, Grandpa, is it regarding ascending heaven plane? Song Chi-yuan did not hide it from her, he admitted, that's right. Ascending heaven plane's exact location has already become an open secret among most Eastern CGU immortals. In ascending heaven plane, there is old eccentric Tian Nan's inheritance. This time, Grandpa will lead the clan's GU immortals to compete against Kai clan and Ruo Lai clan, to try to obtain old eccentric Tian Nan's inheritance. Old eccentric Tian Nan, a refinement path supreme Grand Master from the remote antiquity era, he was on par with old immortal Kong Ju and long hair ancestor over the course of history. According to historical records, old eccentric Tian Nan had a strange personality, he attempted to refine the immemorial nine heavens and ended up dying after failing. Even though Song Yi-shi was spoiled since she was young, she understood the bigger picture, she quickly replied, go and deal with that, Grandpa, make sure you utterly defeat them both. You do not need to worry about my matter, but just Uncle Song Sha-chi isn't enough, I want Uncle Song Ja-dan to help me once, to deduce the location of that old lecher. Haha, my dear granddaughter. Alright, take this token and go to Twin Polar Sea Strait, and find your Uncle Song Ja-dan. Saying so, Song Chi-yuan tossed a token to her. Song Yi-shi quickly caught it and showed a joyful expression, she turned around and left, not even saying a word of goodbye. Twin Polar Sea Strait was covered in a thick layer of fog all year round. In the air, Song Yi-shi stopped, seeing the fog in front of her, she felt a little troubled, she turned to the middle-aged GU immortal beside her, Uncle Sha-chi, how do we get in? Song Sha-chi's body was filled with a vigorous aura, he smiled lightly and said, didn't your grandfather give you a token? Little Yi-shi, you just need to take out the token and your Uncle Ja-dan will sense it. Song Yi-shi held the token high up in the air. A moment later, the fog in front of her started to disperse, a small tunnel appeared, it directly connected to the inside of Twin Polar Sea Strait. Song Yi-shi and Song Sha-chi entered the tunnel and stepped into Twin Polar Sea Strait, meeting Song Ja-dan. Song Ja-dan was a wisdom path GU immortal that Song clan had specially nurtured. He stayed on the cliff of Twin Polar Sea Strait normally, his upper body was already old and weak, his lower body had been petrified, his legs seemed to have fused with Twin Polar Sea Strait. Uncle Ja-dan, Song Yi-shi called out. Since birth, she had only met the GU immortal Song Ja-dan a handful of times, but that did not affect her admiration towards Song Ja-dan. Song Ja-dan had sacrificed his own freedom for the clan. Ever since he became a wisdom path GU immortal, he had sat here, using his special wisdom path inheritance to fuse with the world. Because of this, Song Ja-dan's deductions and schemes were very brilliant. Every time Song clan had important matters, they would ask him to help and deduce their upcoming fortunes. Right now in the world of Eastern Seas GU immortals, he was publicly recognized as one of the 3 most capable wisdom path GU immortals. The saying goes, Ja-dan sits in Twin Polar, Hua-an hides in Nangong, there is also Dragon Head Tortoise, living inside Adversity Sea. Song Ja-dan had already opened his eyes, he looked at Song Yi-shi and Song Sha-chi expressionlessly. He wanted to smile, but his face was hard like a statue, his muscles were stiff and could show no expression, even if he opened his mouth, he could only speak very slowly and with much difficulty, Little Shi, Cousin Sha-chi, it has been a long time. Uncle Ja-dan, I am here to ask you to deduce the location of an enemy. This is his appearance, and the aura that I collected. Song Yi-shi passed 2 GU worms to him. Let me look at the command token first. Song Ja-dan spoke slowly. Even though he was familiar with Song Yi-shi and Song Sha-chi, he was to be impartial, to make a deduction, he needed to see Song Chi-yuan's command token first. After checking that the token was authentic, Song Ja-dan opened his mouth, a suction force made both of the GU worms from Song Yi-shi go into his mouth. He shut his eyes and started deducing. A long while later, he opened his eyes, perplexion shined in his eyes, I could not deduce anything. What? At once, not only Song Sha-chi who was in anticipation, but even Song Yi-shi, who was very confident, showed immense shock. Uncle, you are one of the 3 best wisdom path GU immortals in Eastern Sea, how can you fail the deduction? Song Yishi asked. Little Shi, don't be anxious. Song Shachi's expression turned heavy. Elder cousin Jia Dan, the other party is only a rank 6 lone cultivator that came from Northern Plains, with your wisdom path attainment, you could not deduce anything. Song Jia Dan was still expressionless, he spoke slowly, is it strange that I could not deduce anything? I am merely rank 7, even though I have some fame, that is all flattery by nosy people. In the end, I am but a tiny worm in this vast world, all I can do is to predict some premonitions of impending storms. Compared to the world, I am insignificant like an ant, compared to the grand heroes in this world, I merely control a tiny domain. Song Shachi smiled bitterly, cousin, you are still so humble. Song Jia Dan said, I am not humble, but as I continue to fuse with this world unceasingly, every time I advance in wisdom path, I can see the glorious view ahead more clearly. The more I learn about the secrets of this world, the more I am aware of my own insignificance. Thus, I am not being humble, I am just being truthful, I am aware of my own status. Song Yishi was discontent. Even if Uncle Jia Dan cannot deduce it, you are still the smartest person, you can surely give a good suggestion. Song Jia Dan was silent for a while, he said, there are 2 possible reasons why I could not deduce it. The first is that the other party is not in Eastern Sea. The second, they have wisdom path techniques that can conceal them from my deductions. Or maybe they could find other wisdom path GU immortals to help them evade my deductions. Song Yishi and Song Shachi looked at each other. These 2 reasons were very far-fetched. The first reason, if this old lecher Xing Shangzi was not in Eastern Sea, where could he be? Right now, the earth tide was over, how could he return to Northern Plains? The second reason, how could Xing Shangzi resist Song Jia Dan's wisdom path attainment? If he had help, this person would need to be at least at Song Jia Dan's level. Was it Nangong Clan's GU Immortal Wan, or Dragon Head Tortoise Immortal in Adversity Sea who helped him? Uncle Jia Dan, deduce it again. Maybe you just happened to fail. Song Yishi requested as she pouted. Song Jia Dan directly rejected this. No, the clan has an important mission, we have to obtain old eccentric Tian Nan's inheritance. I need to preserve my strength, and prepare my methods, to deduce for this in a few days' time. Uncle Jia Dan, you did not originally put in all your effort. Song Yishi heard this and said unhappily. Alright, you can leave now. Song Jia Dan shut his eyes slowly. Song Yishi was ignored, she gritted her teeth and stomped her feet, helplessly turning around and leaving. To fight for Ascending Heaven Plains control, to fight for old eccentric Tian Nan's inheritance, it was a project that the clan had been planning for 100 years. Pursuing Xing Shangzi was just her own personal business. Even though Song Yishi was pampered and spoiled, she could see the big picture and cared for the clan's progress, she was not an ignorant fool. Central Continent, Hu Immortal Blessed Land, an underground cave. Fang Yuan was bathed in the light of wisdom, he shut his eyes as the star thoughts in his mind shined, he quietly deduced some important things. Last time, he used the light of wisdom to deduce the immortal killer moves, star fire escape and projected star thought. Thus, Fang Yuan currently controlled 6 star path immortal killer moves in total. Star Cloud Grindstone, Star Snake Rope, 6 Illusion Star Bodies, Position Star Swap, Star Fire Escape and Projected Star Thought. Among them, Star Fire Escape was a movement killer move, it was used extensively in escaping the chase from Song Yishi. As for Projected Star Thought, it was the investigative immortal killer move that Fang Yuan used to expose the immortal zombie Sha Nanyang's traces. These 2 killer moves were originally incomplete. They were concepts that predecessors of Star Lord Wan Shang had left behind in the Star Path inheritance, they had encountered difficulties during the deductions and could not progress to complete the killer moves. Fang Yuan's Star Path attainment was only ordinary, normally under such a situation, these incomplete moves would only be useful as reference to him. But since he had the rank 9 Wisdom Immortal GU, he could use the light of wisdom and gain unlimited inspiration, he got over the difficulty of a low Star Path attainment level, he forcefully completed the killer moves. It is a pity, in the short time I had, completing Star Fire Escape and Projected Star Thought was my limit. After all, I have only 3 Star Path Immortal GU now. Of course, most importantly, my Star Path attainment level is too low. At this time, a moving perspective cup GU appeared in Fang Yuan's immortal aperture. The information in the GU came from Langya Land Spirit. Langya Land Spirit has finally completed the relocation of Langya Blessed Land, he can lend that set of immortal GU to me now. Fang Yuan was overjoyed. This time, he purposely returned to Central Continent from Eastern Sea. It was to wait for Langya Land Spirit's news and to relocate Starform Blessed Land. In Fang Yuan's plans, Starform Blessed Land was very important. Once the truth that he was the culprit of the incident in Northern Plains becomes exposed, he would have to escape for his life. By then, Immortal Blessed Land would face disaster. If he was still an immortal zombie and could not produce immortal essence, then Starform Blessed Land would be his sole secret base. However, Lu Lan knew about Starform Blessed Land's location. If Lu Lan knew, Fairy Li Shan also knew. Fang Yuan was a vigilant person. Now that he was Starform Blessed Land's owner, he naturally had to relocate Starform Blessed Land to a place that only he knew. Chapter 900. Borrowing Ji-Yu from Langya Land Spirit. Fang Yuan did not hesitate. He immediately used fixed immortal travel to go to Langya Blessed Land. Langya Blessed Land had already undergone a huge change. In the vast sea, 3 continents were facing each other. In the air, there was a 4th continent made from cloud soil. Because there was an intense battle that destroyed much of the Blessed Land, Tai Bai Yunsheng had helped and restored most of it to its original state. Even though Tai Bai Yunsheng did not participate in the battle, he helped repair the Blessed Land after the battle. He earned quite a sum as well. Of course, because some immortal Ji-Yu that made up Refinement Cauldron were gone, the space in the Blessed Land shrank. Tai Bai Yunsheng did not have the power to restore the missing space and everything that was in them. The 12 cloud buildings had been rebuilt by Langya Land Spirit, split up across the cloud soil continent. In addition, there were many hairy man Ji-Yu masters surrounding the 12 cloud buildings, reconstructing even more buildings. I intend to create 12 cloud cities centered upon the 12 cloud buildings. This cloud soil continent in the sky will become the new living area for elite hairy men. After Langya Land Spirit saw Fang Yuan, he explained this. Fang Yuan nodded in agreement. Because Langya Blessed Land lost a number of immortal Ji-Yu, the space inside shrunk by a lot. And because there were many hairy men living in the Blessed Land, they were reaching the limit of the 3 continents. Thus, in this situation, a new area to allow the hairy men to live and propagate was needed. But Langya Land Spirit's next words shocked Fang Yuan. Other than this, I have also established Langya Sect. This sect system will use Central Continent as a reference. I will be the sect's first Supreme Elder, and the hairy man Ji-Yu Immortals will be the other Supreme Elders. My previous self was too foolish. He used these precious Ji-Yu Immortals for Ji-Yu refinement. HMPH. To fulfill the dominance of hairy men, bloodshed is necessary. Next, I will start training these hairy man Ji-Yu Immortals, nurturing their battle talents. Once they have sufficient strength to protect themselves, I will send them out of the Blessed Land, and let them complete all kinds of sect missions. Also, under my influence, the 3 continents in the sea will erupt in war. From among them, 3 kings will be chosen, and they will create 3 kingdoms on their respective continents. The kingdoms will fight against each other, and each year, my Langya sect will pick the most elite hairy men from these 3 kingdoms, and send the elite hairy men to the continent in the clouds. They will become the foundation of Langya sect. Furthermore, I will choose a rank 5 peak stage hairy man Ji-Yu master as the sect leader of Langya sect. The new Langya Land Spirit was completely different from the previous one. Maybe he was affected by the attack of Qin Bai Sheng, but Langya Land Spirit had decided to undertake a complete reform of Langya Blessed Land. He used hard-handed methods and had the disposition of a conquering Grand Emperor. Different emperors employed different styles of rulership. Because of Langya Land Spirit's change, the hairy men that were living in the lower tiers were undergoing turmoil and difficulties from war. Their peaceful and serene lifestyles were not to return. Langya Land Spirit used such a cruel method to choose the most outstanding hairy men. But this method is simply too wasteful. Fang Yuan felt some pity. There were bound to be large numbers of sacrifices during war. He felt quite a loss inwardly. He might as well use these hairy men for Ji-Yu refinement. But Fang Yuan would not say these words openly. He could only mutter in his mind. From Langya Land Spirit's perspective, hairy men were the most outstanding creatures of all. Humans and all other variant humans were underneath them. Fang Yuan raised hairy men and used them as slaves for Ji-Yu refinement. If Langya Land Spirit knew this, he would not accept it. He might even fall out with Fang Yuan. Thus, even though Fang Yuan lacked knowledge and experience of raising hairy men, in the previous discussions regarding the compensation of defending Langya Blessed Land, Fang Yuan did not attempt to request this even though he knew that Langya Land Spirit had extremely precious knowledge of how to nurture hairy men. But at this rate, Langya Blessed Land would undergo a huge reform. The hairy men would start working hard and their battle strengths will rise drastically. Maybe this happened in my previous life. After such a transformation in Langyao Blessed Land, it managed to endure 7 waves of attacks. But this Langyao Blessed Land has hidden undercurrents deep beneath the surface. Even though 2 hairy Manjiu immortal traders were exposed, we can't be sure that there will not be a 3rd or 4th trader among the rest. The methods of Qin Bai Sheng that can develop traders to this extent in here are really unimaginable. Fang Yuan thought about this as he told Langyao Land Spirit his intentions. Langyao Land Spirit was slightly shocked. He asked again, "Oh, you want to borrow my set of Immortal GU now and relocate your blessed land? I remember I told you this set of Immortal GU will not be cheap. Even on the basis that you fought against strong enemies for us, I told you that you will still need to pay 2,000 Immortal Essence Stones." Fang Yuan took out 2,000 Immortal Essence Stones, handing them to the Land Spirit. "Look, I've prepared them already." Langyao Land Spirit was greatly shocked. He received the Immortal Essence Stones as he inspected Fang Yuan, his gaze slightly changing. He knew Fang Yuan's foundation and was very surprised. This lad only ascended recently, he already has so many Immortal Essence Stones. Back then when he made transactions with my previous self, he had to earn Immortal Essence Stones by deducing Immortal GU recipes. It showed how poor he was. It seems that these Immortal Essence Stones were mostly borrowed. That is bad if he owes people a huge sum, or even worse, favors. Langyao Land Spirit shook his head. He did not approve of Fang Yuan's actions. But he understood why. He knew that Fang Yuan's crime was simply too absurd. Once it was exposed, he would be in a doomed situation. He would be chased to the ends of the world. Thus, Fang Yuan had to relocate the Blessed Land. But this point was also the main reason why Langyao Land Spirit wanted to gradually take in Fang Yuan and turn him into a lackey. It was because Fang Yuan was under such a situation. He was faced with enemies everywhere. When he is left without a choice, he would have to join the hairy men and become a trader of the humans. But what Langyao Land Spirit did not know was, he was completely wrong. These 2,000 Immortal Essence Stones were actually Fang Yuan's own savings. Fang Yuan was rich now, very rich. He earned 180 Immortal Essence Stones from his first transaction of Guts GU with Spirit Affinity House. After the Central Continent Refinement Path Convention, Fang Yuan displayed formidable GU refinement talent. Feng Yong personally invited him to go to Immortal Crane Sect and take a look. This was a change in attitude of Immortal Crane Sect towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan owned Immortal Blessed Land now. He had room to maneuver between Immortal Crane Sect and Spirit Affinity House. As his situation became much easier, and as he considered the dangers of being chased down, Fang Yuan decided to increase the production of Guts GU. Once he made this decision, the profits that he earned from Guts GU each month reached a total of 300 Immortal Essence Stones. And don't forget, after Fang Yuan took over Star Form Blessed Land, he even obtained Star Lord Wan Zhang's 4 sources of revenue. He even went ahead and established the trade of regretful spiders with Western Desert's Shao clan. With a total of 6 sources of revenue, he earned over 1,000 Immortal Essence Stones each month. There were still the Dragonfish and Eerie Fire Dragon Pythons that had not entered the market yet. If he included these two, Fang Yuan's initial estimation was that his monthly profit would reach a total of 1,500. 2 months had already passed since Fang Yuan became the owner of Starform Blessed Land. He naturally had more than 2,000 Immortal Essence Stones in his current possession. Thinking of back then, when he had just become an immortal, he had to calculate every single stone. Looking at prices carefully, he even had to think of how to efficiently use half an Immortal Essence Stone. But now he had over 1,000 Immortal Essence Stones of profit a month. He had truly progressed greatly and taken a huge step forward. He took a really huge step, but Langyao Land Spirit did not know about it. Even though he was already thinking highly of Fang Yuan, he was still very wrong. Even though Fang Yuan was an immortal zombie with the lowest cultivation level, his Immortal Essence Stone profits approached the level of rank 7 GU Immortals. After paying 2,000 Immortal Essence Stones, Fang Yuan and Langyao Land Spirit used an Information Path Immortal Killer move to form an agreement. Eventually, Fang Yuan gave the Land Spirit 2 Immortal GU as collateral before he successfully borrowed a set of Immortal GU used to relocate Blessed Lands. There were 16 of them. Fang Yuan moved without resting. He used fixed immortal travel and returned to Starform Blessed Land. Starform Blessed Land had 3 desolate beast spine fin star dragonfish. Fang Yuan had already seen them before. He did not hesitate, he chose the strongest one. He first moved around the spine fin star dragonfish, using methods to inspect the dragonfish's size, bone structure, flesh, blood, and other aspects. After confirming that the spine fin star dragonfish was in a good state, Fang Yuan sat in the air as he shut his eyes while facing the desolate beast. The spine-fin star dragonfish had been tamed since long ago. It obediently floated in the air without moving. Its fish-like eyes that were large as horse carriages shined with some starlight, showing Fang Yuan's reflection from within. Fang Yuan's was calm, but he gradually started getting excited in his mind. Countless star thoughts moved like fireflies filling the endless sky, dancing around in the small area of his mind. These star thoughts split into two portions. One portion occupied the right part of his mind, forming a three-dimensional image of the spine-fin star dragonfish. The other portion was at the left side, forming the image of star-form blessed land. After completing this step, Fang Yuan breathed in deeply as he activated his immortal essence, injecting them into the wisdom path immortal GU that he had borrowed, and according to the method that the land spirit gave him, he started deducing. Two lumps of star thoughts flew rapidly, they collided intensely and created a star cloud storm in his mind. In the storm, countless star thoughts flashed continuously, some joined together while others disintegrated. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days in star form blessed land, after a total of 7 days and 6 nights, Fang Yuan, who was extremely exhausted, opened his eyes slowly. 160,000 star thoughts had been used up in his mind. He even spent 66 beads of immortal essence to activate the wisdom path immortal GU. After paying such a huge price, Fang Yuan obtained 2 sets of GU formation charts. Among these 2 GU formation charts, one was big and one was small. The bigger GU formation chart reflected star form blessed land, it had 8 formation cores. The smaller GU formation chart reflected the spine-fin star dragonfish, there were 4 formation cores. Each of the formation cores needed a specific immortal GU. In total, both GU formation charts needed 12 immortal GU.